extremely proud. If I give it to Zhang Yan, isn't that equivalent to giving it to myself? This is 40 of Saya N Group shares, worth hundreds of billions. Could Xiaoyang really just give it away as he said? Jian's mother, who was standing by, also had a look of joy on her face, but she couldn't bear to think about it in her heart. Which is more important, the 40 stake or the Fang family? Zhang Yichen was also stunned by Xiaoyang's words. He didn't expect that Xiaoyang would like Zhang Yan so much. This is 100 billion worth of assets, can he just give it to her? As long as Xiaoyang speaks up and asks his elder brother to buy back the money. I'm afraid that even if it's not 100 billion, 80 billion in installments can be paid off. For Zhang Yan, if he was willing to spend so much money on her, let alone confessing his love to other women 99 times, even 999 times would still be considered. Although love is priceless, this price is really too outrageous. As for Zhang Yan, she had always liked Xiaoyang, but she never expected that Xiaoyang would decide to deal with the shares in this way. If it were in the past, when she heard the vulgar word, keeping a sponsor, she would definitely slap the other person in the face. How dare you insult yourself like this? But it was Xiaoyang who said this. Not only that, he also said that he would support her for life and give her assets worth hundreds of billions. This is too exaggerated. Although she had not known Xiaoyang for a long time, she knew Xiaoyang's character. Hundreds of billions of maintenance fees. Her mind was empty and she stared at Xiaoyang blankly. When his parents only treated him as a commodity to be traded, he was the only one who treated himself as a priceless treasure. She bit her red lips lightly, tears streaming down her face. Perhaps this is the love I have been searching for. What about confessing 99 times? She put all those things behind her. Is confessing your love 99 times worth hundreds of billions? Can it be worth this priceless treasure of mine? She hugged Xiaoyang tightly, her eyes moist, and she was no longer able to speak. Xiaoyang smiled, rubbed Zhang Yan's little head, and joked. Why, it's not enough. Enough, more than enough. As if she was afraid that Xiaoyang would go back on his word. Zhang Yan frowned and glared at her mother. A hint of displeasure also flashed across Xiaoyang's face. They are obviously mother and daughter. Why is there such a big difference between them? Jian's mother seemed to realize that she had spoken out of turn, and she retreated behind Zhang Yiming without saying a word. Enough, enough. Zhang Yan's voice trembled slightly, and she tugged at the corner of Xiaoyang's clothes, as if this man was the only real man in the world who made her feel safe. Zhang Yichen, help me draft a contract. All these shares will be transferred to Zhang Yan. Having said that, he looked at Zhang Yiming. Whether she wants to sell it to you or to someone else, it has nothing to do with me. As the voice fell, Zhang Yiming's face was suddenly filled with excitement. This is simply pie in the sky. Hundreds of billions of assets can be recovered or transferred at will. Even though the one being gifted to me is not myself. Wouldn't it be the same if I gave it to Zhang Yan? With Zhang Yan around, wouldn't the shares still be mine? Thinking about it, he looked at Zhang Yan. This daughter was just treated like a commodity. Chai Kaun, Dad was wrong. I shouldn't have forced you to marry Fang Jingyang. Zhang Yiming raised his eyebrows and said gently, looking a bit like a kind father. Xiaoyang frowned slightly, but he didn't want to care about this matter anymore. Instead, he wanted to see how Zhang Yan would handle it. Oh, such parents. Zhang Yan wiped her tears and walked forward. She is not greedy for the so-called shares, she just wants to hold on to the man beside her. She looked at her parents and frowned slightly. Dad? Ma? You say? Zhang Yiming no longer looked like before. Smiling. Zhang Yan looked embarrassed and seemed to be struggling with something, and she didn't speak for a long time. After a few seconds, she let out a long sigh. Dad, Mom, since you think the company is much more important than me, then you should focus on the company in the future, so that things like this won't happen again in the future. Starting from tomorrow, no, starting from now. Zhang Yan let out a long sigh, as if it was difficult for her to make this decision. From now on, I will never set foot in the Zhang family again. You guys, just pretend that you don't have a daughter like me. Oh, for Thunkel, please bring the household registration booklet to me when you get back. I'm leaving the Zhang family. After saying that, Zhang Yan cruelly turned her head and threw herself into Xiaoyang's arms. Zhang Yan, you. Zhang Yan, don't say such cruel words. You are our biological daughter. No, it's not me who is heartless. It's you who are heartless, Zhang Yan said with tears in her eyes. Oh, right, about the shares. Having said that, Zhang Yiming subconsciously withdrew his thoughts and listened attentively. Seeing her father like this, Zhang Yan no longer felt any regrets. She hardened her heart and said word by word, the shares were given to me by Xiaoyang. But they are mine and have nothing to do with the Zhang family. How about this? Didn't you say that this share is worth 100 billion? I don't want the 100 billion. Give me a 30 discount. 70 billion. If you can gather the 70 billion, I will let Xiaoyang sell the shares to you. From now on, I will be with the Zhang family. The relationship is over. Suddenly Zhang Yan snatched the share certificate from Zhang Yichen and stuffed it back into Xiaoyang's arms. Chapter 161 The Straw That Broke the Camel's Back. Seeing this, Xiaoyang smiled. I don't want the shares and I don't want the money either. Having you is enough for me. Zhang Yan's eyebrows are curved. And she is extremely charming. Xiaoyang smiled and hugged Zhang Yan in his arms. Well, from now on, you will be my little lover. Okay. Zhang Yan smiled sweetly. Just as Xiaoyang was about to turn around and leave, Zhang Yiming suddenly said, Wait. What's wrong? Xiaoyang. Let's talk alone. Xiaoyang glanced at Zhang Yan. Wait for me. Okay. Zhang Yan nodded obediently. Here, the two of them were a little further away. And Zhang Yiming sighed. I, Zhang Yiming, am also a man of character. The biggest mistake I made in my life was misjudging you. Really? Xiaoyang did not deny it. Zhang Yiming obviously didn't want to dwell on this issue any further. And said, there is a poisonous area in the XC area. Is it you who did it? Mr. Zhang, are you overthinking it? This is a problem left over from the war. You don't think that I can travel back to the war period to build a biochemical base and give it to the Fang family? Xiaoyang looked at Zhang Yiming as if he was looking at a mentally retarded person. That's not what I meant. Zhang Yiming shook his head. Hanwen Real Estate, I remember their chairman is Lin Hanwen, right? He seems to be Lin Qiu's father, the one who sat next to you at the dinner that day. The land that the Fang family purchased was taken from him. Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment, but soon he smiled and said, You should have known just now that this is a poison gas base left over from the war, which was released after being developed. If Lin Hanwen knew that there was such a thing underground, I'm afraid with the power of the Fang family, he would have already found out everything clearly. I think the Fang family is just unlucky. What do you think? Xiaoyang asked back. Zhang Yiming laughed immediately. It was really bad luck that I met you. So, Mr. Zhang, if you don't want to have bad luck, you'd better not disturb me in Zhongyan anymore. Do you understand? Xiaoyang followed the words and said suddenly. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Yiming's smile came to an abrupt end. He originally thought that it was a chance for him to reconcile with Xiaoyang. But unexpectedly, Xiaoyang shut him up with just one sentence. Although he didn't know whether Xiaoyang knew about the problem with the ground in advance, he was probably instrumental in it. Otherwise, how could Lin Hanwen happen to resell the land to the Fang family during this period of time? The young man Xiaoyang, definitely not to be provoked casually. He let out a long sigh, realizing that he had made a mistake. Otherwise, if Xiaoyang had become the son-in-law of the Zhang family, so many things probably wouldn't have happened. And I can't blame myself for this. Who could have imagined that a monster like Xiaoyang would appear in an ordinary family? Where on earth did he get so much money from? I can't figure it out. But Zhang Yiming also understood. There are clues to things that are hard to figure out. On the contrary, they are definitely not something that ordinary people can find. Everything can only be summed up in one question. Xiaoyang has an all-powerful background. At least they are stronger than the Fang family, otherwise they would not have provoked the Fang family so blatantly. Thinking of this, he said again, although the Fang family has lost the land in District Tech C, the Fang family will not fall so easily. Don't forget, Fang Jingyang bought a piece of land in Gongming District last night. If there is a problem in the XC District, then if the economic center wants to be relocated as quickly as possible, Gongming District is definitely the best choice. There, the Fang family still has a chance to revive, and even be weaker than the current Fang family. At this point, he smiled and said, Fang Jingyang once told me that they are planning to develop a technology park, a high-tech zone centered on technology and centered around the economy. If it is located in Gongming District, the Fang family will not be lonely, and may even be stronger than it is now. The words fell. This was also a reminder to Xiaoyang. Of course, the most important thing is to tell Xiaoyang. The Fang family still has a way out, a piece of land won't kill him. So you still have to be careful. This is also a friendly reminder. However, he had no idea that these problems would not be a problem according to the city planning map that Xiaoyang had. Gongming District. It is impossible to develop. Xiaoyang didn't even turn his head, but sneered, Gongming District. Haha. That will only be the last straw that breaks the camel's back for the Fang family. After the voice fell, Xiaoyang no longer paid attention to them, but hugged Zhang Yan and took her back to his car. On this side, Zhang Yiming was still in shock. Jian's mother also looked at a loss. Looking at Xiaoyang's back, Zhang Yiming muttered something. The straw that broke the camel's back. What does he mean? Zhang Yiming frowned. Could it be that something will happen in Gongming District? Impossible. Gongming District is still under development. It has a superior geographical location and the geology has just been tested. There are no problems. Changed the car. Zhang Yan looked at the car in surprise. Yes, Xiao Yang smiled. This car is so beautiful. Zhang Yan took off her high heels, exposing her feet, and leaned back to put her feet in front of the car window. Put your feet down. No, how about those long, white and tender legs, do you want to touch them? Zhang Yan looked at Xiao Yang provocatively. It seemed like I was back to that afternoon again, when that ginger fairy always stretched out her long white legs to seduce me. Zhang Yan's figure looks slim, her short skirt covers a quarter of her thighs. Below is a pair of delicate legs that extend all the way to her calves. She is wearing a pair of white socks. She really looks like a little fox. But this time, Xiao Yang didn't refuse. Okay. Reach out. Silky smooth, great feel. What are you doing? Zhang Yan screamed. Bang. There was a red slap mark on Zhang Yan's thigh. I told you not to hit me yesterday. Things change over time. Don't look down on the poor young man. You slapped me once. And today, I will slap you 100 times in return. Zhang Yan was immediately very angry. She blinked her beautiful eyes and rolled her eyes at Xiao Yang. Just the next second, Xiao Yang's hand attacked again. It's raining so hard. Xiao Yang looked out the window and said casually. At this time, the car was still on the road, but it was raining outside. Zhang Yan's face flushed. I saw that there was a large red area on the white and tender thigh. In addition to the previous slap mark, there were many more red marks. It seemed that Xiao Yang was not gentle. Xiao Yang chuckled and gave him a look. Little guy, I let you seduce me before. I didn't have a thick skin at first. But now, TSK, how can I let you off so easily? Although Xiao Yang really wanted to drive, he was still driving after all. So he could only drive properly after he finished driving and got home. Chapter 160 to Dangerous Driving. After the fight, Zhang Yan's face was now flushed. How could she have imagined that Xiao Yang could actually do it directly in the car? At this moment, Xiao Yang also looked very proud. The long legs that I have been longing for so long finally got to touch them. In terms of feel, it is comparable to Lin Q's little head. 2 words, top. Dear, Zhang Yan looked out the window and sighed. Xiao Yang, do you think I am a little heartless? Heartless? Your parents treat you as a commodity and want to trade you to the Fang family. How heartless? Xiao Yang frowned slightly. Zhang Yan nodded thoughtfully. This is exactly the fact if Xiao Yang had not shown up today. His marriage with Fang Jingyang would have been a foregone conclusion. In that situation, his father would probably want to send him directly to the Fang family. What's wrong? Xiao Yang stretched out his hand. The latter quickly shrank aside. However, this long leg still fell into Xiao Yang's hands. This time, Xiao Yang played with it very gently and said with a smile. How about this? If you don't mind, I will give my parents to you. Divided parents. Zhang Yan was stunned for a moment. And the corners of her mouth suddenly rose slightly. Are you going to meet your parents? No, hadn't I met Xiao Yang's parents a long time ago? She couldn't help but roll her eyes at Xiao Yang and put all the previous unpleasantness behind her. As the two chatted, Zhang Yan found that Xiao Yang's hands were becoming more and more presumptuous. An unspeakable feeling came over her, and Zhang Yan quickly reached out and patted it. Xiao Yang chuckled and took his hand back. I couldn't help it. I just moved upwards. Zhang Yan pretended not to notice Xiao Yang's expression and said, Xiao Yang, where are we going now? Come to my house. I have a house in Xingfu community. Let's live there first. Zhang Yan blinked her eyes, already feeling confused. Live together. Living together with Xiao Yang. Looking at Xiao Yang's profile, Zhang Yan was in a very good mood. This handsome man will belong to you from now on. When they got home, Xiao Yang stopped the car, got out of the car without caring about anything else, and carried Zhang Yan out. Xiao Yang, what are you doing? What do you think I do? Of course I drive. Xiao Yang looked at the delicate beauty in front of him. Damn, 100 billion. Do you know how heartbroken I was when I threw this 100 billion out to show off? Fortunately, my wife is not a spendthrift and took the things back. I've already kept this bag and touched its legs. Now it's time to touch other parts of the body. Drive? What car? Xiao Yang smiled but said nothing. After entering the door, Xiao Yang put Zhang Yan down. Well, from now on this is my golden house. And from now on, you are the little goldfinch I raise in this golden house. Xiao Yang spoke. Okay, Zhang Yan looked around. This house is great. That's it. Xiao Yang closed the door with his backhand. But at this moment, Zhang Yan had already realized something and her face suddenly turned red. Xiao Yang put Zhang Yan directly on the sofa. How is my sofa? Is it soft and comfortable? Zhang Yan blushed. And she had almost imagined the following scene that was not suitable for children in her mind. But at this moment, Zhang Yan was still a little nervous. Even though she flirts with Xiao Yang on a daily basis, she is still somewhat conservative at heart. She glanced around and her eyes rolled around. Where is my room? Your room. He scratched his head and said with a smirk. Of course your room is next to mine. Zhang Yan looked at the handsome boy in front of her and couldn't help feeling a little conflicted. Of course she liked Xiaoyang. Although actually, they had not known each other for long. If she only had a good impression of Xiaoyang before today. Then what happened today made her put all her heart on Xiaoyang. If he wasn't there, the person in front of him right now would be Fang Jingyang. In fact, during the days she was imprisoned, Zhang Yan thought about this man all the time and fantasized about the current scene. Only, I like you, but if it's just a kiss, she can accept all of this. If she just wanted to break the bottom line, she still wanted to wait until the moment of her wedding. But Xiaoyang did so many things for himself today. What to do? At this moment, Zhang Yan was extremely conflicted. Xiaoyang sat down and held Zhang Yan in his arms. One hand is placed on the waist, and the other hand naturally falls on the white and tender thigh. Zhang Yan. You really are like a goblin. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. Zhang Yan blushed. The two were now facing each other. Their cheeks close to each other. Xiaoyang suddenly recalled the scene at home. It was also at this distance that she hung on him like an octopus. Perhaps it was at that moment that I was moved. Xiaoyang lowered his head. Zhang Yan's face suddenly turned red and she couldn't help but close her eyes. Seeing the flaming red lips, Xiaoyang couldn't hold back any longer. There's no tricks, just a light touch. Xiaoyang, Zhang Yan murmured softly as she looked at the man. The next second, the lips fell again. This time, it's no longer just a passing glance. After a long time, their lips parted. Zhang Yan's face was already ripe. At the flush from her collarbone to her ears. There was a flash of panic in her eyes. At hand, Zhang Yan rolled her eyes at Xiaoyang. The next second, Xiaoyang suddenly realized. Well, I was too nervous when I was nervous. I wanted to find something to grab. The voice fell, but Xiaoyang had no intention of taking back his hand. He rubbed it. At this moment, Lin Qiu's little head and Zhang Yan's legs were nothing like the feeling I had at this moment. Soft, really soft. It's big, really big. Seeing Xiaoyang acting like a rogue, Zhang Yan was a little at a loss. She had to turn her head away, not daring to look at Xiaoyang anymore. Seeing this, Xiaoyang also took his hand back, kissed Zhang Yan's forehead, and whispered, "What's wrong, are you unhappy?" No. Zhang Yan's voice was as low as the buzzing of a mosquito. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. In fact, he also realized that he was a little too impatient. There was still a lot of time, and there would be plenty of time in the future. There was no need to rush now. You must be tired today. Take a rest for a while, I'll go get something to eat. Xiaoyang said. Okay, Zhang Yan nodded slightly, but looked at Xiaoyang in surprise. In fact, things have developed to this point. And no matter what Xiaoyang does next, I'm afraid it will be difficult for me to refuse. But he just held back like that. Zhang Yan couldn't help but sneer as she watched Xiaoyang walk into the kitchen with a strange walking posture. Fool. If you really want, it's not impossible. Zhang Yan was half lying on the sofa, her legs swinging, a look of happiness on her face. Perhaps. This is the love I have been searching for. Chapter 163. Really want to be a scumbag. Fortunately, there is no shortage of ingredients in the refrigerator at home. Xiaoyang was quite fast at cooking, and after a short while, a rich aroma of rice wafted from the kitchen. Perhaps she was really tired. Zhang Yan was not as greedy as Lin Qiu. She just sniffed, and even though her stomach growled, she still fell asleep on the sofa. When I woke Zhang Yan up, she squinted her eyes and was reluctant to get up. Xiaoyang wasn't in a hurry. He just looked at her lovingly, as if he couldn't look enough. I don't know how long it took, but suddenly, Zhang Yan turned over. The sudden loss of weight also woke Zhang Yan up instantly. She looked around blankly, only to find that she had bumped into Xiaoyang's arms. While she was sleeping, Xiaoyang was guarding beside her. When she turned over and was about to fall off the sofa, Xiaoyang had already stopped her. Have you had enough sleep? Yeah, Zhang Yan nodded in a daze. Okay, let's eat. Xiaoyang smiled. But Zhang Yan refused and stretched out her arms. I want a hug. Why are you hugging me? I'm so old. That's it? Okay, then call me daddy and I'll hug you. Xiaoyang couldn't help but joked. Bad, Zhang Yan called out in a soft voice. Xiaoyang stood there in a daze, and Zhang Yan also suddenly woke up. What did I just call? Eyes met. Xiaoyang still had a doting look on his face. But Zhang Yan wished she could find a hole in the ground to crawl into. For some reason, Xiaoyang felt inexplicably excited when he looked at the girl in front of him. Come, give daddy a hug. Get lost. Zhang Yan stretched out her long legs and tried to kick Xiaoyang away. But the next second, Xiaoyang hugged her directly. Good boy. Zhang Yan groaned. Her expression seemed like she was resisting. But her tender arms were indeed wrapped around Xiaoyang's neck at the moment. Her face full of pride. He just carried Zhang Yan back to the dinner table. The aroma is very nice. Xiaoyang's father was originally a cook. Xiaoyang has been self-reliant since he was young and is a good cook. When the food was served, Zhang Yan was immediately amazed by the table full of dishes. As the saying goes, color, fragrance and taste, this is what it means. During the time of confinement in the Zhang family, Zhang Yan ate very little, or her appetite was not very good. But with Xiaoyang's table full of dishes and her improved mood, Zhang Yan's appetite was greatly aroused and she started to eat with big mouthfuls. This is delicious. This one's good too. Zhang Yan kept gushing out, not caring about her eating manners. After eating, she burped and looked at Xiaoyang in disbelief. Did you really burn this? Of course Xiaoyang was very confident. If he had to pick out one advantage that made him most satisfied, it would definitely be his cooking skills. Zhang Yan looked at Xiaoyang with a click of the tongue. Very satisfied. He is handsome, can cook, has money, and likes himself. With a husband like this, what else could a woman ask for? After a while, the doorbell rang outside. I'll go open the door. After a while, Xiaoyang came back carrying a lot of bags. He walked up to Zhang Yan and said with a smile, "Look. What's missing?" Zhang Yan looked at Xiaoyang in astonishment and opened the suitcase full of bags. Couple hats. Little skirt. Parent child outfit. Everything I bought is now here. How did you get it? Zhang Yan asked in surprise. Just when you fell asleep, I asked Xiaozu to tidy it up. And then sent someone to get it, Xiaoyang said with a smile. As she looked at these things, the scene of her shopping with Xiaoyang in JM City reappeared in her mind. That night, the smoke was brilliant, a dazzling confession. Zhang Yan suddenly felt her eyes a little sore, and after blinking, tears rolled down. Xiaoyang, you are so nice, Zhang Yan sobbed and stretched out her hands for a hug. I know that too. Xiaoyang hugged her for a while and then let go. Go upstairs and find a room you feel comfortable in. And stay there. Zhang Yan nodded, and blushed as she looked at Xiaoyang. You said your room is? Silly goblin. Go ahead. Zhang Yan's face immediately filled with joy, and she hugged Xiaoyang's face and kissed him. Dad, you're so nice, she blushed and said softly as if jokingly, and hurried upstairs with the things. Fairy, you are playing with fire. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. At this time, the cell phone rang. Xiaoyang took a look and saw that it was a call from Lin Hanwen. Hello, Uncle Lin. Xiaoyang, Lin Hanwen asked with some excitement. Uncle Lin, what's the matter? Where are you? How about I pick you up? Lin Hanwen asked directly. Pick me up? Why do you want to pick me up? Xiaoyang asked puzzled lie. Of course I'm treating you to a meal. You saved my life, come here and I'll open a bottle of the best red wine for you. Lin Hanwen sounded very happy. Xiaoyang suddenly realized. Is it about the XC area? Yes, you are right, there is indeed something wrong with the land in District XC. The Fang family is in big trouble now, Lin Hanwen laughed. I really have to thank you this time. If you hadn't persuaded me to sell the land to the Fang family, I would be the one suffering now. It's nothing actually. I just gave you a reminder, Xiaoyang said politely. You think it's just a reminder, but it's saving my life. Lin Hanwen was still sweating profusely at this moment. He had just returned to China, and as someone who had always loved adventure, he planned to go all out and invest all his money in the land of District XC, hoping to open up the Zhengde real estate market and take root here. Who would have thought that something went wrong here? If it weren't for Xiaoyang, I would probably have jumped off the company building right now. It's a small matter, let's put the treat aside for now. I'm a little tired today and don't plan to go out, Xiaoyang refused with a smile. Okay then, I'll treat you to dinner another day. No problem. Xiaoyang was about to hang up the phone when Lin Hanwen suddenly said, Xiaoyang, your matter with the daughter of the Zhang family. Xiaoyang frowned slightly. What did Uncle Lin hear? I heard that you went to the Fang family's holiday villa today. Lin Hanwen spoke directly without beating around the bush. Yes, Xiaoyang did not hide it and replied directly. You've thought it through, right? Lin Hanwen said with some regret. After hesitating for a while, Xiaoyang nodded. Well, I've thought it through. At this moment, it is raining heavily outside. Xiaoyang was listening to the sound of rain, a little absent-minded. There is no need to think too much about the final result. There is only one Lin Qiu and Zhang Yan. Listening to the sound of someone cleaning the room upstairs, Lin Qiu's figure suddenly flashed through Xiaoyang's mind. I've thought it through. I want them all. Xiaoyang naturally did not say the second half of the sentence. If he said it, even though it was a rainy day, Lin Hanwen would probably rush into his house with a knife. What to do? Xiaoyang rubbed his temples. The rain continued incessantly. Just like Xiaoyang's mood at the moment. He should be happy to have Zhang Yan back. But now, the problem is here. I suddenly want to be a scumbag. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh and lay on the sofa thinking about the difficult decision. Chapter 160 For Let the Storm Come Even Stronger. Wake up. Early in the morning, Xiao Yang prepared breakfast and knocked on Zhang Yan's door. The door was ajar, but I pushed it and went straight in. Xiao Yang didn't expect that this girl didn't even close the door and walked straight into the room. I saw Zhang Yaojing lying on the bed in her pajamas with her arms and legs spread. And the quilt had been kicked to the side. Although Zhang Yan's pajamas were loose and did not show off her perfect figure, in Xiao Yang's eyes, she was quite tempting. I got up. In the morning, there is always an inexplicable impulse. Xiao Yang's throat trembled and he stretched out his hand and let it fall. What you get is smooth skin. Perhaps because her hands were a little cold. Zhang Yan shuddered suddenly. Hey, let me sleep a little longer. This is already the third day that Zhang Yan has lived in the Xiao family. These days, Xiao Yang hardly went out and spent most of his time at home with Zhang Yan. Watched EV, watch videos, and follow anime. Of course. It's not that I don't want to go out. It's just been raining all the time. It started raining a few days ago, but it doesn't seem to be stopping these days. The two of them lived under the same roof, and although Xiao Yang took advantage of many things, he still couldn't break through that level. In addition to Zhang Yan's reluctance, Xiao Yang himself was also unable to get over it. Lin Qiyu was still lingering in my mind. Unable to figure out the problem, Xiao Yang himself was unable to start. Looking at Zhang Yan lazily lying in bed, Xiao Yang suddenly leaned over. This scared Zhang Yan. What are you doing? Taking advantage. Xiao Yang smiled, held Zhang Yan's arm and began to kiss her forcefully. The latter was startled, but soon closed his eyes and began to respond, enjoying Xiao Yang's tenderness. At first, Xiao Yang was quite gentle. But soon, he wrapped his arms around Zhang Yan, wishing he could merge Zhang Yan's entire body into his own. Xiao Yang's other hand was not idle either, moving slowly from the slender waist down. Is this breakfast? Zhang Yan looked at the man in front of her, took a deep breath, and said intoxicated lie. Yes, Xiao Yang did not stop. His lips pressed against hers again, somewhat overbearing lie. But after a while, he slowly kissed down again. The hands also do whatever they want. In just a moment, Zhang Yan felt her whole body go limp and she couldn't muster any strength at all. She hugged Xiao Yang's neck, leaned her head on him, and said pitifully, Xiao Yang, it's not enough yet. With these words, Xiao Yang was stunned. He stared at Zhang Yan and said bitterly, Zhang Yan, you know you are a goblin. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. I don't know why, if it was Lin Qiyu lying on the bed at this moment, Xiao Yang probably wouldn't be so angry. Only Zhang Yan's every move aroused the fire in his heart. But Zhang Yan couldn't help but chuckle when she heard this. And I will be your fairy, Xiao Yang, from now on I will be your little fairy. Okay. Xiao Yang replied, and his big hand came down, slapping Zhang Yan's butt hard. The latter screamed and climbed up from the bed. Let's go and eat. Xiao Yang just made some breakfast casually. Zhang Yan hooked her arms around Xiao Yang's neck in an extremely indecent posture. Xiao Yang just sighed and cursed, damn demon. Lulu. Zhang Yan made a face and immediately placed her long legs on Xiao Yang. Eat well. Zhang Yan was drinking milk, but her mouth was like a funnel, with pure white milk always dripping quietly from the corners of her mouth. You are playing with fire again, you damn goblin. Xiao Yang rubbed Zhang Yan's long legs and sighed. I'm a little afraid that I can't help it. Zhang Yan was stunned for a moment and looked at Xiao Yang. What should I do? If you keep doing this, I'll get sick. Zhang Yan's face immediately turned red and she cursed him inwardly as a hooligan. But his eyes would occasionally look at Xiao Yang's lower body. It is said that men are animals who think with their lower body. Which is absolutely true. Zhang Yan giggled and suddenly stretched out her hand. It is said that this is a certain female star's famous skill. The one-finger Zen. A dragonfly skimming the water. What are you doing? Xiao Yang glared at Zhang Yan. And the next second, he pushed her down on the dining table. The cup fell to the ground with a clang, and the milk spilled all over the floor. Zhang Yan was a little scared. Xiao. Before he could even utter the word Yang, Xiao Yang blocked his mouth. Suddenly, Zhang Yan's mind went blank. She just closed her eyes and responded. Time and again. Xiao Yang really couldn't help it anymore. At this moment, he was like a ferocious beast from the ancient times, domineering and rude, and he wanted to tear the demon in front of him into pieces. Zhang Yan hugged Xiao Yang's neck and let him do what he wanted to her, just biting her lips slightly and murmured Xiao Yang's name. Xiao Yang kissed all the way down. Suddenly, a big hand waved. Zhang Yan's body was trembling slightly, and her pajamas had fallen to the ground. Zhang Yan couldn't laugh like before. She was only wearing thin clothes. And for fear that she would be too cold, Xiao Yang had already reached out his hand to keep her warm. She instinctively hugged Xiao Yang's waist and back, hanging on him like an octopus. Isus take up his dinner plate. Let's go upstairs. Would you please go upstairs? Zhang Yan bit her red lips and whispered softly. Good. Xiao Yang picked up Zhang Yan. Because at this time, Zhang Yan no longer had any strength in her body. After a while, Xiao Yang carried Zhang Yan back to the room. But this time, before Xiao Yang could react, Zhang Yan took the initiative to kiss him. The two of them were entangled with each other again. Xiao Yang hugged Zhang Yan's slender waist and put her down, with his hands behind her. "How come this button? I'll do it. Xiao Yang, kiss me." The two of them were like dry wood and sparked a fire that ignited at once. As for the wedding night, Zhang Yan had already forgotten about it. If he wants it, I'll give it to him. Because she is destined to never have another man. She took the initiative to kiss Xiao Yang and took off her clothes. It's raining heavily outside. There was a loud rumble of thunder. In the room, there was also a rainstorm. Lightning and thunder. The two of them sank here. The dark clouds grew darker and lower, pressing down towards the sea. And the waves sang as they rushed into the sky to meet the thunder. Thunder roared, flying proudly over the roaring sea. Amidst the lightning, this is the cry of the prophet of victory. Let the storm come even harder. Chapter 165. The sky collapses. The battle lasted for an entire afternoon. Zhang Yan was lying weakly in Xiao Yang's arms at this time. Xiao Yang just looked out the window. It was still raining heavily outside. "Xiao Yang, you will only love me in this life, right?" Zhang Yan's voice was a little weak, maybe she was tired. Xiao Yang did not answer, but asked, "It has been raining for 3 days. Yeah, I never stopped." Xiao Yang frowned slightly. He casually flipped through his phone and checked the weather conditions on some chat apps. Indeed, the heavy rain lasted for 3 days without stopping. At this moment, a text message was sent to the mobile phone. Red alert. This was the second time Xiao Yang received a red alert text message regarding rain disasters. I opened the browser casually, and suddenly, news about the heavy rain appeared on the browser's news recommendation page. It looks like the rain will continue to fall. Xiao Yang was just speaking casually. And suddenly, he seemed to remember something, and quickly opened the city planning map of the system warehouse in his mind. Gongming District. The worst hit area. This hardest hit area doesn't refer to the rain disaster. Does it? Impossible, it's just a heavy rain. Let me talk about two sides. After several days, the Fang father and son had recovered from their decadence. It seems that it will take some time for you to completely take over the position of head of the family. Fang Zhen looked at his son and said helplessly, "Dad, I understand." Fang Jingyang nodded. "Your elders are very dissatisfied with this project in District Tech C. You also know that this time, our Fang family suffered heavy losses. And more than 10 years of hard work went down the drain." Fang Zhen let out a long sigh. At this moment, his temples had already turned slightly gray. In just a few days, he looked much older than before. "So now they are putting pressure on you to take the position of vice president of your company." And Fang Jingyang's face suddenly turned pale. "It's okay, I'll suppress it for you, but this time, we, father and son, are going to go all out. Listen, there can't be any more problems with the Gongming Science and Technology Park project." Fang Zhen's expression changed and he instructed seriously. "Yes, I sent people to survey the nearby geology overnight. And there is no problem." "That's good," Fang Zhen nodded. "As long as there is no problem with the ground, it will be fine. The land in the XC area is very important, but now there is no room for recovery. So it is better to move to the Gongming area. I have talked to people from some departments recently. And we are still discussing how to shift the economic center next. If nothing unexpected happens, it is very likely to be in the Gongming district." Speaking of this, the father and son agreed with each other and their expressions were surprisingly consistent. As long as the Gongming District Science and Technology Park is developed, the losses in the XC district will not be a big problem. In fact, it is stronger than now. I heard about the auction that night. You were determined to get that piece of land if Xiao Yang had taken it away. I'm afraid we would regret it now, Fang Zhen praised. Speaking of Xiao Yang, their expressions changed again. At this moment, Fang Jingyang hated Xiao Yang to death. If it weren't for him, Zhang Yan would have been lying in his arms now, and there wouldn't be so many things to worry about. By the way, this was just delivered. Take a look. Fang Zhen's face was gloomy, and he handed a piece of information to Fang Jingyang. "What's this?" Fang Jingyang took it. "Is this Xiao Yang?" "That's right, these are photos of Xiao Yang and Lin Hanwen's previous interactions. Not only that, Xiao Yang also went to Lin Hanwen's house several times." Fang Zhen's face was obviously angry, and his fists were clenched. Veins were visibly showing. He had tried his best to control his emotions, but his defense was still broken. Fang Jingyang figured out the key after a little thought. "Dad, are you saying that the land that Hanwen Real Estate resold to the Fang family was a trap set by Xiao Yang and Lin Hanwen?" "Very likely." "Fuck." Fang Jingyang suddenly became furious and couldn't help but kick the table beside him. There was a loud bang. The table didn't move, but his feet were numb. What on earth is Xiaoyang trying to do? Fang Jingyang cursed. And his hatred for Xiaoyang increased even more. He came here just for our Fang family. After all, he was a famous figure in Zhengdu Fangs, and closed his eyes, took a long breath, and did not break down like Fang Jingyang. But even so, there was still a hint of anger on his face. It seems that there is definitely something wrong with Xiaoyang's background. This opponent should not be underestimated. Fang Zhen frowned. By the way, if Xiaoyang and Lin Hanwen dug the pit together, and why didn't we receive any news? They should have known that there was a problem with this land in advance? Fang Jingyang asked, puzzled. There is only one possibility. The people we placed around Lin Hanwen have been turned against us. Otherwise, it is impossible that we didn't know anything about the geological survey. After thinking for a while, Fang Zhen waved his hand and said, send all those people around Lin Hanwen and they are useless. Fang Jingyang nodded and looked out the window. The weather with heavy rain was just like the mood of both him and his son. Extremely depressing. When will this rain stop? Fang Zhen squinted his eyes, and it was impossible to tell what he was thinking. He sat down and looked at the TV hanging on the wall. It was approaching 7 o'clock. Every time at this time, he would turn on the TV to watch the news from Zhengdu. Although I have been in a very bad mood these days, there are no exceptions. The TV is on. Soon, a piece of news came into view. Just like outside, it was cloudy and rainy. A journalist was seen wearing a raincoat and holding an umbrella, standing professionally near a dam. This is Hui River in Zhengdu, the mother river of Zhengdu. As you can see, the water flow of Hui River has risen very rapidly and is almost reaching the critical point. We have specially invited Professor Wang, a water affairs expert, to explain to us what impact this heavy rain will have on our Zhengdu. Excuse me, Professor Wang, the water level of the dam has reached a peak. Do you think we should open the gates and divert some of the river water downstream? Professor Wang pushed his glasses and said with a smile, it is certain that the gates will be open to divert water downstream. But it is well known that the downstream area of Hui River is in Gongming District, which is one of the economic centers of Zhengdu and also one of the lowest terrains in Zhengdu. If we open the gates rashly, Professor Wang explained slowly. Here, Fang Zhen also nodded. The water flow is very fast, so it is certain that the dam gates should be opened. But how much water to release and where to release it are all problems. At the very least, the Gongming district cannot be flooded. Thinking of this, Fang Zhen suddenly frowned, and felt his eyebrows twitching. The construction of our dam is very solid, Professor Wang continued. But at this moment, there was a loud bang. This is a live broadcast. A female reporter and Professor Wang were both stunned. The camera suddenly turned and moved towards the dam. A huge sound of flowing water directly pierced everyone's eardrums. At this moment, Fang Zhen suddenly stood up from his chair, his face full of disbelief. The dam. It collapsed. The female reporter was shocked. Professor Wang looked pale. At this moment, Fang Zhen's lips turned pale and he was trembling so hard that he couldn't speak. This is not a dam breaking. The sky is falling. Chapter 166. A vast ocean. Boom. Unlike thunder, the sound of a dam bursting is more shocking than the sound of a thunderstorm. Under the camera, the river water roared down like a beast. In just a moment, the water overflowed from the original river channel and rushed everywhere like waves on the sea. Shocking. The female reporter and Professor Wang looked at all this in amazement. But soon, someone rushed up and took the two away. The camera moved farther and farther and farther away. But Fang Zhen was numb. He opened his mouth for a long time, but no words came out. Now, tunnel of light. This is a newly built tunnel in Gongming District, with a constant flow of traffic. A heavy rain does not affect the workers commuting to and from work at all. Don't worry, I'm on my way to the airport now. Don't worry. I just finished my driver's license test, just wait a moment. In a red car, a girl put down her phone. She didn't seem to be very good at driving. She just stared at the front with a nervous look on her face. Is there a traffic light ahead? Why are they all stopped? As soon as the words fell, suddenly, she opened her eyes wide, full of surprise. This is a scene she will never forget in her life. This is waves? The waves crashed in and the river waters suddenly poured into the tunnel. In front, an electric bike was directly overturned by the wave, and the rider was also swept several meters away. The girl was completely stunned. Her mind went blank. Why is there water flowing back into the tunnel? No one answered her question. Countless people screamed, and all the cars stopped. The brave ones just opened the car door and ran out. But how can human power withstand such surging waves? But after a while, someone was washed away by the wave and crashed into other vehicles, screaming. This time, no one dared to move. All the cars stopped and were crowded in the tunnel. Fortunately, the wave was only fierce at the beginning, and the water flowed slowly afterwards. The light tunnel. which was built just over a year ago, is now shrouded in darkness. The girl quickly closed the car door and the window. Fortunately, the car's ceiling is quite good. The water spread and was almost reaching the car window, but it was isolated outside. For a long time, the water level did not increase. The girl suddenly felt that the air in the car was a little thin. She quickly opened the skylight. The air was thick and she let out a long sigh. But along with the air, there were countless screams and cries. It's gloomy weather, and no one knows what will happen here. She didn't dare to open the door, nor could she open it. As soon as the door is opened, the river water outside will flow directly into the car. I'm afraid that before I get out, the incoming river water will directly submerge me. Although there was air circulation, the girl's breathing became more rapid. She bit her red lips lightly, her face full of anxiety. A phone call was made. The number you dialed is currently busy. Please try again later. The girl suddenly felt a sense of despair. A pair of shoes floated past the car window. The screams and cries all around were extremely depressing. Why don't you answer the phone? The girl's eyes turned red with anxiety. At this time, an emergency report also sounded on the car player. And urgent news, the Jiangdu Dam has burst. The river water is now flowing downstream. The rising river water has broken through the river bank and rushed straight to the low-lying Gongming district. At present, the relevant departments have organized a rescue team. Next, popularize flood prevention knowledge. She finally knew what was going on. But at this moment, she was in the middle of the tunnel. There are vehicles almost everywhere. The skylight can only open a small hole. And although I am small, I am not afraid to get out. She could only make a phone call. Hurry up and answer it. Her face was full of anxiety. Finally, the call got through. Suddenly, the girl's tears rolled down and her eyes became moist. Xiao Yang. Lin, why did you call me? At this time, Xiao Yang was lying on the bed. Next to him was Zhang Yan, who was still wearing her clothes. At this moment, Zhang Yan's face flushed. Just now Xiao Yang couldn't help it again. Fortunately, this time, Xiao Yang allowed her to use her hands. This way you won't tire yourself out. Seeing Xiao Yang's strange expression, Zhang Yan immediately came forward. What's wrong? Nothing. At this time, on the other end of the phone, Xiao Yang, woo-woo. What's wrong? Why are you crying? Xiao Yang was stunned. Zhang Yan was also stunned and looked at Xiao Yang. Save me, Xiao Yang, I'm so scared. Lin Qiyu's voice came. Xiao Yang quickly stood up. Where are you? I'm here in Gongming Tunnel in Gongming District. Water. Lin Qiyu was probably too anxious, and she said something else while she was talking. So much water. The dam has broken, the river water is pouring in. I can't get out of the car. Woo. Lin Qiyu started crying and her words became hesitant. Wait for me. Don't hang up, Xiao Yang instructed. And immediately got up and put on his clothes. What happened? It's urgent, I need to go out for a while, Xiao Yang just replied and quickly put on his clothes. He finally understood what the hardest hit areas on the map meant. The flood back flowed and the dam burst. Gongming District will be the worst hit by floods. Umbrella. Zhang Yan hadn't put on her clothes yet. So she found an umbrella and handed it to Xiao Yang, who was getting dressed. Cell phone. Xiao Yang glanced at the cell phone still on the bed. Zhang Yan took it and took a look. Lin Qiyu. It's her. Zhang Yan frowned slightly but said nothing and handed the phone to Xiao Yang. Seeing Zhang Yan's strange expression, Xiao Yang guessed something. He glanced at Zhang Yan and said softly, wait until I come back. The voice fell. Zhang Yan immediately smiled. Okay. Xiao Yang said nothing more and rushed out the door without even shutting the door. Chuoi, are you still there? In. Lin Qiyu said with a hint of tears in her voice. Okay, wait for me, I'll be there soon. A roar was heard. Xiao Yang frowned and rushed out of the community. What's the situation now? The water is not rising anymore. Don't open the door, wait for me. I can't open the door even if I want to. The water pressure is so high, Lin Qiyu said with a smile. For some reason, Lin Qiyu was very panicked at first. But after hearing Xiao Yang's voice, she became much calmer. Or rather, the sense of security Xiao Yang gave was simply too strong. By the way, Xiao Yang, why did I hear a girl's voice just now? Xiao Yang was speechless. How could she still ask such a question at this moment? Is this important? Xiao Yang did not answer, but asked about the characteristics and location of the vehicle. Of course, you can't drive into Gongming District by car. Xiao Yang just drove to the vicinity and found that he could not go in anymore. At this moment, the Gongming District is a vast ocean. Chapter 167 Tunnel Rescue. Looking at the bright area that was like a tide, Xiao Yang could only stop the car. At this moment, many people were watching and shouting. No one could have imagined that the bright district, which was endowed with high expectations, would be greeted not with brightness but with a tide. Wait a moment, I'll be there soon, Xiao Yang said to Lin Qiyu on the other end of the phone. Looking at the turbid river water, I fell into deep thought. The water was not shallow, reaching about Xiaoyang's waist. It's not that we can't just walk over, but no one knows what's beneath the turbid river water. For example, an open manhole cover or some debris. If I get hit, I might be in danger. The shared bicycles lying on the ground are considered to be a relatively powerful obstacle. Xiaoyang could only see the handlebars of the bicycle. If he waded through the muddy water, he would definitely trip. After thinking about it, he put away the umbrella. At this time, the rainy weather seemed to have improved a lot. The rain was pouring down, and Xiaoyang had no choice but to lean forward using the umbrella pole. "Xiaoyang, are you still there?" Perhaps because she hadn't heard Xiaoyang's voice for a long time, Lin Qiyu suddenly became a little scared and asked cautiously, "Exist?" Xiaoyang's affirmative answer also made Lin Qiyu feel a lot more at ease. The river became deeper and deeper, but it was always chest down. Xiaoyang didn't know what was ahead, so he just assumed that his umbrella didn't hit any obstacles. So he bravely walked forward. The winter rain is freezing cold. Although it was a man's temperature, it was also around 6 or 7 degrees. Xiaoyang's legs were a little frozen stiff. He couldn't help but gasp and just walked forward slowly. In the distance is the tunnel of light. The river became shallower. This time, Xiaoyang's speed increased a lot. Not far away, all the vehicles stopped, blocking the place. "I'm at the tunnel." Xiaoyang's voice came. Lin Qiyu hummed. Here, there were constant cries and shouts, and it was extremely noisy. However, the rescue team would probably arrive soon, and Xiaoyang didn't want to meddle in other people's business. When they got to the tunnel, Xiaoyang felt much more comfortable because it protected him from the rain. He wiped his face with his only relatively good underwear and lifted his wet hair up. "Xiaoyu? Xiaoyu?" Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment. But I found that the phone screen was black. Only then did Xiaoyang realize that his phone had been soaked in water at some point and he could no longer contact Lin Qiyu. On this side, Lin Qiyu was also stunned and found that the phone had been hung up. But when she called again, she found that she couldn't get through to Xiaoyang's phone at all. At this moment, the tunnel looks like a bridge tunnel over a river. Outside, the rain continued to fall and the river flowed. Without Xiaoyang's voice, Lin Qiyu's face was full of panic. Here, Xiaoyang looked at the tunnel full of vehicles with a frown on his face. "What a rubbish phone, it's not even waterproof." Xiaoyang stuffed the phone back into his pocket and slowly moved it again. In this tunnel, some vehicles had already waded into the river water. But fortunately the people inside seemed to have been evacuated. At first glance, it looked like so many cars had fallen into the water. This scene was much worse than he had imagined. Xiaoyang no longer walked slowly forward. He folded his umbrella and ran forward. "Lin Qiyu! Lin Qiyu, where are you?" Xiaoyang shouted loudly. He knew that the car Lin Qiyu was talking about was a red BMW. But the river was too deep at that time, the car logo could not be seen at all. And the red vehicle in the tunnel was not small. It is not easy to find a car or a person in a tunnel that is nearly a kilometer long. Besides, the phone was soaked in water at the moment. So there was no news from Lin Qiyu. Xiaoyang became more and more worried. And he would slap every red car he approached. "Lin Qiyu!" Xiaoyang was a little tired of shouting, mainly because the river water was too cold. Coupled with the long journey, even with the systematic strengthening that made his physique stronger than ordinary people, he still felt very uncomfortable at this moment. His feet were frozen. But Xiaoyang had no choice but to continue rushing forward. "Lin Qiyu?" After running a few hundred meters, I looked back and could hardly see the entrance to the tunnel clearly. Xiaoyang became more and more anxious and continued shouting forward. Suddenly, the river water began to flow in again. Several cars shook. "What's going on?" Before Xiaoyang could react, the sudden surge of waves almost knocked him to the ground. Seeing the water level rising again, Xiaoyang didn't hesitate anymore. He strode forward, shouting Lin Qiyu's name. On this side, Lin Qiyu looked around but still couldn't see Xiaoyang. Coupled with the sudden rise in the river water, her heart suddenly tightened. Just at this moment, a wave suddenly surged over and hit the car windows, as if giving the two cars a hard slap in the face. The car also shook. Lin Qiyu was completely panicked. She tried hard to push open the car door and get out of this cage. But no matter how hard she tried, the car door couldn't be moved at all. With a look of fear on her face, she pushed all the doors of the car hard. "Can't open." She seemed to be imprisoned in a cage. In just a moment, a feeling of despair rose in Lin Qiyu's heart, and tears suddenly burst out of her eyes. At this moment, a voice suddenly fell into my ears. "Lin Qiyu. Is it Lin Qiyu?" She turned her head and saw Xiaoyang patting a red car and calling her name anxiously. "Xiaoyang! Xiaoyang, I'm here! Xiaoyang, save me!" Lin Qiyu cried out at the top of her lungs with tears in her eyes. After hearing this, Xiaoyang ran over quickly. "Lin Qiyu! Xiaoyang, save me!" Wu The two of them stood apart from each other through the window. Xiao Yang looked at the river water that was almost reaching his chest and let out a long sigh. Don't cry, I will rescue you right away. Xiao Yang frowned slightly. And he hurriedly pulled the handlebars outside the car. I can't open it, Xiao Yang. That door can't be opened. It can't be opened. Xiao Yang used a little more strength. But the car door remained motionless. Seeing this, Lin Qiu became even more anxious and shouted in panic. Save me, Xiao Yang, save me. For a moment, Rong Yusei's face was full of tears. Don't be anxious. Seeing this, Xiao Yang swung his elbow and hit the car window. Bang! Xiao Yang's elbows were a little numb, but the car window remained as steady as a rock. Wait a minute. Xiao Yang took a deep breath and ran away quickly. Who has a hammer? Lend it to me. He ran around and asked everyone. Lin Qiu looked at Xiao Yang, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably, but her heart was still filled with warmth. She sobbed, but stopped crying and waited for Xiao Yang. Do you have a hammer? Xiao Yang hit each car. No hammer. Neither do I. Wait for the rescue team. Some people were in the car but didn't make any noise. Why are you so careless? What if the water floods over the roof of the car? Xiao Yang reminded him and rushed to the next car, asking again and again. Chapter 168. Come up quickly. Why don't you even bring a hammer when you drive? Xiao Yang cursed. He didn't dare run too far, for fear that something unexpected might happen to Lin Qiu. Suddenly something seemed to trip Xiao Yang, and he almost fell down. He reached down and immediately felt a handlebar. Shared bikes. Xiao Yang took a deep breath and immersed himself in the muddy water. When he stood up again, he was carrying a shared bicycle on his back. At this moment, Lin Qiu was still sobbing in the distance. Her face flushed with a hint of relief, but she felt relieved when she thought that Xiao Yang had arrived. But after a while, when he saw Xiao Yang again, he saw him carrying a shared bicycle, and immediately called out, Xiao Yang, I'm here. I know. Xiao Yang shouted loudly, afraid that Lin Qiu and the car couldn't hear him. You move back, move to the back seat. Lin Qiu immediately crawled to the back seat. Xiao Yang didn't waste any time and climbed directly onto the hood of the car and slammed the shared bike into the windshield of the vehicle. Bang! There was a loud bang. Xiao Yang's arms were already a little frozen, and this shock almost made them numb. He didn't stop and smashed it down again. The vehicle shook and suddenly moved backwards. Xiao Yang almost slipped. Be careful, Xiao Yang. Lin Qiu's face was full of worry. Xiao Yang smiled slightly and smashed it down again. Finally, the mirror was shattered all over the floor. Xiao Yang threw the shared bicycle aside. Chihuahua? Come out. Xiao Yang stretched out his hand. Lin Qiu quickly crawled over and held Xiao Yang's hand tightly. Be careful, don't slip. This car hood is very slippery. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh, and with some effort, he pulled Lin Qiu out of the car. Wait a minute. Xiao Yang got out of the car and handed the umbrella he had used to explore the way to Lin Qiu. Lin Qiu didn't understand and looked at the umbrella with a bewildered look. But Xiao Yang suddenly turned his back. Come up, the river is too cold. I'll carry you out. Lin Qiu stretched out his hand. As soon as his hand touched the river water, he quickly pulled it back. You can't feel it inside the car, but when you get outside, the temperature drops suddenly. She was immediately moved. Xiao Yang waded through such a deep and cold river. You can imagine how uncomfortable he feels now. Her face was full of tears. And she said softly, Xiao Yang, stop talking nonsense and come up quickly. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. Lin Qiu immediately climbed onto Xiao Yang's back. But in this case, half of your body will still be immersed in water. Xiao Yang hesitated and asked, when you were a child, did your father take you riding a horse? Lin Qiu was stunned. Sit on my head. As the voice fell, Lin Qiu's face suddenly turned red. It's not because of the cold that her face turns red, but because of shyness. Sitting on Xiao Yang's head. Of course she knew what riding was, but, hurry up. Lin Qiu had no choice but to climb onto Xiao Yang's head. But at this time, Xiao Yang stopped again. I saw him take off his coat. Twist it. Suddenly, it was full of water stains. Xiao Yang handed it to Lin Qiu and said slowly, it's raining outside. This umbrella broke when we were exploring the road just now. We will use it again next time. Hold the umbrella over your head to avoid getting wet in the rain. Lin Qiu was stunned for a moment and took the coat. The coat is completely wet, but it is not a big problem as it can keep out the wind and rain. Lin Qiu looked at Xiao Yang wearing only a thin piece of underwear, and tears immediately began to flow. Hurry up, Ollie. You want to freeze me to death. Lin Qiu sobbed and climbed onto Xiao Yang's head. Well, skirt. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. Lin Qiu stepped forward and was immediately covered by the long skirt. Suddenly, everything went dark before my eyes. As for why it is dark, it is because the one inside, black. It was such a cold day. so Xiaoyang naturally didn't think much about it. Lin Qiu's face turned red. When she thought that Xiaoyang's head was under her skirt, her face turned red. She quickly pulled the hem of her skirt back, sat on Xiaoyang's shoulders, and then put her coat over her head. There was a chilly wind and she felt a little cold. Although the coat was a little wet, it blocked a lot of the cold wind and kept her a lot warmer. On the other hand, Xiaoyang thought that although Lin Qiu was a girl and petite, she was not light. Sitting directly on his shoulders was quite a burden. In addition, Xiaoyang's legs and feet were already so frozen that he had to rely entirely on willpower to walk. This also made him gasp. Sit down. Yeah, Lin Qiu nodded. Xiaoyang grabbed her long legs with one hand to prevent her from falling. He took the umbrella with his other hand and slowly walked forward. At this moment, Lin Qiu looked down. She couldn't see Xiaoyang's entire face, but she knew how difficult it was for Xiaoyang to walk. She slowly said, "Why don't I go by myself?" "No." Xiaoyang refused directly. "The river is too cold and deep. If you freeze, I won't carry you on my back again." "Xiaoyang," Lin Qiu called softly, her heart full of emotion. Xiaoyang walked forward with a tired face, without thinking too much in his mind. He just wanted to get out apart from the tunnel of several hundred meters. There was a disaster area of nearly 1,000 meters outside. He now truly understood why this place was marked as a disaster-stricken area in the city planning map. "Xiaoyang. Thank you. It's so kind of you. Xiaoyang. Stop talking, I need to adjust my breathing." Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. Talking again would be very physically demanding. Lin Qiu was suddenly speechless and could only hold Xiaoyang's head with a happy look on her face. Here, Xiaoyang finally walked out of the tunnel. But this just came out. A gust of cold wind blew, and I shivered suddenly. It's much colder outside than in the tunnel. Lin Qiu did the same and immediately took a breath of cold air. At this moment, there is still a vast ocean outside. Lin Qiu almost cried when she saw this scene. I thought the inside of the tunnel was hell and the outside was heaven. But here, there is still a pool of water that stretches as far as the eye can see. It was hard for her to imagine that Xiaoyang had come this far step by step in this way. Xiaoyang walked very slowly. Lin Qiu remained silent. The tears could not stop flowing from her eyes, and her body was shaking as she tried not to cry out loud. Xiaoyang didn't know what Lin Qiu was doing, but she was shaking like that and he felt uncomfortable walking. "Lin Qiu, what are you doing?" Lin Qiu looked confused. The next second, Xiaoyang's big hand suddenly fell down. Crisp sound. Lin Qiu's face suddenly became shy, because Xiaoyang reached directly into the hem of her skirt to take the photo. "Stop moving around. Soft to the touch." Xiaoyang was also much more energetic at this moment. He then helped Lin Qiu move further and asked her to adjust her sitting position to avoid falling again. Chapter 116. Scene small break. A full half hour. Xiaoyang finally walked out of the several hundred meters distance. And the rain, as if out of pity for the disaster, finally subsided. After leaving the pool, Lin Qiu got off Xiaoyang. The two of them quickly found a place to shelter from the rain. As soon as he reached under the eaves, Xiaoyang flopped down and sat down on the ground. Lin Qiu looked at Xiaoyang with pity, only to see that his brows were slightly frowned, but there was not much expression on his face. Seeing Lin Qiu like this, he smiled at her and said, "It's okay." As he spoke, Xiaoyang stretched out his hand and wanted to rub Lin Qiu's head out of habit. But looking at my own hands, I decided to give up. Xiaoyang rolled up his trouser legs and took off his shoes. Crash! His shoes were full of muddy water. Xiaoyang poured it out and twisted his trouser legs. "Your feet." Lin Qiu looked over. Xiaoyang's feet were already shocking. We rode non-stop for more than an hour, and the river water was icy cold. Xiaoyang's feet had been soaked beyond recognition, with white legs and feet, and no trace of their original appearance could be seen at all. Lin Qiu was filled with heartache and couldn't stop crying. "Why are you crying again?" Xiaoyang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lin Qiu suddenly threw her head into Xiaoyang's arms. "Dirty?" Xiaoyang pulled Lin Qiu away. My whole body was soaked in the river water, and my white clothes were all wet and covered with mud. Lin Qiu bit her lip lightly and quickly put the coat that she had just used to keep out the rain on Xiaoyang. But even so, Xiaoyang was not feeling much better. His whole body was trembling, and he didn't know whether it was because of tiredness or cold. "Let's find a place to clean up first. It would be difficult to go back in this state." Xiaoyang took a glance. Fortunately, although this is still Gongming district, it is better there is a small hotel open in the distance. It is not big, but it is also a place to stay. Xiaoyang stood up, but the next second, his legs went limp. My legs and feet were frozen, and when I sat down, I felt a little numb. Seeing this, Lin Qiu hurriedly helped Xiaoyang up. Xiaoyang smiled bitterly and sat down again. He rubbed his legs and feet, and then he felt better. Seeing this, Lin Qiyu lowered her head and actually blew on Xiaoyang's legs. What are you doing? Xiaoyang said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Uff. Let's go, you idiot. Xiaoyang frowned slightly and stood up. Seeing this, Lin Qiyu hurriedly supported Xiaoyang. The two rushed towards the hotel again. I don't know if it's because of the disaster site, but there are quite a lot of people in the hotel. Many of them have anxious looks on their faces, looking at the rainy outside with gloomy faces. There is only one single room. It's okay, let's get a single room. After checking in and entering the room, I finally felt a lot more comfortable. You wash first. Lin Qiyu looked at Xiaoyang, whose whole body was still wet, and spoke directly. Good. Xiaoyang didn't hesitate and went straight into the bathroom. Just by seeing this bathroom, he finally understood why it only cost $80 to rent a room. This place is very small, with only one restaurant. Xiaoyang pushed the door, trying to close the bathroom door. But then I found out that the door was broken. Wow! This little broken door. Xiaoyang cursed. What's wrong? This bathroom door. Xiaoyang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Seeing this, Lin Qiyu immediately understood what it meant. A room in this small hotel is indeed a bit small. The entire room consisted of a bed, a bathroom, and a single TV not far away that couldn't be turned on. And this bathroom is facing the bed. For a moment, Lin Qiyu turned her head away with a red face. You wash it. I won't peek. Xiaoyang looked helpless. But he also knew that if he kept wearing these wet clothes, he would probably get seriously ill sooner or later. He had no choice but to take off his clothes first. Bedside. Hearing the sound under the clothes, Lin Qiyu's face became even hotter. Inside, the sound of water was getting louder and louder. Xiaoyang made a comfortable sound. The main reason was that I had been soaking in the cold river water for half a day. So taking a hot bath was really too comfortable. However, Lin Qiyu, upon hearing the sound, immediately leaned over with his curious little head. This time he could see Xiaoyang's entire figure clearly. A strong figure. Lin Qiyu's face suddenly turned red and she turned her head away. Then he couldn't help but steal a glance out of the corner of his eye. Xiaoyang has a great figure, Lin Qiyu murmured. Then he quickly covered his eyes with his hands. Don't look at it. It will cause sty. That being said, the gaps between her fingers were slightly too wide. Xiaoyang had his back to the door from beginning to end. He only knew that as long as Lin Qiyu turned her head, she could see every move in the bathroom. And the bathroom door. Not to mention closing it, I'm afraid it will fall down if I move it. He could only force himself to forget about Lin Qiyu and slowly started washing. Finally finished washing. But looking at that pile of clothes, the problem arises again. No clean clothes to change into. He immediately gasped. What should I do about this? The towel next to it looks clean. There was no choice but for Xiaoyang to wrap the towel around his waist and walk out of the bathroom. What then? I have no clothes to change. Xiaoyang smiled bitterly and said helplessly. Oh, I see. At this moment, Lin Qiyu's face and neck were all flushed red. She turned her head away and spoke incoherently. Xiaoyang said again. Can you find someone to deliver the clothes over? Who are you looking for? Xiaoyang thought about it and decided to look for Xiaoyang. He shook his head. How can I pick up the clothes when I am like this? Why don't you find your roommate, and then you can go downstairs to pick him up when the time comes? Xiaoyang said helplessly. Okay. Lin Qiyu picked up the phone and called Li Shaikan. Shaikan, please bring me 2 pieces of clothing. Well, don't ask why there are 2 pieces. Well, hurry up. After hanging up the phone, Lin Qiyu turned her head away. I'll go downstairs to get the clothes later. I won't wash them yet. She blushed and spoke softly. Good. You're cold. Get under the quilt first. Xiaoyang nodded and huddled into the quilt. There was something wrong with the atmosphere in the air. Xiaoyang looked at Lin Qiyu, then looked at the bathroom door which could not be closed. And suddenly some strange images emerged in his mind. Under the quilt, Xiaoyang rubbed his temple. I cursed myself secretly. You really want to exercise again, right? Chapter 170. The Fang family collapses. Xiaoyang still felt a little uncomfortable at this time. Lin Qiyu was right beside the bed, while she was curled up naked in the quilt. If soaking in the river just now was considered very cold, and now Xiaoyang felt hot all over. He had been trying to restrain himself from thinking about those things. But Lin Qiyu's figure always appeared in his mind. Not to mention that she was right in front of him. Alack. He recalled the scene when Lin Qiyu rode over to him. I thought a cute and pure girl like Lin Qiyu would choose pure white. I didn't expect that this bold black lace is her taste. Xiaoyang shook his head and cleared them all out. Lin Qiyu was silent at this moment, as if he was thinking about some things in the past. Xiaoyang, thank you. Fine. Actually, even if I didn't go, I should be fine. The rescue team has already rushed over. Yeah, but I was scared at the time. I thought I was going to die. It's great to have you here. Lin Qiyu bit her lips lightly and murmured. At this moment, Xiao Yang suddenly felt his nose itchy. The next second, he sneezed loudly. Lin Qiyu turned around and Xiao Yang frowned slightly. After soaking in cold water for so long and getting caught in the rain, it was normal to catch a cold, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon. I have a cold. Yes, before he could finish the word, Xiao Yang sneezed again. He suddenly felt helpless. His nose just felt itchy and he couldn't help it. Lin Qiyu hurried over and touched Xiao Yang's forehead. Just don't have a fever. Please don't feed me anymore. Xiao Yang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But I asked Shaikao to come over. She can bring some medicine with her. Xiao Yang nodded. Although Xiao Yang and Lin Qiyu have known each other for a long time, this is not the right time and neither of them knows what to say. Xiao Yang reached out and took the remote control from the table. The only thing here, besides the bed and the bathroom, is a TV. The TV is a bit old, but it doesn't matter much as the picture is clear. After watching the news for a while, the atmosphere became a little better. The day's news is almost all about Gongming district. Lin Qiyu was also puzzled at the moment and asked. I heard that the Jiangdu Dam cost billions to build. And it was built with the most solid and advanced materials. It is one of the 5 largest dams in China. How could it burst? Xiao Yang nodded, also a little confused. This is in an interview room. An elderly professor is sitting aside, ready to answer the host's questions. It was introduced that this person was an expert in water affairs and a university professor of hydraulic engineering, and was considered an authoritative figure. Xiao Yang no longer had any other thoughts and just focused on watching. At present, the water conservancy of Jiangdu Dam is very solid. It uses the most advanced construction technology, although it has been used for more than 10 or 20 years. It is definitely not something that can be restored by a heavy rain. The professor's idea was naturally unanimously recognized by everyone. It's just that the host asked a key question. That is, now, the dam has collapsed. Yes, no matter how much you talk, the dam still collapsed. So you think that a 1,000-mile dam can be destroyed by an anthole? I was also involved in the original construction plan and was one of the designers at the time. We were very rigorous in the dam project and worked on it for a very long time. In the initial conceptual drawings, the professor began to talk non-stop again. So it could be a problem with the contractor? For a moment, the host and the professor were silent for several seconds. Shouldn't a project like this be constructed and implemented by the relevant infrastructure departments? Lin Qiyu asked curiously. Xiao Yang nodded. That was indeed the case. But why did the host say it was the contractor's problem? He didn't need to answer, the professor had already given the answer. At the beginning, our engineering construction was not that advanced. We were still learning and experimenting. However, the contractor Fangxing Engineering mastered the most advanced construction engineering technology in the country. They invited relevant experts from the United States. Only then did Xiao Yang understand. The reason for outsourcing was that the technology was not cutting edge enough at the time. And the technology of private enterprises was more advanced. Xiao Yang frowned slightly. Fangxing Engineering. Square. No way. At this time, on the other side. Fang Group. At this moment, Fang Zhen was slumped in his boss's chair. He didn't utter a word for a long time. His temples were gray and his eyes were deeply sunken, making him look like an old man in his twilight years. Fang Zhen waved his hand, signaling Fang Jingyang to be quiet. He sighed and said slowly, Jiangdu Dam. It's the Fang family's heaven. If it falls, the Fang family will fall. Fang Jingyang was stunned and didn't react. The Jiangdu Dam was originally built by our Fang family. It was that project that allowed the Fang family to reach its current position. Fang Zhen took a breath, as if breathing had become a very difficult thing. I was about your age at that time, and I had just returned from the United States. Jiangdu Dam is the first project I took over the Fang family. The voice fell. Fang Jingyang knew about this, and he understood why his father was so desperate. But how could the Jiangdu Dam collapse? Fang Jingyang asked in confusion. Isn't our engineering technology the most advanced? Speaking of this, Fang Zhen frowned slightly. After a long while, he slowly said, that's what I thought at the time. But when the dam was being built, something went wrong. He slowly recalled. That engineer from the United States was not very skilled. I was young at the time and I trusted him. Later, when it was halfway through construction, some minor problems were discovered, but he swore that there were no problems at all. If we stop at that time, the entire project will not be delivered on time, the cost will increase exponentially, and even the entire project will be transferred to other hands. So, he let out a long sigh, as if regretting it, but his expression became a little sharper, and it seemed that he did not have much remorse. Of course, if there hadn't been that engineer, there would be no Fang family today, and Fang Zhen would not have his current status. Then during the inspection, the one who accepted it is from our Fang family. Fang Zhen shook his head helplessly. Just then, a group of people suddenly broke into Fang Zhen's office. Who are you? Fang Jingyang frowned. How could someone break in without anyone notifying him? Hello Mr. Fang, we are from the security department. After the voice fell, Fang Zhen completely collapsed in the chair, unable to utter a word. Chapter 171 Social Death Scene. Fang Zhen was taken away. Fang Jingyang was still in shock. Fang Zhen did not make any resistance during the whole process and was dragged out of the company like a puddle of mud. After a long time, Fang Jingyang finally relaxed and sat on the sofa in the reception room. It only took less than a day. From high-spirited to dejected. I am the future head of the Fang family, what should I do? Fang Jingyang frowned and picked up the phone. It is almost common knowledge that the Jiangdu Dam was built by the Fang family. After these things happened, the first thing to do is to report to the superiors. Now that my father has been asked to leave, let's not talk about the higher-ups for now. The key is how to create good public opinion below. The second is the land in Gongming district. He originally thought that it was the capital that would help him climb to a high position, but he didn't expect it would drag him down into hell. Let the public relations department quickly resolve this matter and lower the level of public opinion. Hurry up! Fang Jingyang made several phone calls in succession before he calmed down. He did everything he could. But that's all. The only hope is that Gongming district can be restored to its original state as soon as possible. But do you still want this land? He doesn't know. Just then, several people suddenly broke into the company. They went straight to Fang Jingyang's office. Before Fang Jingyang could recover from the shock, someone suddenly rushed up and punched him. Third uncle. Fang Jingyang covered his swollen face and looked at the people in front of him. These are all people from the Fang family. He is also a shareholder of Fang Group. The swelling on his face from being hit by Xiao Yang had not yet subsided when another punch came down. And Fang Jingyang looked like a pig's head. Don't call me third uncle. You and your father are not good people. The Fang family will ruin you sooner or later. Yeah, that's what your dad promised us. That's right. Especially after you came up, you took the land in the XC district without our knowledge. Not only did we lose hundreds of billions, but now the land in the Gongming district is also rotten. Where's Fang Zhen? Come out and give us an explanation. You old bastard, you took our money and squandered it all, didn't you? Fang Jingyang looked at the people in front of him, his face full of surprise. Before this, no one who saw their father would not affectionately call him Big Brother. It wasn't long before they all started calling each other by their first names. In fact, over the years, these uncles and aunts have made a lot of money from dividends alone, and they have frequent interactions with each other on a daily basis. And each of them tries to curry favor with Fang Zhen and his son. But now that the incident has happened, they no longer act like relatives, and they almost wolf Fang Jingyang down. Let's divide the family now and give us the money. Yeah, you guys use your money. You can lose however you want, but what you're investing now is also our money. At this moment, everyone was so angry that they wanted Fang Jingyang to split up the family. Although he has been in the company for 2 years, he has seen a lot of the world. But in this situation, he was completely helpless. Just now I was thinking about asking these relatives to take out some money to support the Fang Group so that this big ship can continue to sail. But now, how can we continue to operate it? Fang Jingyang felt a headache. And he waved his hands and said, Uncle San, Aunt Liu, listen to me, my dad has just been taken away. Before he could finish his words, another slap suddenly fell and hit him hard in the face. Fang Jingyang stared with wide eyes at his sixth aunt, who had treated him like her own son since childhood. His head was buzzing, as if everything had disappeared. He wanted to say something else, but after a moment, he fell to the ground and fainted. On the other side, Lin Qiu's roommate Li Shaikan had already delivered the clothes. Lin Qiu went downstairs to get the clothes. Seeing Lin Qiu's miserable appearance, Li Shaikan finally spoke up. What's wrong with you? Are you okay? It's okay, where are the clothes? I have it. Why did you ask me to bring the clothes over? Lin Qiu took the clothes and explained. Didn't I drive here to pick up my friend at the airport? I didn't expect the dam to burst, trapping me in the tunnel. I just got out, so I need to change my clothes. Oh, I got the call, no wonder you wanted 2 sets of clothes. I picked out 2 of your favorite dresses. Lin Qiu was stunned for a moment, slapped his head, and then he remembered. When I asked Li Shaikan to deliver clothes, I didn't mention men's or women's clothes. What's wrong? Is the clothes not suitable? Li Shaikan asked puzzled Li when she saw this. It should be suitable, he is just a little bit taller than me. Lin Qiu rubbed his head and said, that's good. Okay, how about I wait for you downstairs? I'll take you back after I've packed up. Li Shaikan asked with concern. No need, you go back first. Lin Qiu said with a flushed face. Xiaoyang was curled up in bed at the moment, with only a towel covering his body. As for the original clothes, they probably can't be worn anymore. At this time, the door opened and Lin Qiu walked in with clothes. Did you get the clothes? Lin Qiu glanced at Xiaoyang out of the corner of her eye, not quite sure what to say. I'm telling that what I brought him were women's clothes. Lin Qiu let out a long sigh, but the image of Xiaoyang putting on his clothes had already appeared in his mind. A handsome Xiaoyang in a skirt. Doesn't that mean? She wiped the saliva that was about to flow down, and her original nervousness turned into anticipation. Xiaoyang didn't understand what was going on, so he just took the package that Lin Qiu handed over. He just flipped through it, and his face was filled with black lines. This? Well, I forgot to tell Xiaoyang that what she brought were all my clothes, Lin Qiu said with a blushing face. The corner of Xiaoyang's mouth twitched. And then he picked up a small delicate strip of cloth. This. Lin Qiu looked over and quickly snatched the small piece of cloth away. Li Xiaoyang, how could you bring this thing here? This. No, it should be a set. Lin Qiu looked over again and saw that Xiaoyang had another shirt of the same style in his hand. Xiaoyang's face turned slightly red. The material is good. Well, other than that, I didn't expect that Lin Qiu's ordinary figure actually had a lot of hidden beauty. This is not much smaller than Zhang Yan, and it can even be said to be older than many girls. A set of clothes was snatched away by Lin Qiu, and her face turned red, which was a scene of social death. This is her underwear. When she thought about how these things were in Xiaoyang's hands, she wished she could dig a hole in the ground and put her head in it. Of course, the most important thing is, this set is her most daring set of underwear. It is simply. Lin Qiu secretly glanced at Xiaoyang. He wouldn't think I'm a casual girl, would he? But it wouldn't matter if he didn't look at it. Once he did, Lin Qiu was completely stunned. I saw that Xiaoyang had a set of small white cloth strips in his hand. Chapter 170 to Chapter 170 to be frank. So, you plan to let me wear this? Xiaoyang's mouth twitched. He really couldn't imagine what it would be like to wear a long skirt. Don't worry, it's better than just going out like this. Lin Qiu waved his hand and secretly glanced at Xiaoyang. Why do I feel like you are expecting something? Xiaoyang saw through the little girl's thoughts at a glance. Of course, the most important thing is that the women's clothing task in the system in my mind is still there. Lin Qiu, don't tell me you didn't do this on purpose. Xiaoyang looked at the long skirt and was afraid that it would become a short skirt when he put it on. He let out a long sigh, still showing some resistance. I can get a silky skirt, I don't know why, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to your mom. I'm not looking forward to women's clothing. Xiaoyang picked up a long skirt reluctantly. But even if you wear a long skirt, the problem is this small hollow strip of cloth. What to do? Can this be worn? Xiaoyang immediately gave up struggling. Lin Qiu covered her face and said, it's okay, just put it on. Xiaoyang stroked his forehead with a helpless look on his face. At this time, Lin Qiu was not feeling well either. Although Xiaoyang had put a coat on her to keep the rain out, she still got wet. Coupled with the weather, I sneezed immediately. And it didn't stop there, he sneezed several times in a row. When he looked at Xiaoyang again, his face was already red and he looked extremely aggrieved. Ooh, I have a cold too. Go take a shower and change clothes first. Xiaoyang said helplessly. Lin Qiu looked at the bathroom door and her face suddenly became full of shyness. How do I wash this? Xiaoyang only needs to take a glance too. Lin Qiu glanced at Xiaoyang shyly, and the latter snorted. Go ahead, I won't peek at you. Lin Qiu glanced at Xiaoyang, let out a long sigh, and then took off her belt. Xiaoyang said that he would not peek. But his willpower was still a little weak and he could not help but glance over. Big's smooth back appeared in front of him, and for a moment, Xiaoyang couldn't take his eyes away. Although he had just had sex with Zhang Yan, Xiaoyang still felt overwhelmed with desire at this moment. Black. Set lace. Lin Qiu at this moment is very different from her usual self. And the black suit adds a bit of mystery. Ying Li's figure is not as petite and cute as usual, and even has a bit of sexiness. Although her figure is not as perfect as Zhang Yan's. The more so, the more active Xiaoyang's mind becomes. If Lin Qiu was still wearing that pink long dress and that cute style, Xiaoyang might have controlled his emotions. But even so, Xiaoyang felt that he was always being provoked to burn with anger. He licked his dry lips and looked at her longingly. Just then, a look came over. Xiaoyang was caught off guard and quickly turned his head away. But this scene still fell into Lin Qiu's eyes, and she bit her red lip slightly. Only one small piece of cloth was left. In fact, there is not much that the small strip of cloth can block. She turned slightly sideways and looked at Xiaoyang for several seconds, covering her chest with her arms. Xiaoyang glanced over from the corner of his eye, only to see Lin Qiu still staring at him. Lin Qiu's arms are very thin and can't block much. The scene that had appeared in my mind before now appeared before my eyes. He was so absorbed in the thought for a moment that he was a little overwhelmed. Xiaoyang. Ah. Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment. Then he realized that all his actions were probably under Lin Qiu's eyes. I promise not to peek. At this moment, Lin Qiu seemed to be full of temptation all over her body, which made people imagine a lot. If you want to see it, go ahead. Lin Qiu's voice fell. Her face was still flushed and she was full of shyness. Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment, but so Lin Qiu suddenly turned around and put down his arm. Xiaoyang was stunned on the spot, his mind went blank. As if time had stopped and everything in the world had disappeared like smoke, leaving only this graceful body in his eyes. After all, Xiaoyang is a man who has seen the world, especially someone as experienced as Zhang Yan. But Lin Qiu still made him sigh that he had seen too little of the world. Lin Qiu's eyes drooped, shy and about to bloom, her mouth slightly opened, and she whispered vaguely, "Does it look good?" "Good. Looks good." Xiaoyang took a breath of cold air, glanced at the small piece of cloth beside him, and sighed, "Don't wear it too tight in the future. It's not good for your health, it will be very uncomfortable." Lin Qiu, I naturally know what Xiaoyang meant. It was no wonder that she felt shy with Xiaoyang bragging about how old he was. If it were someone else, this once aloof principal would probably give him a slap in the face. But this was what Xiaoyang said, and Lin Qiu didn't know why, but she felt a little secretly happy. She turned her head away and whispered, "I'm going to take a shower." Xiaoyang's breathing became rapid. This is no longer a peek, this is a look openly. And he could also see that at this moment Lin Qiu's body was trembling slightly. Her hand was placed next to the small strip of cloth and she just pulled it gently. All the defenses were gone at this moment, and Xiaoyang no longer had any privacy. Lin Qiu let out a light breath. She also doesn't know whether her choice is right or wrong, but she doesn't regret it. In fact, if Xiaoyang wanted to, he would have already done it when he was in the villa. But this place? She took a deep breath. As for Xiaoyang, he also took a deep breath. He was also trembling, not knowing what Lin Qiu was going to do. The hot water slowly sprinkled on Lin Qiu, holy and beautiful under the dim light. Suddenly, she screamed. Hastily backed away from the shower. The weather was cold and the hot water fell to the ground, causing bursts of white mist. Xiaoyang heard the scream and hurriedly got up and rushed in. "What's wrong? Did you get burned? The water is so hot," Lin Qiu said while biting her red lips. Under the light of the water, her white shoulders gradually turned rosy and extremely charming. Xiaoyang looked at Sa, not knowing whether to laugh or cry, and said, "Who told you to turn it up so hot? You should turn it down a little. Then you won't get burned, right?" Xiaoyang boiled some water and tested the temperature. Turning around again, I saw Lin Qiu standing there in a daze. The two looked at each other, and time seemed to stand still. The hot water was still dripping, sprinkling on Xiaoyang. Only then did he realize that he was not wearing anything either. At this moment, the two of them had lost all disguises and appeared alone in front of each other. I didn't mean to." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Qiu's red lips were imprinted on Xiaoyang's lips. He widened his eyes in disbelief. The bathroom was filled with smoke and the two were lost in it. For a long time, Lin Qiu walked out of the bathroom with a red face. She washed her hands several times, feeling indescribable in her heart. Xiaoyang looked relieved. He didn't expect that Lin Qiu would choose to use her hands in the end. "Let's go back. This isn't the right place." Lin Qiu covered her head with her hands, feeling extremely shy. Xiaoyang nodded and let out a long sigh. In the end, he chose to follow his heart. "I want them all." Thinking about how Zhang Yan was by his side a few hours ago, he didn't know what to say for a moment. Chapter 173 Li Shikaun. "You are such a good person." Lin Qiu put on a long skirt and felt chilly under it. "It's so cold outside, why wear this?" Xiaoyang couldn't help but admire these girls' antifreeze physique. In the face of the cold wind, any drop in temperature was nothing. Lin Qiu blushed with shame, the only scene in the bathroom in her mind. It was only when Xiaoyang placed the small piece of cloth in front of her that she reacted. "Just wear this." No. Lin Qiu's face was suddenly covered with little red spots, and she was extremely shy. This worn in front of Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang looked at Lin Qiu, his eyebrows raised, and he felt his blood boiling. Lin Qiu took it and then put it on gently under Xiaoyang's gaze. The rope was tied, and the whole process was under Xiaoyang's eyes. The skirt is lowered. Xiaoyang's throat trembled and he felt a little thirsty. What should I do? He looked at the other small piece of cloth with a puzzled look. This. Lin Qiu took out two pairs of black safety pants. Xiaoyang once deeply agreed with a comment, thinking that inventing this thing was simply a lack of trust in boys. What is this invention? But now, he really has to thank the person who invented this thing. At least there won't be that feeling of cold eggs. Xiao Yang fiddled with her long skirt, speechless. Lin Qiyu thought about it. Then suddenly slapped her thigh and turned Xiao Yang's face around. What are you doing? Makeup. Makeup? Lin Qiyu took out another makeup box. The eyebrow pencil lightly touched the corner of Xiao Yang's eyebrow. And Xiao Yang was a little at a loss. Xiao Yu. Don't move. Lin Qiyu chuckled. Since Lin Qiyu said so, Xiao Yang could only quietly let Lin Qiyu fiddle with him. After all, she has already used her hands, so I can't just ignore her on such a small matter. Lin Qiyu took another comb and slowly tidied Xiao Yang's bangs. Looking around. Next, eyeliner. Lipstick. Xiao Yang didn't know what Lin Qiyu was going to do. It was not until half an hour later that Lin Qiyu nodded with satisfaction. Okay, well done, Lin Qiyu. Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment, not understanding what it meant. Xiao Yang was completely stunned until a small mirror appeared in front of him. A person in the mirror had a delicate complexion, red lips, white teeth, and charming phoenix eyes. What the hell is this? Liozi? Aha! Lin Qiyu smiled and took out his cell phone. Lin Qiyu, what are you going to do? Take a photo. No. Xiao Yang refused on the spot. Colonel Xiao. Don't be shy. Lin Qiyu stuck out her tongue. Xiao Yang almost vomited blood. Colonel Xiao? Good job. He couldn't help but think of the face he had just seen in the mirror. Yes, Colonel Xiao. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong. On the contrary, with Lin Qiyu's skillful hands, the short bangs added a bit of beauty. In general, there's nothing wrong with describing it as heroic and valiant. I am a man. Xiao Yang snatched the phone away. No, damn, Lin Qiyu, I find that your idea is not right. But you are really beautiful. Lin Qiyu smiled. Xiao Yang's face suddenly turned black. Pretty? Just at this moment, the system's voice suddenly rang in my mind. Bite. Complete Lin Qiyu's special request task and get business opportunity card 1. Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment, but saw Lin Qiyu suddenly pounce on him, lying on him, and lightly tickling his chin with her fingers. My little beauty, you are so beautiful. Lin Qiyu. Xiao Yang exploded immediately. However, Lin Qiyu, the instigator, was laughing loudly at the side. No, hurry up, help me remove my makeup. Lin Qiyu shook her head, waved her fingers, and said with a smile, no, think about it. If you go out wearing a skirt now, it's nothing. But if you don't wear makeup, go out. The corner of Xiao Yang's mouth twitched. Yes, at least there is no sense of incongruity when going out like this. But if you go out without makeup, you will be socially unlucky. He will be arrested as a pervert. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh, temporarily accepting this setting. Okay, but you are not allowed to take pictures. It's not allowed to take secret photos either. Lin Qiyu nodded reluctantly. But the moment he picked up the phone, his hands moved extremely quickly. Contact. The sound of shutter clicks was heard. Lin Qiyu. Xiao Yang quickly tried to grab the phone. But Lin Qiyu was on guard and dodged it directly. Xiao Yang didn't give any face this time and raised his hand. Bang! The big hand fell on the buttocks. Lin Qiyu chuckled softly. Her face flushed. But the phone was held tightly in his hand, not giving Xiao Yang any chance to snatch it. Xiao Yang was not polite either. Bang bang bang. Several times. Lin Qiyu bit her red lips. Looking righteous and inspiring. Go ahead and hit me. I won't delete it anyway. You. Xiao Yang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So he stopped. How could he have the heart to do that? At this moment, Lin Qiyu started to chuckle as if his evil plan had succeeded. Don't show it to others. Don't worry. Lin Qiyu waved his hand to show his agreement. Turning around, Lin Qiyu found the photo and frowned. This photo doesn't look very good. Xiao Yang looked over. It's a little blurry and not in focus yet. But the face is still very clear. No, Xiao Yang, please don't move. Let me take a good picture. No, don't go too far, Lin Qiyu. Xiao Yang quickly refused. Lin Qiyu crawled over directly, lay on Xiao Yang, and said Kokathisly. Just one. No, not even one, forget it. Lin Qiyu pouted, took a step back, put her hands down, and didn't know what she was thinking. Suddenly Xiao Yang jumped up. Lin Qiyu, what are you doing? Lin Qiyu then noticed that her hand had grabbed. Reminds me of the scene in the bathroom. Xiao Yang suddenly became indignant again. He let out a long sigh. A handle fell into Lin Qiyu's hands. Of course, the evidence is not just the photos in Lin Qiyu's phone. Lin Qiyu smiled strangely, then suddenly whispered in Xiao Yang's ear. I'll just take a picture. Xiao Yang shook his head. How about this, I'll take a picture and then I'll help you use it. Lin Qiyu blushed and pointed at her red lips. She didn't know how this idea came to her. Is it because the experienced roommate mentioned by chance that men like this? In short, she regretted it as soon as she said it. Xiao Yang's face was full of surprise. Then a hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. But soon, Xiao Yang suppressed his excitement and said solemnly. Lin Q, who taught you this? No, I just heard from Li Shaikan that her boyfriend likes. Damn Li Shaikan. Xiao Yang's face was filled with anger. Li Shaikan. You are such a good person. Xiao Yang picked up his bangs and struck a pose that he thought was extremely charming. Come on, take your time. Chapter 170. For the two fathers-in-law got together. The rain has gradually subsided, and the drizzle seems to have cleansed the entire river. Zhang family. Zhang Yiming was sitting in his study at this time, his face full of shock. Fang Zhen, the patriarch of the Fang family, is the richest man in Jiangdu and a man who can call the shots in Jiangdu. Now he has been taken away by the relevant authorities. This news spread throughout Jiangdu within just half a day after Fang Zhen was arrested. And Zhang Yiming naturally knew some news. Jiangdu Dam. This is a project that the Fang family is proud of. He looked at the drizzle outside the window and suddenly remembered what Xiao Yang said 2 days ago. The bright district? Aha, that will only be the last straw that breaks the camel's back for the Fang family. I seem to hear Xiao Yang sneer in my ears. Until a few hours ago. You would never have thought that such a huge Fang family would collapse like this. Just as Xiao Yang said, Gongming district not only failed to become a bargaining chip for the Fang family's rise, but instead became the last straw that broke the camel's back. He didn't know how Xiao Yang calculated it. The dam collapsed and Gongming district was flooded. No one could have imagined that 3 days of heavy rain would lead to such a result. He let out a long sigh. On the desk were some information about the dam construction project that year. So, how did Xiao Yang calculate it? 3 days of heavy rain. There's something wrong with the dam. He knew it clearly a long time ago. But how could he have predicted that the dam would collapse? Zhang Yiming frowned, feeling that Xiao Yang was becoming more and more mysterious. This incident alone is enough to make me look at myself in a new light. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Originally they wanted to force Zhang Yan to marry into the Fang family, thinking that they could curry favor with them, but not long after that, Fang Zhen went to jail. The Fang family was devastated. But it was not easy to restore their former glory. On the contrary, it was Xiao Yang who had misjudged himself. If I hadn't stopped them and helped Xiao Yang and Zhang Yan to be together, I would probably have a wealthy and powerful son-in-law. Zhang Yiming rubbed his temples, thought about it, and made a phone call. In addition to Zhang Yiming, Lin Hanwen was also surprised at this time. Although Lin Hanwen had only returned to China not long ago, he knew some things. Everyone knows that the Fang family has connections in Jiangdu. But Xiao Yang angered and offended the Fang family again and again. And his background was mysterious. But the Fang family fell too quickly. How long has it been since the auction? The Fang family is no longer the Fang family that people look up to. The dam collapsed. This incident should have nothing to do with Xiao Yang. Lin Hanwen frowned slightly. If this matter is related to Xiao Yang, then Xiao Yang is too terrifying. Lin Hanwen took a sip of the wine, which he had brought from Xiao Yang's house earlier, but he didn't finish it. Thinking back to that day at the auction dinner, the events of that night are still vivid in my mind. He was sitting next to Xiao Yang now that he thought about it. Things seemed a little strange. From the beginning of the auction dinner, he had been arguing with Fang Jingyang almost all the time. But looking at the entire auction dinner, apart from humiliating Fang Jingyang, the biggest foreshadowing was to let Fang Jingyang bid for the land in Gongming district. If he remembered correctly, the moment Fang Jingyang bought the land, Xiao Yang seemed to be relieved, just like the look on his face when Fang Jingyang asked him to resell the land in District Texi to the Fang family. Others don't know, but Lin Hanwen knows. The matter of reselling land in the Xi district was basically instigated by Xiao Yang. Most importantly, he knew there was something wrong with the land without any investigation. So, could it be that he had also predicted what would happen in Gongming district? Did he raise the price that night because he was afraid that the Fang family would not fall into his trap? If this is true, Xiao Yang's ability is really frightening. It is impossible to predict the future. The only possibility is that Xiao Yang knew that there would be problems with the dam or problems in Gongming district. As to why he knew that is unknown. However, if people can achieve this, they can basically imagine some things on their own. For example, when the dam was being built, there were some insiders who knew that the dam had certain defects, and that these defects would erupt at the critical point. Coincidentally, Xiao Yang caught this message. As for the heavy rain in the past 3 days, that's even simpler. It is not difficult to know the natural weather forecast. Only, even if he knew this, would he dare to believe that the Fang family would definitely fall and the dam would definitely collapse? Wrong. Even if this is just a probabilistic event, it will be 100 benefits and no harm to Xiao Yang. Even if this heavy rain did not affect the Fang family, he still raised the price during the entire auction dinner. The Fang family spent nearly 10 or 20 billion more to get what they wanted. Therefore he didn't care whether his speculation was true or not. If it is true, the Fang family will fall. If it is not true, the Fang family will also suffer a loss, more than 10 or 20 billion. Lin Hanwen sipped another glass of wine thoughtfully. He remembered something he saw on Xiaoyang that day. I had always felt that Xiaoyang didn't look like a rich second generation. At least not like those playboys. Now it seems that he does not look like a second generation rich, but rather like a first generation rich. A hard-working and fearless first generation of rich people. Only, Zhang Yan Lingqiu. Lin Hanwen had a headache again. In fact, his divorce from Lingqiu's mother was also related to his own temperament to a certain extent, but I didn't expect that Xiaoyang also had the same temperament as me. The most important thing is that this involves his own daughter. As a father, Lin Hanwen naturally hopes that his daughter can find a good home. For example, Xiaoyang has courage, determination, and background. But now there is Zhang Yan. Thinking back, I also faced such a choice. And he chose the path that every man wants to take, which is to have it all. At present, it seems that this path is not feasible, and Lingqiu's family divorce has already proved this point. So here comes the question. What will Xiaoyang choose? What should I do? Let Lingqiu break up with Xiaoyang. As a father, there is certainly nothing wrong with doing this. But Lin Hanwen also knows that as a man, it is quite difficult to pass through the bushes without getting a single leaf on him. Wasn't that what I did at the beginning? But think about it. If Lingqiu leaves Xiaoyang, will she be able to find a better home? Headache. Lin Hanwen smiled bitterly, and finally understood why he had separated from Lingqiu's mother and left home. Just at this moment. Ding ding ding. The cell phone suddenly rang. Unknown caller. Lin Hanwen answered the phone. Hello? Is this Mr. Ellen from Hanwen Group? I am. I'm the chairman of Saya N Group. My name is Zhang Yiming. I've heard a lot about Mr. Ellen. Do you have time to come out for a cup of tea? When the voice fell, Lin Hanwen's face was full of shock, and then he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Xiaoyang. Your two fathers-in-law together. Lin Hanwen let out a long sigh and said with a smile. I have long heard of Mr. Zhang. His name, of course. I am free. I was thinking of paying a visit to Mr. Zhang when I have time. Chapter 175. When it rains, it pours. A certain hospital. Fang Jingyang opened his eyes with difficulty. At this moment, his face was bruised on the left and swollen on the right, looking exactly like a pig's head. He never thought that he would be beaten like this by his relatives. Fortunately, he fainted, otherwise he wouldn't know how to deal with this matter. He frowned, feeling that the Fang family's current situation was closely related to that kid Xiaoyang. But it is impossible to say that the heavy rain for these 3 days was planned by Xiaoyang. Fang Jingyang could only frown and think carefully. Just then, a woman walked in. Jingyang, you're awake. The woman looked happy. Mom. Fang's mother looked dejected. But she was still somewhat happy to see her son wake up. She called out to the bodyguard beside her. Call Jingyuan over here. His brother is in such a state. Why is he still staying at home? The bodyguard heard the voice and walked out silently. Mom, how long have I been unconscious? It didn't take long. Just 2 hours. Fang's mother sighed and said helplessly. I informed your father, but they kept their mouths shut and didn't reveal any information. I see. Fang Jingyang nodded and asked, what about the company's affairs? Those uncles? At this point, Fang's mother couldn't help but jump up. They are all a bunch of ungrateful people when we were in power. They all came to us shamelessly now. They all come to the company and say they want to separate. Fang Jingyang looked embarrassed, but continued, what about them now? There's no way this family is divided when you were making money. You came to share the money now that you're losing money. You come to divide the family. Where in the world can such a good thing happen? Fang Jingyang's face was heavy. He was afraid that it was impossible to get some money from these people to revive the Fang family. Just then, outside, Fang Jingyuan walked in nonchalantly, holding his cell phone. He glanced at his phone, somewhat reluctant to leave. But soon he pounced on Fang Jingyang. Brother, why are you like this? Who hit you? Fang Jingyang glanced at his brother and smiled. Brother is fine. Seeing his brother's concerned face, Fang Jingyang felt somewhat relieved. Fortunately, at least he still has a younger brother and a mother. And the Fang family will eventually rise. I'm glad you're okay. By the way, brother, I've seen a car recently. It's only about 10 million yuan. Can you help me buy one? Fang Jingyang's face suddenly darkened. Chuoan, the Fang family is at a critical moment right now. You should be more obedient. You will definitely not be able to buy a car. As soon as he finished speaking, Fang Jingyuan jumped up. What? It's only worth over 10 million yuan. What's wrong with buying it? Don't think I don't know that you were thinking of spending billions of dollars to buy a piece of jade for Zhang Yan at the auction. I am your brother after all, so it's fine if I don't fight with you for the family property. What's wrong with you giving me some change? Fang Jingyang immediately raised his head. with a much more gloomy look in his eyes. If it were normal times, Fang Jingyuan would probably restrain himself when seeing this. After all, Fang Jingyuan was still quite afraid of his brother. But it's different now. He then found out that his father had been arrested for some reason. The Fang family is now out of power, and Fang Jingyang was beaten into the hospital. A cunning look flashed across Fang Jingyuan's face. If it were in the past, he also knew that with his ability, he could never sit in the position of the Fang family. And at most he could be a rich second generation who lived a life of idleness and waiting for death. But things are different now. Just now, many uncles and aunts called me and claimed that they wanted to help me take over the Fang Group. Fang Group, the richest man in Zhongdu. As the second young master of the Fang Group, he certainly knew what being the head of the Fang family and the helmsman of the Fang Group meant. It represents huge wealth and tremendous power. He didn't fight before because his father favored his own brother. But now that my father is in jail, if those uncles help me get promoted, it will almost be a foregone conclusion. This time, Fang Jingyuan did not avoid his brother's gaze, but instead faced him directly. Fang Jingyang, you'd better not glare at Madon. Do you see what you look like now? The land in Gongming District, the land in XC District. Tell me how much money you made the Fang family lose. People often say that the capable ones are at the top. You have been the boss of the Fang family for several years. If that doesn't work, why don't you let me try with the Fang Group? At least I won't let the Fang family lose hundreds of billions all at once. Fang Jingyuan smiled contemptuously and continued. Every time I ask you for money, 1 million or 10 million. Damn it, I never had even 100 million in change from childhood to adulthood. And you, who are generous with money, gave 200 million to Xiaoyang for nothing, and even bought him a car and jade to give to that bitch from the Zhang family. Look at you now, the money is gone, but have you got the person? Everyone says that I, Fang Jingyuan, am a loser. I think you, Fang Jingyang, are the loser. Fang Jingyuan's words came out of his mouth. At the side, Fang Jingyang was completely stunned and couldn't believe that these were the words spoken by his brother. Fang's mother was standing by, her face also filled with surprise. Is this still my son? Fang Jingyang's face was gloomy and his body was shaking slightly. He was extremely angry. He looked at Fang Jingyuan, clenched his fists, and wanted to punch his dearest and most beloved brother. But he couldn't muster any strength, so he could only point outside and yell, "Get out! Who are you telling to get out?" Suddenly, someone walked in from outside. Excuse me, is this Ms. Fan Yui? Fang's mother looked up. This was her name. However, she was furious at the moment. One was her eldest son and the other was her youngest son. How could she have time to deal with a stranger who came here? He just glanced at it and said angrily, "Get out, who let you in?" The visitor did not get angry but laughed. "Miss Fan. We are." The visitor showed his ID. Axes? Fang's mother was stunned. "That's right, we currently have sufficient evidence to prove that you, Miss Fan, are suspected of illegal tax evasion. Please come with us." "What do you mean by illegal tax evasion?" Fang Jingyang asked after a pause. "A few days ago, Miss Fan's Fang Investment Company encountered a lot of tax problems. We already have sufficient evidence." "A few days ago?" Fang Jingyang was stunned. "How is this possible? Our Fang family has always abided by the law and we pay billions of taxes every year." "It's impossible." Fang Jingyang frowned. Fang Zhen and Fang Jingyang are still very cautious about this and basically do not touch this kind of thing. It is precisely because of this that the Fang family has remained as stable as a rock over the years. But there is a tax problem, and it is the tax problem of the investment company managed by my mother herself. How is this possible? How much tax did that company pay? Tens of millions. Fang Jingyang couldn't help but smile. It was only tens of millions. Could his mother do such a thing for that little money? But at this moment, Fang's mother's expression was frozen. Not to mention laughing, her face looked as pale as death. She really evaded this tax. It's just tens of millions. If it were the Fang family in the past, such a trivial matter would not be a problem at all. But now, the corner of her mouth twitched and she looked at her youngest son Fang Jingyuan. If she remembered correctly, the 30 million yuan she gave to her younger son was the change deducted from the tax. But now, there is a big problem with this change. Seeing his mother's expression, Fang Jingyang suddenly panicked. A pair of silver bracelets were strung directly on Fang's mother. On the hospital bed, Fang Jingyang suddenly collapsed. After a while, he made a phone call. "So my mother really embezzled the company's taxes?" Fang Jingyang was shocked when he got the news. 30 million. Just because of a small sum of 30 million, someone actually took his mother away in front of him? What's the purpose? Fang Jingyang looked gloomy. It seems that the money has been transferred to the second young master's account. After the voice fell, Fang Jingyang glanced at his brother who was still indifferent beside him. "Fang Jingyuan, I'm going to kill you." Hearing the howling, Fang Jingyuan ran out of the ward like crazy. Soon, some panicked noises were heard from Fang Jingyang's ward again. Someone come quickly, the patient has fainted again. Chapter 176 Using the Business Opportunity Card. At this moment, Xiao Yang was fiddling with the hem of her skirt, frowning slightly. However, he was not troubled by any problems, but because someone had fallen in love with him. Xiao Yang's breathing became a little rapid, but under the skirt, Lin Qiu's face couldn't be seen at all. He took a breath and suddenly whispered, "Be gentle, you hit your teeth." Lin Qiu's whole body was trembling under her skirt. Animal World is playing on TV. The cute little white rabbit picked up a thick carrot and stuffed it into its tiny mouth. Animals are always so magical. A tiny mouth can actually fit such a big carrot. For a long time, in the bathroom. This is the third time Lin Qiu has brushed her teeth. Xiao Yang, on the other hand, was sitting aside at this moment, with a smile on his face. "Xiao Yang, you are so mean. Then you tell me, that thing? Can I eat it?" Lin Qiu gritted her teeth. And when she thought of the scene just now, a blush rose on her face again. Xiao Yang walked in and hugged Lin Qiu. "It's my first time too. I couldn't control myself for a moment." It's okay. Just practice more and you'll be fine. You still want to have a next time? You're dreaming." Lin Qiu rolled her eyes at Xiao Yang. Her neck already flushed. Xiao Yang thought this was too cute and gently bit her face. "And next time, let's go to another place." "Change to where?" Lin Qiu was stunned for a moment. Xiao Yang's hand around his waist suddenly slid down. The latter's body trembled slightly and she bit her red lip slightly. At this moment, the rain outside has stopped. 3 days of heavy rain. It was muddy. The curtain finally fell. Xiao Yang came out of the hotel with Lin Qiu. Ed lowered, feeling a little embarrassed. "At the moment, I feel a little cold, but it's okay, these stockings are quite warm." Holding hands with Lin Qiu, Xiao Yang felt a little helpless. "I always feel like there's a lot of air leaking under the skirt." Fortunately, this makeup is suitable for Xiao Yang's appearance. Just as Lin Qiu said, he is now Colonel Xiao. There were many glances coming towards me, but they were all appreciative. Xiao Yang only felt that many eyes were wandering on him. And some men were even unscrupulously looking at his long legs and black stockings. "Hurry up, my car is just ahead." Xiao Yang finally understood how Lin Qiu felt when walking on the road. The eyes of these men look like they are cannibals. His car was parked not far away when the two found it. They could still see people coming and going in Gongming district from afar. They were all rescuers and rescued people. After getting in the car, Xiao Yang rubbed Lin Qiu's head and helped her fasten her seatbelt. Finally got on the bus. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. "This is finally a bit comfortable. Wearing women's clothes outside always makes me feel like something big is going to go wrong." "Where are we going now?" Lin Qiu asked. "Send you back to school," Xiao Yang said. A trace of disappointment flashed across Lin Qiu's face. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. What I mean is, why don't we go back to Xingfu community?" "Don't you want to?" Lin Qiu bit her red lips. Xiao Yang immediately understood. Of course, if there is no one at home, then who is afraid of whom? "But now, I have a fresh flower at home that I just picked today." Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. "Today you've been trapped and caught in the rain. I haven't had much rest. Let us go back and rest first." After saying that, Xiao Yang rubbed Lin Qiu's head. "Let me take you back first." Seeing Xiao Yang's concerned look, Lin Qiu nodded and agreed. "Okay." Xiao Yang drove away without saying anything. And at the same time he breathed a sigh of relief. But now comes the problem. These two. One flower has been picked completely, and the other one is half picked. Xiao Yang looked at Lin Qiu, who was leaning on his chin and looking out the window, and he already had a plan in mind. I can only walk forward. If he had to choose between the two, he really couldn't do it. After all, he still became a scumbag. Xiao Yang sighed. After sending Lin Qiu back, Xiao Yang still had to find a way to deal with this woman's clothing. I can't wear this back home, otherwise Zhang Yan will definitely think too much. Xiao Yang had no choice but to go back to the barbecue restaurant and honk the horn. Xiao Zhang had been helping out in the barbecue restaurant during this time. And he arrived quickly. "Please help me get some clothes and buy me a new phone." Xiao Yang gave the order without opening the car window, since Xiao Shang could hear it anyway. While waiting, Xiao Yang was still a little panicked. The biggest problem is how to explain it clearly to Zhang Yan when I get home. He rubbed his head. Zhang Yan knew about Lin Qiu's existence, but he just walked out of the house without saying anything. Any woman would think too much. Should I just tell it all? It is undeniable that I am already a scumbag. It's not easy to be a scumbag. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. Here, Xiao Shang came to Xiao Yang's car. Xiao Yang waved his hand. I saw Xiao Shang rushing over with a suit. Seeing Xiao Yang like this, I couldn't recognize him at first glance. "Boss? Xiao Yang's mouth twitched, feeling extremely embarrassed. Their clothes. Forget about what happened today. After saying that, Xiao Yang took the clothes helplessly, drove the car to a deserted place, closed all the windows in the car, and then changed the dress. The problem now is the makeup. You can't go home wearing a woman's makeup. Xiao Yang smiled bitterly. Forget it, let's find a place to wash off my makeup first. Xiao Yang was driving, thinking. By the way, the business opportunity card obtained from women's clothing. Xiao Yang also searched for the business opportunity card in his mind. This can be considered as a small reward for wearing women's clothing this time. Using opportunity card? Whether. Xiao Yang thought about it and chose to use it directly. The next second, a framework appeared directly in my mind. Business opportunity card used successfully. Based on the host's existing resources, the business opportunity card has selected the best reward. Byte. Manage the acquired music company. Reward, 10 classic songs. Byte. Successful formation of music library. Please select 10 songs from the playlist. After the reward is completed, the system will delete the other song information in the host's music library. Does the host choose the song? Whether. Xiao Yang was naturally not in a hurry at this moment. The song Sunny Day is still popping up in my mind. I guess this music library must also come from that mysterious earth. I saw singers I had never heard of lying in the music library. Jay Chu, Ling Junji, Zhu Song. Xiao Yang had a good impression of Sunny Day and clicked on it directly. I saw a lot of song combinations arranged in it. Have an audition. Xiao Yang instructed the system. Suddenly, the songs in the music library rang out. Xiao Yang suddenly heard a melodious prelude. Xiao Yang's eyes lit up. He had to admit, the song sung by this little fat boy who wasn't as handsome as himself and had a round face, as if he had drunk too much milk tea, was quite nice. That is, I can't quite understand the lyrics without reading them. The rain fell all night long, and my love overflowed like the rain. Chapter 177. The Dream Begins. The built-in playlist rings in my mind. Xiao Yang leaned back in the car seat, a look of joy on his face. Without mentioning other things about this music library. At least the built-in immersive feeling is really comfortable. Which is much better than any headphones costing tens of thousands of dollars. But now I have to find a place to remove my makeup. Xiao Yang glanced around. Just at this moment, at a corner, a figure flashed. The harsh sound of wheels rubbing against the ground. Xiao Yang suddenly came to his senses and looked again, only to see a figure falling to the ground. I bumped into someone. Xiao Yang got out of the car quickly and saw a girl who had fallen to the ground and was getting up. Are you okay? Xiao Yang asked hurriedly with concern. It's okay, it's okay. It was a girl, wearing a long skirt, looking like a student, and her face could not be seen clearly because she was wearing a mask. It's all my fault, I was thinking about other things while driving. How about this, I'll take you to the hospital, Xiao Yang said hurriedly. I saw that the cuff of the girl's arm had been torn, and I thought that other parts of her arm might have been scratched as well. No need, it's just a minor injury. The girl glanced at Xiao Yang and said with a smile. No, what if something goes wrong? The girl waved her hands quickly. No, you didn't hit me, I was scared and fell to the ground. And I'll take you for a checkup. The girl glanced at Xiao Yang and refused again. But just as she was about to take 2 steps, she heard a creaking sound. I sprained my foot. The girl suddenly felt pain in her feet and her body immediately went limp. Xiao Yang was quick and quickly reached out to hug her around the waist. Let's go. Xiao Yang quickly withdrew his hand and supported the other person. Since it had come to this, the girl had no time to argue and had to be supported by Xiao Yang as she walked to the car. What a beautiful car. The girl was a little surprised. Xiao Yang didn't say anything, but just helped the person in. However, during the process, Xiao Yang's hand was stuck and passed over the other person's chest, as if he had touched something he shouldn't have touched. Xiao Yang's face turned red and he quickly pulled his hand back. Fasten your seatbelts. The girl didn't seem to be surprised. She just nodded and said, it's none of your business. I was just thinking about something and didn't even notice the car. Xiao Yang looked around. This road was quite remote. He wondered why a girl would walk on this road so late at night. We'll talk about whether it has anything to do with me later. The most important thing is to go to the hospital first. Xiao Yang was driving attentively at this time, looking at the road ahead and said slowly. Yeah, the girl nodded and suddenly said, thank you. Sister, you are so nice. Sister? Elder sister? Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment. The girl turned her head and looked at Xiao Yang's profile. I don't know why, but I feel an inexplicable excitement in my heart. Xiao Yang didn't explain anything. Just call her sister. Anyway, he couldn't explain the makeup he was wearing now. And he was too lazy to explain. This is just right. So that people won't think he has any special hobbies. By the way, do you live here? It's late at night and this place is so remote. Girls should be more careful, Xiao Yang asked casually. Yes, the houses here are cheap and not too far from the school, said the girl. Xiao Yang nodded thoughtfully. At this moment, a ding sound suddenly rang in my mind. Task release. Short-term mission of Dream Ambassador. A start of the dream. Sign Shang Xin to become an artist under Xuanhua Music Company. Starting the road to realizing his dream. Reward beauty pills. Note: Yan Yan pills have the effect of repairing skin functions and are helpful in improving appearance. So this thing is used to improve your appearance? Xiao Yang seemed to be thinking about something, but he was a little confused. How could Shang Xin's mission appear at this time? Could it be that the live broadcast has started? Can you give me a reminder? When they arrived at an intersection, Xiao Yang took advantage of the red light to directly open the new mobile phone that Xiao Shang brought and download the live broadcast software. I clicked on it and logged into my account. The anchor is not broadcasting live. Several large characters appeared. It's not live streaming. The green light came on. Xiao Yan casually placed his phone on the phone holder in the car and continued driving. However, the girl next to her turned her gaze to her mobile phone, and her eyes soon widened. Sister, are you also watching XINX in Xian Rong's live broadcast? She suddenly said. Yeah, I think this young lady sings very well. Xiao Yang replied casually. He was not very curious about the question asked by the girl next to him. After all, Shang Xin was now at the top of the rising star list. With so much promotion, it was normal for her to have some fame. The girl's eyes curved, as if she was smiling. But Xiao Yang didn't pay attention and just drove. But at this moment, the girl focused her attention on his phone. Although there was no live broadcast in the live broadcast room, there were quite a few comments floating around at this moment. This is considered a tradition in some live broadcast rooms. There are always some people who, although not broadcasting, use the live broadcast room as a chat tool and chat about everything about the live broadcast. Xiao Yang didn't notice that a banner was raised when he entered the venue. Soon, the barrage suddenly flashed across. Fuck, Dragon King. The Dragon King has arrived. Sorry for not coming to greet you. Boss Yang. Oh my god, I thought Boss Yang disappeared. After so many days of waiting, I finally found him. Xiao Yang didn't pay attention to the barrage. But the girl did. She frowned slightly and turned on her cell phone. Soon, she discovered it too. A famous Mr. Yang with the Dragon King medal hanging on his head is staying in the live broadcast room at this moment. Just then, the cell phone rang. Hello, Xiao Yi, the girl answered the phone. Xin, where are you? President Yang is here in the live broadcast room. Come back and start broadcasting, the voice on the other end of the phone urged. This girl is none other than Shang Xin. Shang Xin frowned and said, It's not convenient for me now. I'm going to the hospital. What happened? Xiao Yi asked quickly. I was almost hit by a car. Fell down and got a few scrapes. It's so serious. I'll come to that hospital immediately. We haven't reached the hospital yet. I don't know where to go. I'll tell you when we get there. As soon as Shang Xin finished speaking, Xiao Yang's voice rang out. The first affiliated hospital. Chapter 178. Such a handsome girl. Xiao Yang looked at the hospital not far away. Of course he didn't hear what Xiao Yi said, he just mentioned it casually when he heard Shang Xin talking about the hospital. On the other side, Xiao Yi was stunned. A man's voice. Xin, who is it? You cheated on me, didn't you? Tell me quickly, are you a student or a working person? How tall or short, fat or thin? What's your name? Are you handsome? Do you have money? Shang Xin was helpless. Don't say that. She is a beautiful young lady, but her voice is a bit neutral. Xiao Yang. Ah, pretty lady, is there anyone prettier than you? Well, I think she looks better than me, Shang Xin whispered. And secretly glanced at Xiao Yang again. Looking from the side, Xiao Yang looked really handsome with his cold and phoenix eyes. No, to be precise, heroic and dashing. Especially this suit. She looks like a domineering woman in the workplace. As a girl, what I like most is this kind of domineering girl. Who is lustful, pure and kind-hearted. Shang Xin bit her lip lightly and suddenly cursed herself. Why does it seem to be bent? Can you go? When they arrived at the hospital, Xiao Yang parked the car and helped Shang Xin open the door. He always felt that Shang Xin's voice sounded familiar. But he couldn't tell who it was. It should be possible. Shang Xin stepped out of the car, but when she tried to stand up, her brows furrowed and she almost fell down. This time, Xiao Yang was quick enough to hold him. Inevitable physical contact. Fortunately, Xiao Yang had exercised too much today. And he didn't know what Shang Xin looked like, so nothing happened at that time. Looking at Shang Xin again, she didn't take it seriously. From then on, she always treated Xiao Yang as an older sister. Well, she is a heroic young lady, and quite pretty, but her chest is a bit flat. Oh, register first. Xiao Yang sat down with the other party and held out his hand and asked, "Do you have your ID card with you?" Is he really didn't bring it with her? Who would carry their ID card when going out for a walk these days? Fortunately, Xiao Yang had his ID card with him, so he signed up directly. Xiao Yang did not leave, but just sat beside him to keep him company. At this time, in the busy hospital hall, many people couldn't help but look over. Xiao Yang turned his head away, feeling extremely embarrassed. I thought I would feel better after putting on a men's suit. But who knew? There were still many men looking over with burning eyes. Damn Lin Qiyu, you are too good at putting on makeup. Xiao Yang looked at the mirror effect brought by the reflection of the phone, and saw the reflected portrait with red lips, white teeth, thin eyebrows and phoenix eyes, and was very beautiful. The short bangs add a lot of charm and make her look heroic. And this suit, intentionally or unintentionally, adds a bit of the image of an urban career beauty. If the skirt she wore before looked like the outfit of a cute girl, now it looks like a mature woman, like a white-collar worker in the workplace. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. Damn, being handsome is also a big problem. Here, soon, a girl ran in from the outpatient building. Xin. Xiao Yi, here. Xiao Yi came and first found Sheng Xin, and then looked at Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang sat aside with a strange look on his face. This feeling of being stared at from all directions really made him feel a little uneasy, but now he couldn't explain it. This is what a social death scene looks like. Just get through it, just get through it. Xiao Yang frowned slightly, feeling a little melancholy. At this time, Xiao Yi generously sat next to Xiao Yang and exclaimed, "Wow, sister, you are so handsome. The independent girl of my dreams should be like you. Handsome and domineering." Xiao Yang. Forget it. I won't explain it. Just let her be a young lady. Xiao Yang was full of helplessness. Here, it's finally Xiao Yang and his group's turn. No, 1778 Xiao Yang. Let's go, it's our turn. Not yet. Shang Xian took a look and said. Suddenly, Xiao Yi beside her jumped up. Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment, not understanding what was going on. However, Shang Xian's expression suddenly changed. Xiao Yang. Is that the Xiao Yang your brother mentioned? The one who sang Sunny Day? It seems to be called this name. Xiao Yang himself was confused. What was going on? The one singing Sunny Day? How does she know? I saw two girls looking around, looking for Xiao Yang. No one. Xiao Yang was feeling embarrassed and let out a long sigh. Well, I am Xiao Yang. Shang Xian was stunned. Xiao Yi, who was sitting on a plate, was also stunned. Miss, you are kidding. Yes. Could it be that they have the same name? That's right, the country is so big, it's normal to have the same name. The two nodded in confirmation. They just have the same name and surname. In their eyes, Xiao Yang is definitely a boy. Xiao Yang's face was filled with black lines. Why am I not a boy? There was no other way and he was too lazy to explain. Xiao Yang asked Xiao Yi to support Shang Xian and walk into the consultation room. Sister, why did your parents give you such a name? Xiao Yi suddenly said. What's wrong with this name? Xiao Yang was stunned. This is obviously a name for boys. The corner of Xiao Yang's mouth twitched. But I am a man. Besides, the voice is also a man's, didn't you hear that? Unexpectedly, Xiao Yi said thoughtfully, but this name is not bad either. By the way, miss, I really like your smoky voice, it's so charming. Smoky throat? Xiao Yang was stunned again. Forget it. I won't explain it anymore, I'm numb. Here, the doctor who is consulting is a female doctor. He took a quick look, checked it out, and then said, it's just a minor injury, just apply some medicine. As for your ankle, I'll prescribe some blood activating and blood stasis dissolving medicine for you. Remember to apply it regularly to dissolve the blood stasis. After getting the medicine, I naturally applied it myself. However, after getting the medicine, Shang Xian hesitated and did not want to apply the medicine in the hospital. Get in my car and wipe it, Xiao Yang said. Helping Shang Xian into the car. Xiao Yi was already standing beside her with shining eyes. Wow, what a cool sports car. Let me take a picture. Xiao Yang felt helpless standing aside. Shang Xian was helped to the back seat of the car, while Xiao Yi sat directly next to the passenger seat. In the back seat, Shang Xian looked around, took a long breath, and took off his mask. In the rear view mirror, Xiao Yang was stunned for a moment. I saw a delicate face coming into view. It was a face of extreme exquisiteness, not even a bit inferior to Zhang Yan and Lin Qiyu. I saw Shang Xian slowly taking out the shoulder straps of her skirt. Xiao Yang finally understood why she was unwilling to apply the medicine in the hospital. I saw red blood on her waist, and there were obviously some scratches there. But that's not the point. The point is, after the top of the long skirt was taken off, the snow-white figure appeared in Xiao Yang's eyes. She actually used a breast wrap. Xiaoyang couldn't take his eyes away. I didn't expect that a girl of this age would still wear a bra. The medicine fell on the wound. Shang Xian frowned and took a breath of cold air. But soon, inside the rearview mirror, the two looked at each other. Xiaoyang quickly turned his head away. Shang Xian was stunned for a moment. But when she thought that Xiaoyang was a girl like herself, it was no big deal. At this time, Xiaoyang also let out a long sigh and said, "Is it still the same place as before? I'll take you back." Good. Xiaoyang drove away from the hospital again. At this time, in a black car behind him, we found the target. Follow us. Chapter 179 Ambush. In the car, Shang Xian applied the medicine and put on her clothes. This was a feast for Xiaoyang's eyes. But he had seen so many big scenes today that this didn't excite him at all. "It's just ahead," Shang Xian said. "It's a little dark ahead." It was almost late at night and there were few pedestrians here. However, Xiaoyang no longer drove as he did before. In order to avoid hitting anything again, he just drove slowly. Just then, in a dark place, suddenly, a huge monster came driving over. It is not very obvious in the night. Xiaoyang continued to drive without blinking, while Xiaoyi beside him was touching here and there, and kept praising the interior of Koenigsegg. Suddenly, Xiaoyi looked shocked and shouted, "Be careful." Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but step on the brakes. A wheel suddenly made a sharp sound when rubbing against the ground. Shang Xian, who was sitting in the back seat, was also startled. The car suddenly slowed down, causing her to almost slam her head into the front seat. Just as Xiaoyang was surprised, he felt his body suddenly shaken. A huge noise broke the silence of the night. I saw a large truck passing by and crashing into the front of my car. The airbag ejected, and Xiaoyang's eyes suddenly went dark. He felt as if his head exploded, and waves of pain spread throughout his body. He shook his head to stay awake. At this time, Xiaoyi was fine. She hit her head against the side of the car and groaned in pain. Holding her head, Shang Xian, who was sitting in the back seat, was also clinging to the car, but she was not seriously injured. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh and felt his body go cold, as if he had just walked before the king of hell. Looking into the distance, the truck had already sped away without stopping. Xiaoyang's mind exploded, and he reluctantly said, "Thank you." He really didn't dare to imagine what would happen now if he hadn't heard Xiaoyi's words and stepped on the brakes in an emergency. Even a top sports car like Koenigsegg is probably nothing compared to a large truck. If the car body is hit directly, it will probably fly out directly. And there is no need to think about the people in the car. I am afraid that no one will survive. The car could not be driven. The front of the car was severely damaged and had already stalled. Xiaoyang opened the car door and got out, his body still a little weak. Xiaoyi also helped Shang Xian get out of the car. The two were still in shock, with a hint of panic on their faces. "Is everything okay?" Xiaoyang said. "It's okay." Xiaoyi rubbed her head and frowned. Shang Xian had no problem with it and nodded. At this moment, the streets were still quiet, as if nothing had happened. Xiaoyang frowned, feeling that all this didn't seem so coincidental. Such a big truck didn't even have its lights on, as if it had stopped here on purpose. When I drove here, I didn't notice that the car suddenly started, as if it was waiting for me. Late at night, deserted road. Car accident. Xiaoyang took a breath of cold air. If it was done intentionally, then someone must want to kill me. He didn't think of it in a simple way. He would never believe it was a coincidence. There is so little traffic here. How could a large truck happen to be here, crash into something sideways, and have no headlights? He looked at the mess on his car, which he had only driven a few times, and fell into deep thought. A car worth 20 million. Damn it. Just then, a black car came rushing over. Careful. Xiaoyang was extremely nervous at this time, and quickly pulled the two women to the side. The car cut through the silence of the scene. The next second, several people got out of another black van. It's not a coincidence. I saw that everyone who came suddenly had a steel pipe in their hands. Xiaoyang looked at everyone and couldn't help but take a few steps back. "You two, run as far as you can," he whispered to the two girls, then turned around and walked towards them. "Xiaoyang?" someone asked. "I said I am not, do you believe it?" Xiaoyang said. "Get started." The people who came didn't hesitate and spoke directly. Xiaoyang shook his head. He had to admit that the car crash just now made him feel a little dizzy. However, the current situation does not allow him to recover, so he can only go on with it. "Who asked you to kill me?" Xiaoyang said coldly. However, no one on the other side spoke a word, but just came forward with weapons in hand. Xiaoyang took a quick glance and saw that these dozen men were all strong and sturdy, not like ordinary people. The weapon in his hand looked even colder under the moonlight. He let out a long sigh and kicked the person who was rushing towards him. But before his legs could land, a steel pipe hit his legs. There was no choice but for Xiao Yang to retract his foot and step back. The next second, another stick fell and missed Xiao Yang's head. In the cold wind, Xiao Yang couldn't help but gasp. These people are well trained and don't say harsh words. They are definitely not ordinary people. The Fang family. Xiao Yang naturally had the answer in his mind. Apart from the Fang family, he couldn't think of anyone else who could go to such a life and death fight. Ding! Someone dropped a steel pipe on the ground, making a noise. Xiao Yang retracted his fist and felt sore all over. It has to be said that the damage to his body from the car crash just now was quite serious. Otherwise it wouldn't have been so difficult for him to deal with these people. He swung his fist forward, and then another. Someone took a few steps back, but still moved forward alone, as if Xiao Yang's punch just now was just a tickle for him. Professional boxer, Xiao Yang said in astonishment. He seemed to have some idea, and felt that some of the people in front of him seemed familiar. I remember watching boxing matches when I was a kid, and I seem to have seen some of them. However, some of these boxers have long since retired from the stage for various reasons, but I didn't expect that they would become the power in the hands of some people and be used against me. Who is buying my life? Xiao Yang frowned and said loudly. Stop talking nonsense and just die well. Xiao Yang dodged another attack with a gloomy look on his face. Whatever he offers, I'll offer double, no, 10 times the price. When the voice fell, some people were stunned. I didn't expect this to happen. However, they reacted quickly and ignored Xiao Yang's words. They did not stop the weapons in their hands and continued to swing them vigorously. On the other side, Shang Xian and Xiao Yi had already retreated far away. When the two girls saw this scene, they were so frightened that their faces turned pale. Call the police. I've called the police. Shang Xian put away her phone, her face full of worry. If he were alone, Xiao Yang would not be afraid of these so-called former professional boxers. But things are different now. Not only was I hit, but the cooperation between these people was seamless. Xiao Yang didn't have any chance to attack at all. These men were well trained and they advanced and retreated at times, without revealing any flaws at all. Suddenly, there was a bang. The steel pipe fell and hit Xiao Yang's arm. He gasped, took a few steps back, and felt that he no longer had any strength in his arm. Chapter 180, Can business be done this way? At this moment, Xiao Yang could only fight and retreat. Xiao Yang gasped as he felt the pain in his arm. But there was nothing he could do. These people are well trained and can move freely. Speed up, someone suddenly said. Although there were few people on this road at this time, everyone understood that they could not delay. They must deal with Xiao Yang as soon as possible. Otherwise everything will be in vain when the police arrive. Xiao Yang looked angry at this time, but there was nothing he could do. System, is there anything I can use? Xiao Yang frowned. And an extremely inspiring song suddenly rang in his mind. The Difficult Sutra. Zhuhua Jian. The theme song of the 1997 version of Demigods and Semi-Devils. Xiao Yang only felt that a man with the same surname as Xiao appeared in his mind, carrying a speaker and killing everyone. Your sister. Xiao Yang cursed. What's the point of giving a BGM? At this time, several people had already sped up. If they came up one by one, Xiao Yang would have nothing to fear even if he had to pay for it himself. But they also knew very well that they had to surround Xiao Yang. Although the sound of the steel pipe hitting did not fall on Xiao Yang again, it made his heart tremble. What to do? Xiao Yang's physical strength is continuing to decline, and he doesn't know how long he can hold on. Let me talk about two things. The other side. At this moment, although it was late at night, in a small dormitory, a girl was frowning and looking at the bill in front of her with confusion. Another investment. No, it's the big opening bonus? She frowned slightly, but smiled helplessly. I called Xiao Yang's phone number again. But this time, the call was still unanswered. Xiao Zhu, why don't you go to sleep yet? Zhang Shengzhu let out a long sigh and felt much more relaxed. Xiao Yang previously said that he would transfer money to the company. But nothing has happened yet. All the money she had earned from joining the brand was refunded, and she had to invest a lot of her own savings instead. She had also heard a little about the Zhang and Fang families, but she was busy these days and didn't pay much attention to them. She only knew that her sister was kidnapped by Xiao Yang. As for why her sister and Xiao Yang got together, Zhang Shengzhu had heard some things from Zhang Yan, and could only sigh that it was fate. In the end, I ended up working for my brother-in-law. But at this moment she was still stumped by some of the bills in front of her. Logically speaking, Xingyang has long stopped accepting capital investment from franchisees. But unfortunately, there was money delivered to her door, and she really didn't know what to do. Today, she received a lot of remittances. Almost all of them were payments from some of the more famous companies in Jiangdu. which were euphemistically called big opening bonuses. Zhang Shengzhu has always refused these funds of unknown origin. And tonight, when the money was transferred into Xingyang Company's account, she had no choice but to accept it. The money that some companies send, in fact, so-called red envelopes, are just a stepping stone. What happened at the auction dinner had already spread throughout the circle. Everyone knows that there is such a Master Xiao who has frustrated the Fang family. Not only did he slap them in the face in public, he also turned the engagement party of the Fang and Zhang families upside down. If it were before, they might have been more restrained and not dared to contact Xiaoyang so blatantly. After all, Xiaoyang offended the Fang family, the leading enterprise in Jiangdu. But things are different now. The Jiangdu dam collapsed. Fang Zhen was arrested, Fang Jingyang was admitted to the hospital. And then Fang's mother was also taken away for investigation. This information spread extremely quickly, and these well-connected businessmen got the news early on. The defeat of the Fang family means Xiaoyang's victory. No matter who it is impossible to ignore Zhang Du. This person who suddenly appeared out of nowhere. They had already found out about the Xingyang company under Xiaoyang's name early on. And after today, they tried every means to get in touch with Xiaoyang. Being able to fight the Fang family to the death and publicly presenting tens or even hundreds of billions of liquid funds, it would definitely be a good idea to make friends with them. So, today, some people gave gifts, some gave money, and some people have begun to find ways to cooperate with Xingyang. It was already late at night, but Zhang Shengzhu was still dealing with these matters. As soon as I returned to the dormitory, another sum of money had been transferred into my account. See cooperation. Some people want to hang advertisements in Xingyang's self-service food store, and some want to invest in it. Most people apply for membership cards in the name of the company, hoping to use the self-service barbecue restaurant as a company's team-building activity for a long time. These sums of money also made Zhang Shengzhu very busy, but she also understood that such an order was exactly what Xingyang needed now. However, this was the first time she had seen such a form of cooperation. No one was seen. Many matters of cooperation have not yet been discussed. I had already received the money before I even figured out what the other party's company was. And it was not a deposit, but a direct payment of the full amount without even discussing the price. In one sentence, if it is not enough, add more. Including the money that just came in. The total amount is already over 20 million. Zhang Shengzhu let out a lone sigh. This wave really scared her. Business can still be done this way. The company had just opened and was not doing anything yet. And the store was not open. Instead, he made a fortune. Aren't they afraid that the money will be wasted since they haven't even signed a contract? To be honest, with so much money, even if she absconds with the money, the other party will have no way to stop her. What on earth did Xiaoyang do? Zhang Shengzhu was extremely depressed. She did not participate in the auction dinner and did not know the details. Naturally, she did not know why these people were so flattering to Xiaoyang. Yes, it is blatant flattery, which is equivalent to giving money directly. And they are rushing to be the first, as if they are afraid of being slow. I can't figure it out, I really can't figure it out. She stretched herself and recorded the cooperation orders and payments. Now Xingyang is short of manpower, and she has to do almost everything by herself. But there was not much fatigue on his face, instead he looked a little excited. After turning off his small desk lamp, Zhang Shengzhu stretched. Time to go to bed. She yawned, climbed into bed, and soon fell asleep. At this time, on the other side, Xiaoyang naturally didn't know that his sister-in-law was still busy running around for her company. He didn't have many ways to deal with these professional boxers. Another stick flew past, and Xiaoyang was unable to dodge, and was hit directly on the bones by the steel pipe. Xiaoyang suddenly let out a cry of pain and retreated with difficulty. Damn it, Master Xiao knows the 18 dragon subduing palms. But you just give me a background music, what's the use of it? Xiaoyang cursed the system, and a trace of despair rose in his heart. Just at this moment, bite. The voice in my head suddenly sounded. Mission completed. The Path to Self-Reliance of a High-Quality Rich Man Part 2. Earn 10 million profit. Reward, Lucky Stick. Note, when consumed, the luck value is maxed. There are certain side effects. Lucky Stick? Chapter 181 Luck Value Max. Can you maximize your luck? But this thing doesn't seem to improve real-time combat power. Xiaoyang glanced around. At this moment, several people had surrounded him. There were waves of pain coming from behind, and my legs and feet were almost completely sore. If this continues, I'm afraid I'll die on the spot in 10 seconds. No time to think about it. Let's give it a try. It's the only thing we have. System, help me withdraw my lucky stick. In just a moment, Xiaoyang really had a stick in his hand. Whether it was a slow lick or a satisfying bite was no longer within Xiaoyang's consideration. The stick melted in his mouth and soon disappeared into Xiaoyang's stomach. Or luck. It seems like nothing has changed. It's just that the lollipop is a little sweeter than the Alpine one. Other than that, there is no difference. This scene was also seen by everyone. Who would have thought that this guy would eat a lollipop before dying? No matter how much of a foodie you are, I've never seen anyone like you. How greedy this mouth must be. The leading boxer did not hesitate. Although Xiaoyang made an unexpected move, it had nothing to do with them killing Xiaoyang. He lifted the steel pipe and slowly lowered it. Xiaoyang had no choice but to retreat. And his speed was already extremely slow at this moment, and it was almost impossible for him to avoid the opponent's attack. Lin Hui, a former professional boxer, with more than 10 years of boxing career. He has very rich fighting experience and has won many gold belts. But later, a fake fight scandal made him end his boxing career. He has a very cute son. In order for his son to have a good education, but to have the capital to stand on the same starting line as others, this once high-spirited boxer had to join the Fang family camp and become the Fang family's underground force. Over the years, he has helped the Fang family solve many troublesome problems for the sake of his family and to make money. Now he has a happy family. Just today, young Master Fang issued an order. If he kills someone, he will gain a huge fortune. My son has grown up and is old enough to get married. The woman was very beautiful and sensible. He had met her before. It's just that the girl's family disagreed with the marriage and made some very demanding demands for the bride price. Although Lin Hui has dealt with many things over the years, most of them were threats and intimidation. He had never been involved in murder before. However, this time, for his son's happy future, he still accepted the order. As long as he kills the man in front of him, he will gain huge wealth. Even though he would spend the rest of his life in prison, he felt that it was all worth it when he thought that his son would have a very beautiful girlfriend, a harmonious family, and a happy future. As long as this stick hits it, everything will go in the direction you expect. Lin Hui raised the steel pipe and smashed it at Xiaoyang. At this moment, Xiaoyang could only dodge backwards. I thought I would not be able to dodge this powerful blow. But suddenly, the boxer's legs trembled, and the steel pipe tilted and passed in front of me. Just 1 centimeter away, this stick would have taken my life. On the other side, several more sticks fell. But at this moment, the other boxer suddenly slipped his feet and fell to the ground. His hand holding the steel pipe hit the stone pillar beside him, and the steel pipe also fell directly to the ground. Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment. As for the other boxer, for some unknown reason, he twitched and fell to the ground. Xiaoyang was stunned. What happened? The boxer who fell was also stunned and quickly picked up the steel pipe. Xiaoyang was gasping for air and could only retreat step by step. Lin Hui, whose legs and feet were trembling just now, also found the source of his mistake. So it was my copycat phone, which was as big as a brick, suddenly leaked electricity at this moment. It's really sad to say, for the sake of his son, he lived frugally. This phone has been with him for several years, but he didn't expect that it would be out of battery at this moment. He picked up his phone. At this moment, the cell phone started ringing again. This time it's not a power leak. But the phone call came. Lin Hui frowned but didn't answer it. He picked up the steel pipe and ran towards Xiaoyang again. At this time, the boxer who had just fallen to the ground and twitched also recovered. He has a mild epilepsy, and who knew he would have an attack at this moment. He let out a long sigh, stood up, and walked towards Xiaoyang again. Just then, his cell phone rang. 2 old songs from 30 years ago suddenly floated in the silent sky. He let out a long sigh and glanced around casually. Brother Lin, it's the old man. My dad. Lin Hui was stunned for a moment and looked at his phone again. It turned out that the missed call was from his father. Let's do business first. Lin Hui frowned slightly and continued to walk towards Xiaoyang. The old man seems to be in a hurry. This kid doesn't have much strength now. I'll deal with him, brother Lin. You can ask the old man if anything happened first. Lin Hui thought about it and nodded. On this side, several people raised their weapons and waved them towards Xiaoyang again. Xiaoyang no longer had much strength left and could only dodge slowly. I don't know why, but his dodging skill seemed to be maxed out. He could just dodge and neutralize all the attacks. On this side, Lin Hui just took a glance and called his father. Cai Huqi, something happened. What happened? Lin Hui was stunned for a moment and asked hurriedly. I'm going to the hospital today to get Lin Xiao's medical examination report. It turned out to be his son's marriage medical examination report. Lin Hui frowned. What he cared about most was his son. So he asked nervously, what happened to him? Nothing happened to him. It's you all who are in trouble. I asked the doctor to do a random checkup at that time. Who knew? The old man suddenly choked up. Are you in trouble? Lin Hui was even more surprised. No, it's like this. I secretly did a paternity test between you and Lin Xiao, and found out that Lin Xiao, he is not your biological son. I just went to your house to ask you something. And then I found out that your wife. She's stealing people. The words fell. Clang. The steel pipe fell to the ground. The other side. Several people were still besieging Xiaoyang. But who knew that Xiaoyang's seemingly random movements were like a loach? And he could not be hit no matter what. It was even more weird than when they first started beating him. On the contrary, they, after working together for so many years, actually accidentally injured their teammates. Just as he was surprised, he turned around and found that his elder brother Lin Hu was kneeling on the ground in pain. Brother Lin? Lin Hu's eyes were dull. He would do anything for his son. But who would have known that this son was not his biological son? And that while he was working hard for the future of both mother and son, his wife was actually cheating on him? At the same time, the cell phones of several other people started ringing. What to do? Several people looked at each other. What? My wife is in the hospital. What? I was cheated when I bought a house for my dad. Wife, what did you say? My son can't get up in the morning. Everyone received the bad news from home almost at the same time. Just a moment. Several people knelt on the ground with lifeless eyes. This. Xiaoyang was simply stunned. Is this the max luck value? If your dodge points are maxed out, will anyone who wants to harm you be doomed to bad luck? He looked confused and surprised at the people who had no intention of chasing him and were on the verge of collapse. At this time, sirens sounded. The police station. Xiaoyang finally waited for this moment and immediately collapsed to the ground. In the distance, two brave girls ran over and helped Xiaoyang up. Chapter 180 to Luck Value MIN. At this moment, several people were filled with pain. They also didn't know why several brothers received bad news from home at the same time. They were on the verge of collapse and felt that the world was full of malice. Lin Hu's body trembled slightly, and he felt as if the sky was falling. Over the years, for the sake of her son, she has endured humiliation and was willing to do all the dirty and tiring work, in order to make his family live a comfortable life and ensure the quality of life for mother and son. He did many things that exceeded his bottom line. But who could have known that all this would help others? The son whom I raised for 20 years turned out to be the one my wife had an affair with. And why did I do so many things? He just felt that his sky was gray. Why kill anyone at this time? Seeing the police cars surrounding him, he fell to the ground helplessly without any sign of struggling. On the other hand, Xiaoyang let out a long sigh at this moment. Finally, I survived the disaster. I have to say, the effect of this lucky stick is incredible. In the future, please give the system more of this good stuff. At this moment, the voice of the system suddenly sounded in my mind. Bite. The effect of lucky stick ends. It's over. It's over. 10 minutes of lucky time is enough. Xiaoyang didn't think it was a big deal. If I could continue to be this lucky, it would be a big mistake. But before he could recover, the system's voice sounded again. The side effects of Lucky Bang are activated. Please be prepared. Side effect? What are the side effects? Does this thing have side effects? Xiaoyang was stunned for a moment. Just then, I suddenly felt a pain in my feet. Xiaoyang took a breath of cold air and looked again, only to see a 6 or 7 centimeter heel on his foot. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Xiaoyi quickly moved her feet away. These are high heels, sister, Xiaoyang gasped. It is said that the 10 fingers are connected to the heart, and the same is true for the toes. This time, it felt even more painful than the one with the steel pipe. And at this moment, suddenly, his feet slipped and he fell directly to the ground. His head hit the stone pillar beside him with a bang. There was a sudden pain in the back of my head. Xiaoyang, are you okay? Shang Xin rushed over and wanted to help Xiaoyang up. But suddenly he stepped on something and fell down suddenly. Bang! The elbow immediately pressed on Xiaoyang's already injured arm. Oh, my god! Xiaoyang's mouth suddenly felt cold and he felt sore all over. What the hell? Why am I suddenly so unlucky? Xiaoyang cursed. At this moment, a red mark appeared on the system in my mind. Note, luck value min. So, just now I maxed out my luck value. And now I max out my unlucky value? Xiaoyang took a breath. That's the side effect. He stood up with difficulty. Shang Xin on the side kept apologizing. The other side. The cell phone rang again. Hello, Dad. Lin Hu's voice was already weak at this moment. His face was expressionless and his eyes were empty. Son, I misunderstood your wife. It turns out that I took the wrong hair when I went for the paternity test. That's not Lin Xiao's hair. Lin Hui was stunned. Also, it turned out that the toilet was clogged, and Lao Wang from next door came to help unclog the pipe. Now it has been explained and cleared. I thought your wife was cheating on me. Lin Hui suddenly became energetic. This. On the other side, the others also received calls. Your wife went to the hospital, and the examination showed that there was nothing serious wrong with her. But she was pregnant. You are going to be a father. Hey. Husband, my son is not unable to get up, he is just too irritable. I thought he couldn't get up, but it turns out he got up early and secretly went to bed. I was wondering why he was so soft so early in the morning. I went for a checkup, but the doctor got the wrong diagnosis report. He just called me and said there is nothing wrong with my son's penis. After a few phone calls, several people immediately became much more energetic. However, their mission was still not completed. The police had surrounded them. But even so, several people still breathed a sigh of relief. At least at home, nothing's wrong. Lin Hui, on the other hand, frowned slightly. Damn, when will Lao Wang next door unclog the pipe? Xiaoyang originally felt that nothing was wrong with him. But after the two girls did this, their condition seemed to have worsened. He waved his hand. Please both of you stay away from me. Xiaoyang was helpless and dared not move, for fear that he would step on something and fall again. But at this moment, above my head, the street light suddenly flickered. Bang! It fell directly down. Fortunately, Xiaoyang reacted quickly. But even so, the street lamp still hit his shoulder. WOZ high. Is this ever going to be the end? Xiaoyang's mouth twitched. Fortunately, I lost my cell phone a long time ago, otherwise who knows what might happen if I answer the phone now. Look at those people just now, crying and laughing. After thinking about it, Xiaoyang immediately threw the mobile phone he had just asked Xiaoshang to buy. But who would have thought that this phone has such a strong rebound ability? Suddenly it hit the wall, and before Xiaoyang could react, it hit him hard. I was wrong. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. Seeing this, Shang Xian and the other two were about to come up. Stop, don't move, leave me alone. Xiaoyang held his forehead with his hand, feeling that the world was full of malice towards him. Look up. Oh, the street light just fell down, that's okay. At this time, the ambulance had already arrived. A group of angels in white carried a stretcher and rushed towards Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang's condition could be described as miserable at this time, with not a single part of his body intact. But one good thing is that at least his life was not lost. Xiaoyang also knew that no matter how unlucky he was, he just had to hold on and get through the side effects. But if I hadn't had the lucky stick just now, I would probably have lost my life. He was limping as the nurses carried him onto a stretcher. But at this moment, as soon as he lay on the stretcher suddenly fell apart. Xiaoyang fell to the ground violently. The corners of his mouth twitched. Wait a minute. Don't touch me. Please, let me be alone for a while. 5 more minutes. Xiaoyang looked at the countdown of the system, his face full of despair. Xiaoyang looked at the dark sky. Well, there's nothing in the sky. There was nothing on the ground either. As long as you lie down by yourself, there will be no problem. It's the middle of the night, there's no way a plane could fall down and hit me. Thinking. A low humming sound was heard above the starry sky at night. Dim lights flashed by. It was a civilian aircraft. Xiaoyang swallowed immediately. What the hell am I talking about? Chapter 183 Difficult Decision. 5 minutes finally passed. Fortunately, the phone was broken and Xiaoyang didn't receive any calls. As for the plane, it is not likely to fall. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh and struggled to get up from the ground. Unless I am prepared to die, I will never eat this lucky stick again. The side effects are so severe that it can kill me. There was not a single healthy place on Xiaoyang's body at this moment. If he moved at all, he would feel pain all over his body and face. But as I said, my life was saved. Xiaoyang was carried into the ambulance, and Shang Xian followed. Please tell your best friend to go to Xingyang BBQ restaurant and find someone named Xiao Zhang and tell him that I am in the hospital now. The cell phone is broken and now Xiaoyang can't contact anyone. Thinking about it, too many things happened today, and Xiaoyang didn't report to Zhang Yan. So he still felt a little uneasy. It is better to contact Zhang Yan as soon as possible now. Don't let her wait too long. At the same time, just as Xiaoyang thought, Zhang Yan was lying at home with a frown on her face. It has been 7 or 8 hours since Xiaoyang went out in the afternoon, and there has been no news from him. She tried to make several calls but received no messages. And she couldn't help but feel a little panicked. Nothing will happen to Xiaoyang, right? After a moment, she shook her head again, remembering that when Xiaoyang went out, the phone he was holding was a call from Lin Qiu. During the auction dinner, Zhang Yan had already had some complaints about Lin Qiu. Now because Lin Qiu ran away, Zhang Yan couldn't help but feel a little angry. He just finished doing that with me and then he went to see another woman. What is this? My heart suddenly felt clogged up. I couldn't get through on the phone for such a long time. Could it be that he had slept with that girl named Lin Qiu? After thinking about it, Zhang Yan shook her head again, feeling that Xiaoyang was not that kind of person. But after a while, she turned on her phone again. Every school has its own forum. And she quickly found the school forum of Zhangde University of Finance and Economics. On a pinned post, I quickly found the post about Xiaoyang and Lin Qiu's confession. She bit her red lip slightly, thought about it, and clicked it. There were 99 confessions in total, and the total time taken was very long. Zhang Yan looked at Xiaoyang's face appearing on the screen, with her beautiful eyes looking at him coldly. But think about it, Xiaoyang spent millions to rent the lights of a building for himself to set off the fireworks. For his own sake, he was willing to give himself the shares of Saya Yen Group worth hundreds of billions. In this video, there is a bunch of fresh flowers and a cup of hot milk tea. I couldn't help but feel a lot of pride in my heart. I won after all. Yes, you are now the defeated opponent. Changing the perspective, Zhang Yan's mood was completely different. She was no longer as shy as before, but instead enjoyed watching. After a long while, she couldn't help but sigh. Xiaoyang is really infatuated. I couldn't help but feel a little sad. I glanced at the time. It was still a long time since we met. He didn't lie to me. These confessions happened before. Speaking of which, I should actually thank you if I hadn't rejected Xiaoyang so many times. There's no way I would have been able to be with him. Zhang Yan raised the corners of her mouth. She just felt that the guy named Lin Qiu in the video was a big fool. Xiaoyang, such a good man, confessed to you so many times, but you chose to reject him. As she watched, she found it very interesting to see her man confessing his love to another woman, and she would comment from time to time. This is not a good way to say this. I wouldn't agree to it if I were you. Make it sound like you can really pick the stars from the sky. Lin Qiu, are you sick? You can just refuse if you want to. But you actually said Xiaoyang is ugly. Finally, I finished watching this long confession video, a total of 99 times. And the last confession was only 3 or 4 days after she met Xiaoyang. Zhang Yan frowned slightly. After confessing 99 times, can Xiaoyang really let it go easily? I'm afraid he still has a place for Lin Qiu in his heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't have rushed out so hastily after receiving a call. So what are they doing now? They're not checking into a hotel, are they? Zhang Yan clenched her fists and felt a sense of greenness on her head. She continued to browse the forum and soon came across some posts about Xiaoyang and Lin Qiu again. Lin Qiu confessed her love to Xiaoyang but was rejected. Not confessing for the 100th time is my explanation to myself. Zhang Yan quickly clicked it. In the video, Xiaoyang's mouth was seen trembling slightly. Maybe it means nothing to you, but to me, it is my account of my first love. 99 confessions are my account of my first love. And not confessing for the 100th time is my explanation to myself. Goodbye. 9. First love. Xiaoyang's extremely magnetic voice came out from his throat and fell into Zhang Yan's ears. Zhang Yan bit her lip. Unconsciously she let out a long sigh and suddenly felt a little regretful. He confessed his love 99 times, which was enough to show how much Xiaoyang liked Lin Qiu, but when it was within his grasp, he actually rejected the 100th confession, for the so-called dignity. To give an explanation to myself. She continued to browse the forum, where there were quite a few posts about Xiaoyang and Lin Qiu. Xiaoyang once again rejected Lin Qiu's confession and broke into the boys' dormitory. A ethereal flute sound, Lin Qiu's confession was rejected again. After reading the post, Zhang Yan was stunned for a moment. Looking at the time, this happened after Xiaoyang got to know me. So, did he reject Lin Qiu's confession because he already had me in his heart? This thought suddenly occurred to Zhang Yan. She was not sure either. But didn't Xiaoyang's confession prove one thing, that he wanted to give up his relationship with Lin Qiu? Otherwise, for the test? You and I take turns confessing our love 99 times. And then get together? How could that idiot come up with such a plot? Is he brainless? At this moment, Lin Qiu, who was just about to fall asleep, sneezed 3 times. Who is scolding me? The little cutie rubbed his nose. And fell asleep again. Here, Zhang Yan looked at it for a while. But her mind became more and more confused, and she had more and more thoughts. Xiaoyang seemed to want to end his feelings for Lin Qiu, but he could not withstand Lin Qiu's relentless pursuit, especially when Xiaoyang still has the other person in his heart. If Xiaoyang really accepted Lin Qiu, what should I do? Zhang Yan suddenly asked herself. Leave Xiaoyang? Her heart trembled and she shook her head quickly. How is this possible? It was so hard for her to be with Xiaoyang. And it would be impossible for her to leave Xiaoyang in this life. What's more, the two of them have already become husband and wife. But what if Xiaoyang still chooses Lin Qiu? There is no doubt that Xiaoyang must have me in his heart. And I occupy a very important position in his heart. Otherwise he would not hesitate to offend the Fang family and spend so much effort to get me. So if a man has two women in his heart, then, can you accept it? What a difficult decision. The night is long. Zhang Yan felt confused. At this moment, someone came to the door. Uncle. After opening the door, Zhang Yan said in surprise. Chai Zhao, I just received news that Xiaoyang was ambushed and is now in the hospital. It seems that he suffered a lot of injuries. Zhang Yichen explained the purpose of his visit. As soon as the voice fell, Zhang Yan ran out immediately. Uncle, take me to the hospital. What a difficult decision to make. It has now disappeared without a trace. Chapter 180 for Zhang Yichen. I am straight. Maybe she ran too fast after just 2 steps. Zhang Yan gasped and felt waves of pain in her lower body. Damn it, damn Xiaoyang, why are you using so much strength? Zhang Yan cursed. But Zhang Yichen behind him was confused. On this side, Xiaoyang naturally didn't know that Zhang Yan had arrived. He fainted not long after getting on the ambulance. However, Shen Xian has been staying by Xiaoyang's side all the time. After entering the hospital, the nurses and doctors quickly carried Xiaoyang to the operating room. Broken bones, severe blunt force trauma. This is the preliminary diagnosis. In fact, in addition to the initial damage from the steel pipes, the lucky stick debuff was also triggered. If it were an ordinary person, he would probably only be breathing now. But Xiaoyang had taken quality-enhancing pills after all, so his physique was much better than that of ordinary people. Although he was unconscious at the moment, his life was not in danger. Here, Shang Xian was still a little dizzy because of the car crash earlier. But she did not leave, but just waited outside the operating room. Not long after, a girl came over in a strange posture. This was Zhang Yan. After finding out everything, she came out of the operating room. For Thunkel, what's going on? Zhang Yan frowned, her face full of anxiety. It should be Fang Jingyang who did it. Those professional boxers once worked for the Fang family. Zhang Yichen had some connections in the police station and soon found out some clues. Seeing a girl waiting outside the operating room, Zhang Yan looked at her with a hint of hostility at first. But the other person was wearing a mask and she could not see her face clearly. Lin Qiu? Zhang Yan asked tentatively. Shang Xin was stunned. Zhang Yan nodded thoughtfully. It seemed that it was not Lin Qiu. And this girl was obviously more capable than Lin Qiu. Are you Xiaoyang's relative? On this side, Shang Xin quickly reacted and asked. He glanced at Zhang Yichen again. Are you Sister Xiaoyang's boyfriend? The two were immediately filled with question marks. Sister Xiaoyang. Boyfriend? Zhang Yichen held his forehead and said righteously. Miss, I am straight. Although Zhang Yan didn't know what was going on. After hearing what Shang Xin said, she knew that this lady obviously had nothing to do with Xiaoyang. Not a love rival, crisis resolved. What happened to Xiaoyang? Miss, do you know the situation? Yes, I was there at the time. Zhang Xin asked Zhang Yan and Zhang Yichen to sit down and told them the whole story. Being hit by a car, and then being sought after for revenge? This was done by Fang Jingyang. Zhang Yichen frowned slightly. He didn't expect that at this time in the Fang family, Fang Jingyang would not protect himself but choose to seek revenge on Xiaoyang. What's the situation now? Zhang Yan continued to ask. Just now in the ambulance, the doctor said that Xiaoyang had broken bones and serious internal injuries. Zhang Yan bit her red lips lightly and stood up immediately. That bastard Fang Jingyang, uncle, take me to take care of him. Zhang Yan has a hot temper to begin with, but too many things happened during this period of time, which made her a lot more depressed. But now, just not long after being with Xiaoyang, something like this happened. In the final analysis, Zhang Yan still took all the responsibility for the matter on herself. If it weren't for me, how could Xiaoyang offend the Fang family? If it weren't for me, Xiaoyang would not have been assassinated by Fang Jingyang. And this situation would never have happened. At this moment, she had forgotten all about Lin Qiu. Xiaoyang had done so many things for him. And now he was beaten unconscious and didn't know what was going on inside. If the bone is broken, will I become paralyzed on one side of my body? The more Zhang Yan thought about it, the more frightened she became. And she couldn't help but feel a little angry. Zhang Yichen, who was standing beside her, understood Zhang Yan well. He knew that if his niece got really angry, if he gave her a knife, she would really chop Fang Jingyang to death. However, he was experienced after all and knew that it was not worth doing so. So he quickly stopped Zhang Yan. Don't be impulsive. Shai Chown, don't worry, I'll do it, and I promise to make sure Fang Jingyang will pay the price. Hearing Zhang Yichen's confident expression, Zhang Yan finally relaxed. At this moment, the door of the operating room suddenly opened. A doctor came out. Who are Xiaoyang's family members? Zhang Yan hurried over and asked, Doctor, how is Xiaoyang? Don't worry, the patient is out of danger. But he had been hit by blunt objects. So his internal injuries were more serious, including the back of his head, which was bleeding profusely. His entire body was severely injured. But logically speaking, his life would be in serious danger in his condition. But he managed to hold on for more than an hour. I can't understand why athletes don't necessarily have such a physique. The doctor shook his head, full of doubt. To be honest, If it weren't for the hospital regulations and legal restrictions, he really wanted to dissect Xiaoyang and see how this guy did it. The head, back, legs, and even the liver were severely damaged. When he was sent to the hospital, he was already unconscious. But he actually managed to survive, and during the surgery and vehicle inspection, his heart beat very strongly. This is simply outrageous. I'm afraid it's not Superman. Here, Zhang Yan was relieved. But he continued to ask, will there be any problems with his body? Will it cause paralysis, or will there be any sequelae? No, he had suffered a blow to his arm, and the bone was broken. But the regenerative capacity of proliferating cells is beyond that of ordinary people. If we continue at this rate, bone regeneration and recovery should not be a big problem. After asking a few more questions, Zhang Yan finally felt relieved. There is no big problem, but I just had the operation. So I need to stay in the hospital for observation and take medication for a period of time. But because of his miraculous recovery ability, he will probably be discharged from the hospital soon. On this side, people from the police station soon came to look for Shang Xian to record his confession. Zhang Yichen asked indirectly and got some information. The other party is very tight-lipped, so at least there won't be any evidence that the Fang family was behind this. As for Shang Xian, she left soon after Zhang Yan arrived. At the same time, in another hospital, it was a luxurious hospital bed. But all the objects here were smashed to the ground. Fang Jingyang's face was full of anger at this moment. Failed. He sent people to kill Xiaoyang, but failed. At this moment, he wished he could skin Xiaoyang alive. He was always calm and would never do something like sending people to assassinate Xiaoyang. But today, he was really driven crazy. My younger brother is on the same page as the outsiders and is keeping an eye on his own position. Both parents were arrested by the relevant authorities. But I was knocked unconscious by a relative and sent to the hospital. The huge Fang family became shaky and on the verge of collapse overnight. Like monkeys scattering when a tree falls. Chapter 185. Are we relatives or rivals? Here, Xiaoyang was also placed in the intensive care unit. Zhang Yan found a hotel nearby and stayed there, while Zhang Yichen was busy with something unknown. At the same time, in a private room of a hotel, Brother Zhang is absolutely right. There was a hint of smile on Lin Hanwen's face. These were Zhang Yiming and Lin Hanwen, who had previously agreed to have dinner together. Brother Lin. Speaking of which, I was negligent at the last auction dinner. I had something urgent to do and was delayed, so I didn't get to meet you. Here, I apologize to you. Zhang Yiming raised his glass and said with a smile. No, Brother Zhang, you're too polite. You, Ray, the leading enterprise in Jiangdu and a very busy man. I should be the one visiting you. Lin Hanwen smiled and raised his glass to drink together. The two of them chatted and the atmosphere was harmonious. Suddenly, Zhang Yiming changed the subject and said with a smile. Come to think of it, we do have some fate. No, it should be said that our two daughters have some fate. After the words fell, Lin Hanwen frowned slightly, but soon put on a smile and asked, what do you mean? Xiaoyang. Lin Hanwen did not refute. He put down his wine glass and waited for Zhang Yiming's next words. Zhang Yichen glanced at Lin Hanwen, and seeing that he didn't say anything, he continued, it's said that men are romantic, and our Mr. Xiao is no exception. Lin Hanwen smiled and said, Xiaoyang is a good kid. My daughter does have some friendship with him. Brother Zhang, stop beating around the bush and just speak your mind. Zhang Yiming was waiting for this sentence, and said with a smile, Xiaoyang has a grudge with the Fang family, you and I both know this. This grudge is because of my eldest daughter Zhang Yan. I feel a little ashamed when I say this. I originally wanted to marry Zhang Yan to the Fang family, but who knew that she would insist on marrying Xiaoyang? And Xiaoyang even made a scene at the Fang family and took Zhang Yan away at the engagement party. As a father, I really shouldn't break up a couple. But I know very little about Xiaoyang. Brother Lin seems to have a good relationship with Xiaoyang. Let's have a good chat. What kind of person do you think Xiaoyang is? Full of vigor and vitality. Lin Hanwen said these four words with a smile. This was obviously not the answer Zhang Yiming wanted. What he wanted to know was Xiaoyang's background. At least his background is definitely not as simple as it seems. But I couldn't ask directly, so I could only continue the conversation in a roundabout way. That's right, he is courageous and determined. He is not a simple young man. Zhang Yiming laughed. Lin Hanwen just smiled and didn't reply. But he felt a little contemptuous in his heart. However, as a businessman, if he compares Xiaoyang and Fang Jingyang, without knowing Xiaoyang's background, he will give priority to Fang Jingyang. However, one difference is that he would give priority to his daughter's choice, instead of forcing her to marry like Zhang Yiming did. I have inquired about Xiaoyang's information, and I am a little curious. How can a child from an ordinary family come up with such a huge sum of money at a dinner party? The most important thing is that he actually used hundreds of billions of funds to acquire 40 of the shares of my Cyan Group. The words fell. Lin Hanwen was stunned. 40% of Saya N Group shares. Hundreds of billions of funds. He took a deep breath. Although Lin Hanwen could be considered an outstanding entrepreneur with abundant assets, but hundreds of billions, even if you put all your belongings on it, you still can't come up with that much money. Seeing Lin Hanwen's expression, Zhang Yiming frowned slightly. The fact that Saya N Group shares were acquired by Xiaoyang was obviously known only to a few people. I thought Lin Hanwen and Xiaoyang were close and knew something about it. But judging from his reaction, it seems that he just learned it from his own mouth. Could it be that Lin Hanwen really didn't know about this? He shook his head and said, I just thought Xiaoyang was a good kid to get along with. But I didn't expect his background to be so strong. After he finished speaking, Zhang Yiming was a little surprised. It's fine if you don't know about the relationship. But you don't even know how much wealth Xiaoyang has. But he could only be half believing and half doubting. After all, no one in the business was stupid. It is also possible that Lin Hanwen is hiding it. He continued, come to think of it, the Fang family was also booming back then. But since Xiaoyang appeared, things have gone downhill. The poisonous land in the XC area seems to have come from Lin Laodi's hands. Zhang Yiming said, looking up. Lin Hanwen was honest. I was indeed the one who sold that piece of land to the Fang family. Zhang Yiming nodded thoughtfully and continued, it's strange to say that the Fang family used to be smooth sailing. But in less than a month after Xiaoyang appeared, the Fang family encountered such a devastating disaster. Brother Lin, do you think Xiaoyang was behind this? Lin Hanwen was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Zhang Yiming to speak so bluntly. In fact, he was also very curious whether Xiaoyang had known about the dam a long time ago. But on second thought, how is this possible? When the dam was built, Xiaoyang was still a toddler. The collapse of this dam required the right time, right place and right people. How could Xiaoyang control it? It's just that he thought exactly the same as Zhang Yiming. The dam collapsed by sheer coincidence. It collapsed at any time. But it collapsed at this moment. If there are too many coincidences, they are no longer coincidences. However, although Lin Hanwen was also suspicious in his heart, he said, Brother Zhang, it's better not to say such nonsense. Who could have imagined the wrath of nature? Yeah. I was rude. Zhang Yiming laughed and toasted with a glass of wine. However, the next topic is not easy to talk about. After chatting for a long time, Zhang Yiming still couldn't get his answer, and Lin Hanwen had no idea about Xiaoyang's background. The two of them had no choice but to continue talking about business. However, the two of them also understood that today's situation would not be possible without Xiaoyang. As a result, my curiosity about Xiaoyang increased. Especially Lin Hanwen, who originally thought that the auction dinner was already a big deal for Xiaoyang. But the matter of 40 of Saya N Group shares really scared him. This method is so complicated. A leading enterprise. The Fang family is deeply rooted. Now it has become like this. He said that your daughter is also interested in Xiaoyang. And so is my daughter. So we are rivals in love, but also relatives. Zhang Yiming suddenly laughed. Lin Hanwen was stunned. How to answer the call? Aha, there is no man who is not romantic. I think we can become relatives, Brother Lin, what do you think? Zhang Yiming said with a smile. Lin Hanwen didn't expect this. He originally thought that his thoughts were open enough. But who knew that Zhang Yiming's thoughts were even more open than his? He smiled and said, I never care about children's affairs. Yes. I shouldn't have cared about it before. Zhang Yiming smiled. Just then, a phone call came in. Zhang Yiming took it and his face suddenly darkened. What? Xiaoyang is in the hospital. Lin Hanwen was also stunned and quickly looked at Zhang Yiming. The two exchanged glances, and Zhang Yiming nodded and said, Okay, I understand. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Yiming said, Fang Jingyang sent someone to assassinate Xiaoyang. Where are the people? Lin Hanwen asked with a frown. I've passed the critical period and am now in the hospital. My daughter is with me. Only then did Lin Hanwen feel relieved. Zhang Yiming shook his head. The Fang family should be completely finished. After saying that, he didn't hesitate to make a phone call. All projects with the Fang family have been suspended. Yes, at all costs. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Yiming looked at Lin Hanwen and said, Brother Lin is also in the real estate business, right? How about we discuss some cooperation? Chapter 100 Itixis Fang Jingyang ran away? After 2 days, Xiaoyang finally woke up from his drowsiness. But even so, his recovery ability became a miracle in the doctor's mouth. He raised his hand, but his arm was already wrapped in a thick plaster and there was a tube in his nose, making it extremely uncomfortable to breathe. At this moment, he also understood where he was and felt at ease. Regardless of anything else, at least my life was saved. He raised his leg again. This foot was naturally bandaged. It was said that it was squeezed by some sharp object. I think it should be Xiaoyi's high heels. He moved his legs and realized that every spot on his body was good. His arms were in plaster and his legs were bandaged like mummies. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh and could only lie down. Just then, something suddenly moved beside me. I turned my head and realized it was Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan raised her eyes and was overjoyed to see Xiaoyang waking up. The doctor also rushed over and said after checking, "A patient is a little weak, try to rest as much as possible. And just need to be given nutrient solution during this period. But can't eat." When he walked out, he just muttered to himself, "Isn't this self-healing ability a bit too much? The wound on the back of my head has healed. And my internal injuries have also improved a lot. If it keeps going like this, it will be healed soon. What kind of carbon-based organisms are these?" Here, Zhang Yan looked at Xiaoyang, only to see that her eyes were dark and she looked much more haggard. It seemed that Zhang Yan had endured a lot during the period of coma. Xiaoyang felt a little distressed and wanted to move his hand over to rub her. But it was obvious that he couldn't lift his hand. He sighed and asked, "How long have I slept? 2 days? No, it's been almost 3 days." Zhang Yan spoke. 3 days. Xiaoyang nodded thoughtfully. It's been 3 days. He glanced at Zhang Yan and slowly asked, "Have you been with me for the past 3 days? Zhang Yan nodded, then shook her head. She stayed in a hotel the day before yesterday. "Thank you for your hard work." Xiaoyang looked at Zhang Yan with dark circles under her eyes. And his heart was filled with warmth. Zhang Yan bit her red lip slightly and said with some guilt, "Whatever hardship you have, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, how could you have offended the Fang family and ended up like this? Fang Jingyang must have been holding a grudge against you. So he sent someone to kill you and I was the one who caused all this. How can I blame you?" Xiaoyang smiled, but in this situation, he could only move his mouth but not his hands. "By the way, Erthunkel asked me to tell you about the Fang family. I almost forgot," Zhang Yan suddenly said. "Fang family?" Xiaoyang frowned slightly. "What happened to the Fang family?" "Fang Jingyang ran away." "Oh," this time, Xiaoyang was stunned. "Fang Jingyang ran away? What's going on?" "Those who killed you were detained by the police station. Fang Jingyang was probably afraid that they would confess him. So he left on a private plane that night," Zhang Yan explained. "Where did you go?" "Foreign." Xiaoyang smiled thoughtfully and said, "The eldest young master of the Fang family actually ran away." "What about the Fang family? He doesn't want such a huge fortune. It seems that he took away a considerable sum of money. Now Fang Jingyuan is in charge of the Fang family." "Fang Jingyuan?" Xiaoyang was slightly stunned. Are the people of the Fang family willing to let Fang Jingyuan be the head of the family? This puzzled him. Fang Jingyuan's character is well known in Zhongdu. Although Fang Jingyang is also a big idiot, he is much better than his brother. At least he has a brain. Why would the Fang family let Fang Jingyuan take charge of the Fang family? Now that the dam has collapsed, Fang Zhen and his wife have both been imprisoned. And Fang Jingyang has fled abroad. The Fang Group is no longer a hot potato, but a difficult one. Although Fang Group still has a lot of industries, many of them have been closed down in the past few days. Fang Group is facing the risk of bankruptcy, bank debts, etc., all of which fall on the head of Fang Group. Fang Jingyuan thought he could manage the Fang family, but in fact he was just a scapegoat. Zhang Yan explained slowly. Only then did Xiaoyang understand. Fang Jingyang fled abroad not only because of the case related to his own assassination, but also because he should have realized that the Fang Group could not be saved. So he simply ran away. So, the Fang family is finished? Yes, before the stock market closed yesterday, the Fang family's shares had already fallen to worthless. Fang Jingyuan is also missing. No one knows where he is now. The relatives and children of the Fang family have also all gone their separate ways. Xiaoyang took a breath of cold air. For such a big Fang family, is it already so late? He is a little bit unbelievable now. I used to think the Fang building was out of my reach. But now, not long has passed, everything has changed. 3 days of heavy rain washed away all the Fang family property. The two chatted for a while. Only then did Xiaoyang realize that so many things had happened in the past few days. During this period, Zhang Yiming came, but Zhang Yan refused to let him see Xiaoyang. In addition, Lin Hanwen also came. Lin Hanwen is Lin Qiu's father, right? Zhang Yan suddenly asked. Xiaoyang was slightly stunned, then nodded. Yes, Lin Hanwen is Lin Qiu's father. Zhang Yan lowered her head, as if thinking about something. After a moment, she raised her head and smiled. Have you all met your parents? No. Xiaoyang hurriedly shook his head. I felt something was wrong again. Xiaoyang. Promise me, don't leave me, Zhang Yan suddenly said seriously. What are you talking about? Of course I won't leave you. Xiaoyang's little finger moved a little bit and hooked Zhang Yan's hand. Zhang Yan then revealed a smile. In fact, she thought about a lot of things during these 3 days. I also read a lot of posts about Xiaoyang and Lin Qiyu on the school forum. She didn't know how deep the feelings between Xiaoyang and Lin Qiyu were, but she thought that it should not be much less than her own. He confessed his love 99 times, and was with me the next day. If he said that he had no feelings for Lin Qiyu, how could that be possible? But she knew very well that she would never be able to leave Xiaoyang. If I had known you were like this, I shouldn't have liked you in the first place. Zhang Yan sighed angrily and continued, the day you left home. I did go to see Lin Qiyu that day. Xiaoyang originally wanted to confess his ambiguous relationship with Lin Qiyu, and now that the topic had come to this, he naturally didn't want to hide it anymore. It was raining heavily that day and Gongming district was flooded. Xiaoyang began to explain everything that happened that day in detail. Of course, he ignored what happened in the hotel. So, it hasn't happened to you yet? Zhang Yan suddenly smiled. Of course, that day was the first time for you and me. Xiaoyang interrupted quickly. Then you and her. It didn't happen. That's good, Zhang Yan grinned. It seems that I am still better. Come on. Since you have remained a virgin, I will reward you. Zhang Yan smiled, bent her head, and kissed Xiaoyang. Clang. What fell on the ground? Xiaoyang and Zhang Yan looked over at the same time. At the door of the ward, a girl was seen staring at the scene blankly with a look of surprise. Lin Qiyu. Chapter 187 Confession. Xiaoyu. Xiaoyang stood there in a daze. But his body was unable to move. He didn't know what to say at the moment and just stood there in a daze. Zhang Yan glanced at Lin Qiyu. In fact, in those confession videos, she had lost count of how many times she had seen Lin Qiyu. But in reality, it was the first time she saw Lin Qiyu. Lin Qiyu was wearing a pink down jacket, her face was filled with surprise and her eyes were full of disbelief. She thought she had walked into the wrong ward, but when she looked again, she glanced at the patient on the bed. This isn't Xiaoyang. Only, she actually saw another girl sitting next to Xiaoyang. And she lowered her head. For a moment, she was at a loss. Zhang Yan stood up and suddenly walked to Lin Qiyu's side. You must be Lin Qiyu, are you here to see Xiaoyang as well? Lin Qiyu was slightly stunned, not knowing what the relationship was between this girl in front of her, whose appearance was comparable to hers, and Xiaoyang. But judging from their behavior, it at least goes beyond normal friendship. Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh, feeling a little annoyed with himself. But at this moment, he couldn't let go of anyone. Xiaoyu. Xiaoyang was about to say something, but the next second, Lin Qiyu interrupted him. Why are you like this? Does it still hurt? What happened? The sudden concern made Xiaoyang a little overwhelmed. Shouldn't she be the one questioning herself who Zhang Yan is now? How could this happen? Zhang Yan was also slightly stunned. She never expected that Lin Qiyu would do such a thing. Instead, I was ignored. I'm fine. The doctor said that I would be fine after a period of hospitalization. Xiaoyang answered truthfully, but his head was still a little confused. In fact, he was not the only one who was confused. Lin Qiyu was also a little confused. But she still asked about Xiaoyang's physical condition with concern. After all, at this moment, there seemed to be no normal part of Xiaoyang's body. Lin Qiyu bit her red lips lightly, but she didn't know what to say next. After a long time, in the ward, the three people fell into silence. The two spoke in unison, and then looked into each other's eyes. Xiaoyang took a long breath and said slowly, Xiaoyu, listen to me first. Lin Qiyu neither nodded nor shook her head. In fact, she didn't want to think about it that way at first. But seeing Xiaoyang's expression at this moment, she knew what he wanted to say. Okay. Lin Qiyu let out a long sigh and stared at Xiaoyang. The sincere and lively eyes immediately made Xiaoyang a little obsessed with them. Lin Qiyu is very beautiful. In other words, her eyes are the most beautiful. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Suddenly, Zhang Yan came over. My name is Zhang Yan. Don't talk. Before he finished speaking, Lin Qiyu suddenly turned his head away. Somewhat agitated. When he looked back again, there were already some bloodshot in his cold eyes. His eye sockets were slightly red, and his body was trembling slightly. You say? Lin Qiyu's voice suddenly changed. Xiaoyang was stunned. As if he was back to the time when he first confessed his love to Lin Qiyu and how cold and aloof she was. I like you, but... Xiaoyang glanced at Zhang Yan. So you like her too, right? Lin Qiyu's voice gradually became colder. Xiaoyang nodded. The next second, Lin Qiyu raised his hand. And Xiaoyang subconsciously took half a step back. But this hand stopped at emptying the space. Lin Qiyu's expression gradually became lonely. I see. Her voice was very soft, but it sounded like she was about to cry. Xiaoyang felt extremely distressed when he saw this. And wanted to do something, but his hands couldn't move at all. Suddenly, a teardrop slid down and fell on the palm of Xiaoyang's hand. Xiaoyang raised his head again. Lin Qiyu, I hope I can still be with you. At least for the rest of my life, I can't live without you. The voice came out of his mouth. Lin Qiyu was stunned for a moment, and his mind went blank. Zhang Yan stood aside, feeling mixed emotions. The ward became quiet again. Lin Qiyu turned around and suddenly bumped into Zhang Yan. She lowered her head and choked up, "I'm sorry." Xiao Yang was stunned. He thought about how Lin Qiyu would react after he confessed all this. Furious? Or slap yourself in anger? But this silence was unexpected. Lin Qiyu was seen biting her red lips, and a trace of blood actually flowed out. Apart from that, there was no blood on her face at all. Xiao Yang suddenly felt a little distressed. "Xiao Yu." Before he finished speaking, a figure ran out like crazy. Xiao Yang stretched out his hand, wanting to chase after him. But at this moment, his body was simply unable to support his movements. As soon as I exerted force, I felt a tearing pain in my legs, feet and arms. Clang! A stent, the respirator, and the bottle for delivering nutrient solution were all scattered on the ground, and Xiao Yang fell off the bed with a bang. It seemed that the movement behind her attracted Lin Qiu's attention. She turned around and looked inside through the gap in the ward, only to see that it was a mess. Xiao Yang had just woken up and was weak. He fainted after being shaken. The wound that had already been stitched began to bleed, instantly staining the gauze bandage on the head red. Zhang Yan quickly leaned over to support Xiao Yang. "Doctor, where's the doctor?" Lin Qiu's face was full of panic and she ran out quickly. As soon as she saw a doctor, she immediately dragged him to the ward. Fortunately, this was an advanced care ward, and soon, specialized nurses and doctors arrived. Lin Qiu took a quiet look, turned her body, and wanted to leave. And looking at Xiao Yang, who was treating his wound on the hospital bed, he felt reluctant to let him go. At this moment, her heart ached. Maybe it was because I felt sad when I saw Xiao Yang with other girls. Or maybe it was because he felt heartbroken when he saw Xiao Yang falling off the bed. Lin Qiu herself didn't know when she bit her lips. She just squatted there like a little hamster. At this moment, a hand was placed on Lin Qiu. "Can we talk?" Lin Qiu looked up and saw it was Zhang Yan. The two girls looked at each other. Zhang Yan's eyes were slightly red at this moment, and she looked a little tired. They all glanced at the busy doctors in the ward at the same time, and turned their heads away at the same time, with a trace of worry flashing across their faces. "Good." Lin Qiu's voice was very soft. Outside the ward, two girls sat down. "What did the doctor say?" Lin Qiu suddenly asked. After she called the doctor, she didn't say anything else and just watched from outside. So she didn't know the specific situation. "It's nothing serious. They say Xiao Yang has a good physique and recovers quickly, but this time his old injury relapsed, so he may have to stay in for a few more days." A hint of bitterness flashed across Zhang Yan's face. Lin Qiu nodded. Zhang Yan looked at Lin Qiu and suddenly said, "And you listened to the story between Xiao Yang and me?" Chapter 188. If possible, don't leave Xiao Yang. Lin Qiu was stunned for a moment. After a moment, he nodded. She didn't know what this Zhang Yan who appeared out of nowhere meant. But no matter who she was, she wanted to know what kind of relationship the man she liked had with other women. "Do you know the Zhang family?" Zhang Yan asked. Lin Qiu shook his head. "And do you know Saya and Group?" Lin Qiu nodded then. Saya and Group is a very famous company in Jiangdu. Zhang Yan swung her long legs and began to talk about her life story. "I am considered a rich lady. People think that I have no worries about food and clothing. I am beautiful, and I am loved by everyone. I should have no worries. But the fact is, I don't even have the right to choose the second half of my life. I have believed since they were young that Fang Jingyang of the Fang Group and I were childhood sweethearts. But in fact, I have never liked Fang Jingyang, and the contrary. I hate him." Zhang Yan let out a long sigh. Continued talking. The story quickly goes back to a month ago. Zhang Yan found out that her father had secretly arranged a marriage with the Fang family, so she fled from the Zhang family overnight. Then, there was the scene at the station. That was when I met Xiao Yang. Zhang Yan remembered the date very clearly. Lin Qiu was a little surprised. This happened after I asked Xiao Yang why he didn't continue to confess his feelings. "Were you together then?" "No." Zhang Yan shook her head and continued speaking. Zhang Yan recounted everything about King Xuantong, including the subsequent car ride and the night scene confession. The story is short. The time we spent together was not long. Only 3 short days. Lin Qiu was slightly stunned and suddenly felt a little envious. How great it would be if that was my 100th confession. At least I would never reject his confession. What about you? You agree, right? Only at this moment did Lin Qiu realize that what Xiao Yang had told her that day, that he had someone he liked, was true. It's not a line or a plot replay. It's all my own self-love. She suddenly felt a little pain in her heart. It was too late for me to agree. Zhang Yan shook her head and sighed. Why? Lin Qiu asked, puzzled. Why? Are you like me? Who likes to reject confessions for no reason, and has to do it 100 times? Lin Qiyu complained in her heart, and felt a little sad at the same time. If I wasn't so arrogant, Zhang Yan wouldn't have had to deal with me. She confessed to me 99 times, and even if I agreed once. Zhang Yan explained, I've been to Xiao Yang's house. And I know his family situation very well, even though he has his own car and spends money like water. But compared with Xia Yan Group and Fang family, the gap is too big. My dad won't agree with me being with him. Zhang Yan spoke slowly, and recounted what had happened to her during the past half-month. Where in the world can we find parents like this? Lin Qiyu said with some indignation. Speaking of which, my father is still the best. At least support freedom of love. So what happened next? Why did you get together again? Later, Lin Qiyu also brought up the matter between Xiao Yang and the Fang family again. On this side, Lin Qiyu was already stunned. So much money. I have saved up change for many years, and only have 100 million. How can Xiao Yang be so rich? Zhang Yan's expression gradually changed, and she smiled a little more. So, in the end, I can't leave him anymore. And I can't go back to the Zhang family. Tell me, am I lucky, or unlucky? Lin Qiyu didn't say anything, but just held his chin with his hand, thinking about something. I don't have parents now. Xiao Yang is my only support. Without him, I don't know what my future will be like. Zhang Yan sighed and said slowly. Lin Qiyu was stunned for a moment and looked at the girl in front of him. After a long moment, she nodded. I see. I won't bother Xiao Yang anymore. Lin Qiyu bit her red lips, thinking that Zhang Yan was persuading her to leave Xiao Yang. Yes, I have been through so many things with Xiao Yang. If it were me, I would probably be unable to leave Xiao Yang. So I should help them achieve their goals. But then, Zhang Yan shook her head and said, I didn't ask you to give Xiao Yang to me. In fact, I know he has confessed his love to you 99 times. And I also know that you are in his heart. And you, I've always minded. But you also saw that Xiao Yang likes you very much. Too, Zhang Yan sighed. To be honest, I really envy you for being confessed to by Xiao Yang 99 times. Perhaps, you have a much deeper meaning in his heart than I do. Lin Qiyu's mind moved slightly. She also knew that Xiao Yang liked her. I can still vividly remember how I was trapped by the heavy rain a few days ago. Thinking of how he walked in the icy river for several hours and then carried himself back with difficulty. I was deeply moved. Holy, who doesn't mind that the boy they like has another woman in his heart? Lin Qiyu shook his head secretly. I won't accept it anyway. But just as Zhang Yan said, she can't live without Xiao Yang. What about yourself? Can I leave Xiao Yang? Yes, I can. Lin Qiyu said secretly in her heart. But at this moment, many things emerged in my mind. Xiao Yang confessed his love to me downstairs in the dormitory. Xiao Yang in the kitchen, Xiao Yan carrying me in the water when the flood was rampant. Isn't what Xiao Yang and I have experienced enough? And that day, he asked me to help him with my mouth. A blush suddenly flashed through Lin Qiyu's mind. I didn't expect that Xiao Yang and I have been through so many things. Seeing Lin Qiyu's expression, Zhang Yan probably knew what she was thinking. Actually, if he pursues you, I won't stop him, even if he is with you. Zhang Yan suddenly said. This made Lin Qiyu slightly stunned. And she asked in amazement, why? If Xiao Yang pursues me, what will you do? To be honest, I don't know either. Zhang Yan smiled bitterly. I don't know how Xiao Yang treats you. But he is very good to me. At least he was able to save me from the Fang family's fire pit. He resolutely offended the Fang family for me, and in order to make me feel at ease, he did not hesitate to take out shares worth hundreds of billions. Speaking of which, Xiao Yang is so good to me, but think about it. I have never done anything for him. Maybe this is why I indulge him. No one likes to share their man with others, but in comparison, I still hope that Xiao Yang can live a happy life. It was because of me that Xiao Yang was assassinated by Fang Jingyang. It was because of me that he is now covered in wounds. And I don't have much to give, only myself and my feelings for him. If Xiao Yang is unhappy because of you, I think I won't be happy either. So I don't mean to break up you and Xiao Yang. Zhang Yan glanced at Lin Qiyu, seeming to be still thinking about something. In fact, she didn't know what she would do in the future. Stop Xiao Yang from being with Lin Qiyu. In this case, will Xiao Yang be happy? Just like his father stopped him from being with Xiao Yang. She knew that she could not change Xiao Yang's temperament. Nor was she able to drive Lin Qiyu out of Xiao Yang's inner world. He himself is even more dependent on Xiao Yang. What should I do then? In the end, Zhang Yan felt that she had no choice but to compromise. As for the rest, Zhang Yan really doesn't care about other people's opinions. Zhang Yan slowly raised her head and said, if possible, could you please not leave Xiao Yang? The voice fell. Lin Qiyu looked at Zhang Yan in surprise. What are you doing? Chapter 189. Chapter 189. But at the end of the story, You still seem to say bye-bye. Lin Qiu was stunned. A girl who is as beautiful as her, the same age, and has an almost perfect figure and background would actually say such a thing. Lin Qiu didn't know how to answer at this moment. She had never thought about these things. Isn't it right for the two of them to stay together forever? She really had no idea what the future of the three of them would be like if this idea went forward. It was her father who told her about Xiaoyang's situation in the hospital. Lin Qiyu was still very surprised when she received the news. And now, Zhang Yan told herself that these things were actually caused by her. Otherwise, how could Xiaoyang be assassinated by Fang Jingyang? For some reason, Lin Qiyu was a little envious of Zhang Yan. She envied Xiaoyang for going against the famous Fang group for her. And for bearing a lot of pressure now, someone actually wanted to take his life. In this case, maybe it's okay for Zhang Yan to do this. After all, her only choice in this life is to stay with Xiaoyang forever. But what about yourself? Lin Qiu shook his head. Although Xiaoyang had confessed his love to her 99 times and she loved Xiaoyang, this matter was really shocking to talk about. How is that possible? How could I, Lin Qiu, share my man with others? Although Lin Qiu was somewhat moved by what Zhang Yan said, she could not deny that Xiaoyang was still in her heart. But this is always impossible. Lin Qiu didn't say anything else, but stood up and looked at Zhang Yan. You are very beautiful. And you and Xiaoyang are a perfect match. I am leaving. Lin Qiu let out a long sigh when she said this. Her heart suddenly felt a little painful. Is this what it feels like to be heartbroken? Lin Qiu always felt that the passionate love scenes in TV romance dramas were a bit pretentious. But at this moment, she felt it for sure. Xiaoyang, the only boy she had liked in the past 19 years. The countless times she had spent with Xiaoyang kept flashing through her mind. There is almost no sadness. He is very handsome. The meal was delicious. He is tall, handsome and gives a very safe feeling. He once trudged through the icy river carrying himself on his back. He had also made himself extremely heartbroken. For example, Lin Qiu turned and left when she turned away. Zhang Yan could still see the hot tears flowing from the corners of her eyes. Lin Qiu almost ran out with his eyes covered. Completely different from before. My heart was filled with sadness, and that figure was the only thing left in my mind. At this moment, Zhang Yan was stunned for several seconds. She sighed and went back outside the ward. At this time, Xiaoyang had already been properly treated by the doctor and was fine. Although he was still in a coma. I tried my best. Zhang Yan looked at Xiaoyang's quiet face with a hint of reluctance and slightly red eyes, which made people feel distressed. On the other side, Lin Qiu walked out of the hospital crying. Outside the hospital, Lin Hanwen had been waiting in his car for a long time. What's wrong? Why are you crying so sadly? Seeing Lin Qiu's tears streaming down her face, Lin Hanwen of course knew what was going on. He knew about Zhang Yan's affairs, but he still asked one more question. Lin Qiu let out a moan and threw herself into Lin Hanwen's arms. Okay, don't cry. Lin Hanwen looked at his daughter with heartache. It seems that Xiaoyang failed in the negotiation. It seems that we can't become in-laws. However, he was not very enthusiastic about this matter. What is that he wants his daughter to be happy, the two of them love each other. And Xiaoyang can be regarded as someone who can be trusted. Of course, if he can be more loyal. Another reason is the same. Who would want their daughter to share a husband with another man? After all, no one is an old pervert like Zhang Yiming. After crying for a while, Lin Qiu finally calmed down. She sat in the car, looking out the window, feeling a little dazed. Shuo, where are we going now? Lin Qiu was slightly stunned. Come back to my house. Doesn't Dad have a meeting this afternoon? Those are all trivial matters, Shuoi, you should be happy. Lin Hanwen said with a smile. Dad, you're so nice. Lin Qiu bit her lip slightly. I have to say, there is a huge difference between my father and Zhang Yan's father. And let's send you home. Call me if you need anything. Lin Hanwen said slowly. The home that Lin Qiu was referring to was not Lin Hanwen's home, but her mother's home. Lin Qiu suddenly felt speechless. Should he take back what he had said? You are so nice? Thinking back to the day when I was trapped in the car, I had called Lin Hanwen, but the call was simply not going through. At Xiaoyang. Why did I think of him again? Lin Qiu drove Xiaoyang's figure out of his mind and snorted coldly again. Scumbag. Back home. Lin Qiu returned to her boudoir. The person in the mirror had red eyes and looked extremely sad. At this moment, the alarm of the mobile phone suddenly rang and a song came into my ears. Lin Qiu was stunned for a moment, but did not turn off the alarm, but let it ring softly. A melodious and pleasant prelude played, and Xiaoyang's voice resounded from it. The little yellow in the story has been floating since the year he was born. The swings of childhood are still swinging in my memory. I didn't expect that I still have the courage I lost. I want to ask again. Will you wait or leave? Wendy Day. I tried holding your hand. But the rain gradually got so heavy that I couldn't see you anymore. How long will it take before I can be by your side? Maybe I'll feel better when the weather clears up. Once upon a time, there was someone who loved you for a long time. But the wind gradually blew the distance away. It's not easy. I can love you for one more day. But the end of the story. You still said goodbye. Lin Qiyu couldn't help but humming. When the word bye was finally uttered, Lin Qiyu finally couldn't hold it anymore. Tears suddenly overflowed from my eyes and slid down from the corners of my eyes. Yes, at the end of the story, I still said goodbye. Lin Qiyu had long regarded this song as Xiaoyang's confession to her. I understand now. It turns out that I can actually say the word bye-bye. Can I love you for one more day? Lin Qiyu shook her head. What if she could love him for one more day? What's next? Xiaoyang, are you really a prophet? Do you think it's impossible for us to be together? I just now know that what you said about having someone you like is true. It's not about the lines, you already have Zhang Yan in your heart, right? I was just being sentimental. Lin Qiyu was in tears. Luckily there was no one else at home, as her mother and others were still at work. She looked at the computer on her desk. When I opened it, the desktop wallpaper showed the scene of Xiaoyang confessing his love. Why are you everywhere? Lin Qiyu cursed, opened personalization, and prepared to change the computer's desktop wallpaper. But I still put it down. I'll replace you when I find a better wallpaper. Having said that, Lin Qiyu also understood. Is there any wallpaper better than the one when Xiaoyang confessed his love? No, there is another one. Lin Qiyu thought about it and changed into the photo of Xiaoyang wearing women's clothes. Well, this seems to be better. Chapter 190. What did he do that makes you like him so much? Hey, Qiwo, why are you at home? Didn't you say your boyfriend is in the hospital? Why are you staying in the dormitory instead of taking care of him? Here, Lin Qiyu was in a daze when a voice suddenly came. The door of the room opened and a girl walked in. Sister, why are you at home? Lin Qiyu quickly wiped her tears and asked. It turned out that this was Lin Qiyu's half-sister, named Chu Jiayu. Like Lin Qiyu's family, Lin Qiyu's stepfather also comes from a divorced family. After the family was reorganized, Chu Jiayu lived with her father. Although the two sisters were not biological sisters, they had a good relationship since childhood. Why are you crying? Chu Jiayu hurriedly walked to Lin Qiyu. What's going on? Did your boyfriend bully you? Chu Jiayu was full of surprise. She knew something about Lin Qiyu's emotional problems. I heard that her boyfriend has been pursuing her for a long time. Besides, considering Lin Qiyu's appearance, personality and family background, how could there be a boy who would have the heart to make her cry? He likes someone else. Lin Qiyu buried her head and cried bitterly. Maybe it was okay with her father before, but when it came to Chu Jiayu, Lin Qiyu could no longer hold it in. Xiaoyang likes someone else. Woo! As soon as the words fell, Chu Jiayu was stunned. What? There is actually a boy who doesn't want such a beautiful girl like our Shuoi and falls in love with someone else instead. What is this? Don't you know your wife is beautiful? With Lin Qiyu's looks and personality, she's definitely a goddess. This is the campus of the University of Finance and Economics. She, Lin Qiyu, immediately asked, her eyes full of murderous intent. Lin Qiyu didn't say everything, she just simply said that Xiaoyang was with someone else. As for what Zhang Yan said, she naturally did not reveal it. How is it possible for two women to share one man? It's okay, he's just a scumbag. Yes, our Xiaoyu is so outstanding that the boys chasing you have lined up from Chengdu to Kyoto. What does a scumbag like Xiaoyang mean to you? But, Lin Qiyu bit her red lips lightly, feeling unwilling. Xiaoyu, you should be thankful that you have seen through him now. Otherwise who knows how long he would have kept it a secret from you. Okay, don't cry. Chu Jiayu hugged Lin Qiyu and comforted her. Lin Qiyu stopped crying but was still sobbing. Well, just a man. Lin Qiyu stared blankly at the desktop wallpaper on the computer screen which had not changed yet. But I really like him. The scene of that day reappeared in Lin Qiyu's mind. Xiaoyang waded through the water carrying her on his back. The scenes of Xiaoyang wearing women's clothing in the hotel are still vivid in my mind. Seeing her sister like this, Chu Jiayu couldn't help but get angry. He's just a scumbag who's good at sweet talk and doublate. But my heart hurts so much. Lin Qiyu shook her head. Tears in her eyes. He's just a bastard. What did he do to make you like him so much? Lin Qiyu paused. After the words fell, Chu Jiayu stood there in a daze. You all did that kind of thing? Huh? Not understanding what Chu Jiayu said, Chu Jiayu coughed twice. I'm overthinking it. Then when I ask you what he did, you say, I thought you liked him. Chu Jiayu rubbed his head and thought. Damn it, it's all my fault. I read all these online novels for no reason and ended up making myself dirty. Okay. It's okay next time if I meet him, I will help you beat him. Chu Jiayu waved his fist. Lin Qiyu could only nod. But soon, he shook his head again. She still knew her sister's character very well. My sister has been practicing martial arts since she was a child and has a rather free and easy personality. If she were to say this, she might actually do such a thing. Think about it, how many people can Xiaoyang fight against by himself? If he sends his sister over, wouldn't that be a waste? Okay, forget about him. Chu Jiayu snorted, they are just bastards. Lin Qiyu remained silent. The two sisters talked for a while. And Lin Qiyu suddenly asked, by the way, sister, did you succeed in your job application today? Yeah, it went surprisingly smoothly. It turned out that Chu Jiayu was not like Lin Qiyu, who grew up in Jiangdu. She went to college in Jiangdu and was now a senior. So she was thinking about returning to Jiangdu to look for job opportunities. It was raining heavily that day, and Lin Qiyu wanted to go to the airport to pick up her sister. That's awesome, this is the kind of job I would look for. That's right, Chu Jiayu laughed and said, you may not believe it. But our company's boss is younger than me. She is a beautiful lady who looks only about 18 or 19 years old. So young. Yes, and she's very beautiful. Wow, I can't believe it. That in such a small city like Jiangdu, besides my Shuoi, there is actually such a beauty, Chu Jiayu said with a sly smile on his face. Sister, wipe your saliva. Lin Qiyu hurriedly handed over a tissue. The latter did not take the tissue, but wiped it casually with his sleeve. Lin Qiyu couldn't help but smile when she saw this. Chu Jiayu immediately took Lin Qiyu's arm and said with a smile, Shuo, believe it or not, I will take down the CEO of our company within 2 months. Lin Qiyu was suddenly at a loss whether to laugh or cry. She still understands her sister. Everything else is fine. Except the orientation. Like women. To use an adjective from the internet. It's lace lily or something. So she has a somewhat aggressive personality, tending towards being a tomboy, and has liked to harm other girls since she was a child. However, because Chu Jiayu is very beautiful, she is successful in everything and has many girlfriends. Come to think of it, my sister is the scumbag. It's just a female version of a scumbag. And the scumbags are all girls. Lin Qiyu stuck out her tongue and could only respond, I believe it. Chu Jiayu showed a strange smile, and then suddenly glanced at the computer beside him. Suddenly Chu Jiyu's eyes were filled with surprise. I'll go. Who is this? Chu Jiayu looked at the computer screen and saw a short-haired girl in a skirt, looking charming with a dazed look in her eyes. This posture. What a beauty. Chu Jiayu suddenly felt her heart beating. Lin Qiyu turned her head away. On the desk is a photo of Xiaoyang in women's clothing that he had just changed into. Seeing her sister's eyes, Lin Qiyu was startled and quickly covered the notebook. This is my friend. Chu Jiayu looked at Lin Qiu's expression and immediately knew that his sister must be hiding something from him. After a moment, she suddenly said in surprise, Xiao Yu. You won't be either. Lin Qiyu immediately held his forehead and rolled his eyes at his sister. Of course not. And introduce your friend to me. She's so pretty. No, you scumbag, Lin Qiyu snorted. Chu Jiayu was not angry, and the figure in the long skirt appeared in her mind. It's the best. She wiped the saliva from the corner of her mouth. Chapter 191. Then make him gay. Wow, this one is good. Oh my god, this one is so charming. I like this one the most. Oh, the breasts are a little small, but it doesn't matter. Mine are not big either. Chu Jiayu's voice gradually rose. Full of excitement, he felt his blood rushing up and was completely immersed in it. What a beautiful girl. On the side, Lin Qiyu was full of pride. Although she said no, Lin Qiyu was still very generous and clicked on Xiaoyang's picture of women's clothing. Both men and women like to share their significant other with others. What's more, this is earned through hard work. Lin Qiyu bit her red lip slightly, thinking of the day when she fell at the feet of Xiaoyang. Her face flushed and her blood rushed to her head. Chu Jiayu, who was standing aside, was looking at it with full of confusion. How come you are even more crazy than me, Shuoi? You won't. Chu Jiayu gave an insider look. Lin Qiyu quickly shook her head. No. Really? Don't be dishonest? TSK, I'm straight. What a coincidence, I'm straight too, Chu Jiayu smiled meaningfully. She continued to browse the photos with a dazed look on her face. If it were an ordinary girl, I really wouldn't be attracted to her. I don't know why, but I feel that this girl has an indescribable charm. Or is it that you feel the same as yourself, with a sense of coolness? I must trick Shuoi and deceive her. No, trick this beautiful girl over here. She blushed and glanced at Lin Qiyu, saying, send these photos to me. No, this is someone else's photo, I have to. Lin Qiyu was stunned for a moment. I originally wanted to ask Xiaoyang, but then I changed my mind and thought, what are the two of them now? How can I ask myself? I felt a little depressed for a while. How about this? You send me all these photos and I will take care of your meals for the next few days. How about that? Chu Jiayu raised an eyebrow. In fact, Chu Jiayu is very confident in her cooking skills. After all, if you want to capture a woman's heart, you must first capture her stomach. She also studied cooking skills and learned it from a chef in a 5-star hotel for a period of time. This trick has always worked for Lin Qiyu, and it works almost the same for other girls too. As long as she gets it in her mouth, she's got it. But what surprised her was that under normal circumstances, Lin Qiyu would choose to agree without hesitation. She knew her sister too well, how could she not be tempted by such a foodie? But what is Lin Qiyu doing? She actually shook her head. I saw her frowning slightly, as if she was a little disgusted. Yes, Lin Qiyu was just disgusted. She used to like her sister's cooking, but after getting used to Xiaoyang's cooking, she suddenly felt that Chu Jiayu's cooking skills were, that's all. Compared with Xiaoyang, he is not even a little bit worse. Subconsciously, Lin Qiyu's mind reappeared the figure busy in the kitchen. After eating secretly, he didn't forget to wipe his mouth. After each meal, I would play rock paper scissors with him to decide who would wash the dishes. But now, the one who is doing these things with him should be Zhang Yan. Lin Qiu's heart was suddenly filled with a sense of loss. The time she spent with Xiaoyang was not long, even much shorter than the time he pursued her. But I don't know why, I just feel his shadow is everywhere. I think of his cooking when I eat. When I opened my computer, his wallpaper appeared again. When the alarm rings, it's his sunny day. Before I knew it, my life was all about you. Lin Qiyu looked at Xiaoyang's charming figure and couldn't help but smile. How can he be so handsome? On this side, Lin Qiu's emotional changes naturally fell into Chu Jiayu's eyes. But it didn't matter. What's important is this girl's contact information. This is goddess. In fact, Xiaoyang's face doesn't look like the soft face of a woman. But his already handsome face has added some charm and a mysterious feeling because of the makeup. Chu Jiayu simply couldn't help herself. Although when she was in school, she was also called School. What kind of goddess am I? She is the goddess, okay. Xiaoyu, just tell me the conditions. How can you help me ask her out? Chu Jiayu raised his eyebrows. Lin Qiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You don't really like him, do you? No, but he's straight. The crisp sound fell into Lin Qi's pleasant ears. The scene of that day suddenly appeared in her mind. Damn scumbag. On the other side, Xiaoyang slowly woke up. He frowned slightly and felt a pain at the back of his head. He only remembered that he fell off the bed at that time. And he didn't remember what happened afterwards. Chai Chao? Xiaoyang called out. Zhang Yan, who was lying on the side to rest, suddenly woke up seeing Xiaoyang wake up. Her face was full of joy. Go back to the hotel and rest. How can you sleep here? Xiaoyang asked with concern. It's okay, I'll be here with you. Xiaoyang didn't say anything else, just nodded slightly. By the way, about Lin Qiu. Xiaoyang was silent for a moment, then slowly said, I like you, but I also like Lin Qiu. I know that my behavior is indeed that of a scumbag. But I can't give up on anyone. Xiaoyang looked at Zhang Yan and said guiltily. I'm sorry, Xiaoyan, I know I'm taking it too seriously. It's just that Lin Qiu and I have been through so much. If I don't explain it to her, I won't be able to get over it myself. I can't tell you against my will that I only like you. Zhang Yan did not interrupt Xiaoyang, but just listened quietly without any change in her expression. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. I have to say that these words are indeed a bit exaggerated. But they are also my truest thoughts. Similarly, you and I have been through so many things. I can't live without you either. I know that I might lose both of you at the same time. But I still want you to know my feelings. Xiaoyang looked at Zhang Yan lovingly. Zhang Yan immediately revealed a happy smile. Yes, I can't live without you. Because you are everything to me. She didn't say anything, but just stroked Xiaoyang's cheek. Take good care of your injuries, so that you can chase Lin Qiu back faster. After the words fell, Xiaoyang stood there in a daze, thinking he had heard it wrong. But you have to tell her that I will always be the queen. Zhang Yan whispered in Xiaoyang's ear. The gentle breath touched my earlobe, making it feel extremely itchy. All right. Then I will take good care of my injuries. But after I recover, I will let you, the queen, do what you should do first. For example, sleep with me. Xiaoyang turned his head fiercely and his lips pressed against Zhang Yan's mouth. My lady, you are so kind. Chapter 192, Lord Dragon King has a new love. Xiaoyang has spent the past few days in the hospital. With Zhang Yan accompanying me, it's not too bad. He also asked Zhang Yan to buy him a mobile phone. When he was free, Xiaoyang would naturally send some messages to Lin Qiu. However, Lin Qiu did not reply, which made Xiaoyang a little depressed. A revolution has not yet succeeded, comrades, you still need to work hard. In addition, there are also tasks assigned by the system. But Xiaoyang also pays a lot of attention to the third way for the super rich to become independent. earning a profit of 30 million. Xiao Yang frowned slightly. The difficulty is really getting higher and higher. But speaking of it, these tasks were almost all completed by Zhang Shengzhu. Even Xiao Yang didn't know why, but Zhang Shengzhu silently earned the money for him. The reward is, each value increases by 10 points. Xiao Yang didn't know what these values meant, but he knew they would definitely not be bad. Okay. I've already transferred 1 billion, you can take your pick. Xiao Yang hung up the phone, explained to Zhang Shengzhu why he had not been able to contact him in the past few days, and transferred another 1 billion yuan to the company's account. With these 10 billion, a profit of 30 million will surely be within reach. Xiao Yang didn't care what Zhang Shengzhu did as a person with growth potential chosen by the system. She had her own abilities, so he didn't need to worry about her at all. And Zhang Shengzhu's previous growth mission was further completed. The latest missions are coming one after another. In addition, the two most eye-catching tasks in the system are those related to music. One of them is, becoming a super rich person starts with music a long-term task. This task was issued by the system when Xiao Yang just took over the music company. Another one is about the mission of Xin Xianrong. The task is to sign a contract with Xin Xianrong and make him an artist under the music company. Combined with the music library in his mind, Xiao Yang already knew what he should do next. He casually opened the live broadcast platform on his mobile phone. The next second, a hot girl popped out directly on the screen. It is so short that you can show your absolute territory just by bending your body slightly. Xiao Yang was stunned. Then I watched for a while. Yeah, not bad. Man, although I know that this face has been beautified countless times, I still can't take my eyes off the twisting figure. What the hell am I here for? When the song ended, Xiao Yang collected his thoughts. Xin Xianrong still didn't open the live broadcast room. He took a look at the number of subscribers, which was over 100. Xiao Yang stepped out. He was not in a hurry and went to the game area. I haven't played games for a while. I have to say that before getting the system, Xiao Yang was also a half-internet addict. Damn the system. Damn the money. How much he missed the days before he got the system. Maybe he is still happily playing games with his roommates now. Xiao Yang silently glanced at Zhang Yan, who was sleeping soundly beside him, and couldn't help but rub her smiling face. This feel not as good as a mouse. The hand gradually moves downwards. Here, Xiao Yang also went directly into the late broadcast room of a female anchor in the gaming area. This female anchor is also good at playing games. She isn't like other female anchors who play games while hanging a gaming sign but only broadcast content related to facial expressions. The game is in progress. As soon as Xiao Yang entered the live broadcast room, the dangling Dragon King sign emitted a flashing light that fell into the eyes of the audience in the live broadcast room. Fuck, Dragon King. Meet the Dragon King. For a moment, the entire live broadcast room was filled with comments about the Dragon King. Xiao Yang felt extremely refreshed in his heart. After all, people, no matter how low-key they are, like to hear compliments. The Dragon King has arrived. Isn't this more like fire clearing the way? Little Moonlight is about to get rich. This is the Dragon King. Dragon King, isn't this going to take the top spot? The mouse is already in place, just waiting for the Dragon King to send out the red envelope. For a moment, barrages of comments flew up. However, the female anchor Xiao Yuguang glanced at him and said with a smile, "Welcome to the Dragon King." On this side, Xiao Yang felt a little embarrassed. His original intention was just to watch the game live broadcast. After all, he hadn't played games for some time and his hands were itching. He couldn't look down on it even though he couldn't play it. But under the instigation of the barrage, Xiao Yang had no choice but to click on the recharge page. No matter how poor you are still the Dragon King, and you can't be without status. Looking at the balance notification on his mobile phone, Xiao Yang sighed. There are still tens of billions left, so it's okay to squander them a bit. After charging nearly 10,000, Xiao Yang directly sent down a few super fires. The Dragon King is generous. As expected of the Dragon King. However, in addition to the grand atmosphere, there were still many comments that expressed dissenting opinions. Is Lord Dragon King in trouble? Has his funding chain been cut off? These are just a few super hot ones. There's no respect at all. What about 99? Is this the Dragon King who teases cats? How hilarious. Xiao Yang suddenly became angry, but after changing his mind, he stopped. Damn it, do you think I'm a fool? You want me to give you money just for adding fuel to the fire? Sure enough, Xiao Yuguang's face changed slightly. When I first saw that it was super popular, I thought that the famous Mr. Yang was going to make a big splash again and give out huge rewards. But who would have thought that it would only go super popular in a few days? But soon he smiled and thank you, Mr. Yang. For the reward, thank you. Xiao Yang just smiled and said nothing. However, the number of viewers in the live broadcast room soon increased significantly. After all, there were no activities and the rich rarely gave rewards during this period, but the popularity still attracted a lot of viewers. In addition to this, of course, the traffic was attracted by Xiao Yang's title of Dragon King. For a time, the popularity of the live broadcast room skyrocketed. Xiao Yang didn't expect that his title would have such an effect. The screen was full of meeting the Dragon King. He felt that if he stayed any longer, he would probably be rewarded again. Of course, this amount of money is nothing to him now. But the problem is, why should I give you a reward? At this time, the girl named Xia Yuguan was wearing a white long dress, which gave her the air of an ancient beauty. She had a pretty face, which was quite suitable for Xiao Yang's taste. She looked relatively pure, which was why Xiao Yang liked to watch her play games. She has both good looks and figure, but it's unknown to what extent she has used beauty filters. Xiao Yang couldn't help but laugh and send out a barrage. "Girl, can you add WeChat?" This barrage was naturally sent out along with this super fire. The next second, gorgeous super hot special effects were also hung above the late broadcast room, and the bombing immediately caused a barrage of comments to fly up. Xiao Yuguan was originally a little dissatisfied. It's just a small reward from the Dragon King. But when this barrage came down, she was stunned. Her live broadcast room is still very popular, with many people sending gifts and countless people asking to add her on WeChat to spend money on it. But she is after all going for the pure and innocent route, and her persona needs to be solid, so she rejected many people who directly asked for her WeChat ID. But this time, the person asking the question is the now famous and only true god, Dragon King Yang. But if I agree directly in the live broadcast room, will it make the original fans dissatisfied? She suddenly hesitated. After all, if she wanted to maintain her character, she had to reject some requests for comments. What to do? Do you agree or not? Seeing that the popularity was still continuing, she was stunned for a moment. On the other side, Xiao Yang of course just said this casually and then left the live broadcast room. With Zhang Yan around, it's better to forget about this kind of internet beauty monster. Not to mention that there is still Lin Hu who has not been finalized yet. Besides, I'm not a scumbag. Xiao Yang's mind became more determined. On the other side, in a larger flat, two girls were lying on the sofa. This is a newly purchased house. The decorations in the rooms are all new and it looks like it has been renovated not long ago. One of the girls suddenly jumped up, looking extremely nervous. "Fuck, Xin. What's wrong? Why are you making such a fuss?" Zhang Xin stretched comfortably. The income from the live broadcast platform had just arrived, and the two who became rich overnight had just bought a big house. After a casual renovation, they just moved in. "Look, Mr. Yang gave a tip to someone else." "What?" Zhang Xin also jumped up from the sofa. They both knew very well that they were able to move into a big house and have the life they have today all because of Mr. Yang. What Zhang Xin was most proud of was that Mr. Yang had hardly ever given rewards to anyone else except in his own live broadcast room. So the sudden reward made both of them excited. Is Lord Dragon King going to abandon us and find a new love? Zhang Xin gasped. On air. I want to start broadcasting. Chapter 193. All anxious. As soon as Xiao Yang exited Xiao Yuguan's live broadcast room, he saw that Zhang Xin's live broadcast room had issued a reminder to start the broadcast. Xiao Yang quickly clicked in. Still the same familiar to people. Still the same familiar masks. Only the background has changed. It seems that they have moved. It is no longer the slightly shabby rental house background before. Xiao Yang entered the scene. Here, Zhang Xin's eyebrows were already curved. At the same time, Xiao Yi beside her also let out a long sigh. It turns out that Mr. Yang's favorite is Xin. She rushed back from someone else's live broadcast room as soon as the show started. "Welcome Lord Dragon King, Mr. Yang." Zhang Xin's voice was obviously much louder. "Boss Yang is awesome." Xiao Yi suddenly shouted loudly. Xiao Yang was immediately frightened. "I didn't pay attention to the two girls before. I was just listening to Zhang Xin singing. Now with Xiao Yi's voice, it sounds somewhat familiar, but I can't remember it. Maybe it's just the impression I had when I watched the live broadcast before." Lord Dragon King. At this moment, the Dragon King's expression was flashing wildly in the live broadcast room. Xiao Yang was smiling widely, and he still felt that Zhang Xin's live broadcast room was more interesting. "Hello everyone. After all, these were the audiences that I recruited in the beginning, and now they have basically all put up the Xin Xiangrong sign, which makes me feel a sense of accomplishment." Xiao Yang sent out a super fire as usual to say hello. The other side. Xiao Yuguan was dizzy at this time. While hesitating, he saw a super popular banner appear out of nowhere above his live broadcast room. Dragon King Yang Min Gli rewarded XINX, Yin Xian Rong with a super rocket. Hello everyone. Those few big words made Xiao Guang feel dizzy. And her face suddenly changed. Damn it. Can you let me think about it? You ask about WeChat right away, everyone will think about it to some extent. Right? The time it takes for me to react and send you a message shouldn't be that short. My mentality has collapsed. He was a wealthy man who had spent more than 100 million in one go. And he single-handedly defeated all the super wealthy men from various guilds. Lord Dragon King. At that moment, Xiao Yuguang quickly picked up her phone and sent a private message to Xiao Yang. It's so urgent. Xiao Yuguang is actually anxious. Oh my god, is this the happiness of rich people? Boss Yang is really ruthless. This trick is really useful for dealing with women. It's simple and effective. It's a pity that I just can't learn it. The main reason is that my wallet doesn't support it. Where's your purity? Where's your promise not to add anyone on WeChat? Little Moonlight, you've fallen. I don't envy Mandarin ducks or immortals. I only envy the rich every day. The barrage was also full of teasing. But at this time, Xiao Yuguang had no mood to read the barrage. Now she finally understood how Lord Dragon King acted. It is so simple and crude, and so resolute and decisive. Why are you pretending so much? Why don't you just agree to it directly? I don't know when I will get a reply to this private message. If I were to receive more than 100 million yuan in reward like I did to XIN and Xiang Rong, then why would I want to create a pure image for myself? I could just quit the internet and live the life of a rich woman. Xiao Yuguang was extremely regretful at this moment. But it was useless to take any regret medicine now. And Lord Dragon King was now immersed in Shang Xin's beautiful singing. It has to be said that Shang Xin's singing skills are definitely better than many popular women. And can even be compared with some divas. After all, if you're going to sign me up as an employee, just treat it as an employee benefit. Xiao Yang spent some more gold. As the gifts were left behind, Shang Xin's face suddenly became full of smiles, and she looked extremely happy, which was completely different from Xiao Yuguang's sad expression. And these gifts will naturally be broadcast throughout the entire platform. The more gifts Xiao Yang gave, the darker Xiao Yuguang's face became. Do you want to send some private photos to Mr. Yang? Xiao Yuguang thought secretly as her fingertips slid across the phone, which contained many sexy and generous photos. Yes, it's extremely generous. No one can believe that this is a photo of the always innocent little Moonlight. Let's fight. Xiao Yuguang gritted her teeth and clicked send. Long legs and a slim waist. I just don't believe that Mr. Yang isn't moved. How can a singer compare with me? Xiao Yang was immersed in the singing at the moment. And of course he didn't know that benefits had been delivered to his door from backstage. Of course, there are too many private messages in the background. And Xiao Yang is too lazy to clean them up. It is estimated that he may never see the bold photos of the pure female anchor again. The other side. The gifts fell like flowing water. And Shang Xin's heart was filled with satisfaction. I was suddenly moved by what Xiao Yi said at that time. What if Mr. Yang has a girlfriend or a wife? And I will be his lover and mistress. Ha, shameless. Shang Xin cursed herself inwardly. At this time, the barrage was constantly refreshing along with Xiao Yang's gifts. It seems that Xin is Mr. Yang, best true love. Little Moonlight's previous few shots were so hot that they couldn't even catch up to a fraction of it. Why can't these gifts stop coming? Can they stop for a while? All I can hear now are the special effects sounds my child wants to hear Xin sing. Looking at the barrage, Shang Xin was in a good mood. It seems that Mr. Yang loves me the most. Madam Dragon King. This word suddenly appeared in Shang Xin's mind, of course. This was also the word that just appeared in the barrage. As he thought about it, a smile appeared on his face. Here, Xiao Yang also stopped. One reason is that my hands are sore. Secondly, the employee benefits are already enough. Besides, this will affect the audience's listening to the songs. Take another look. This time, the gifts he gave out amounted to hundreds of millions. Why did you stop? Boss Yang, are you going to top up your account? The funding chain is broken, Mr. Yang? Boss Yang, are you tired of sending gifts? Boss Yang, are you in need of help? I can start work right now and help you send gifts manually. I guarantee it will be quick and effective, and I will definitely not make mistakes. It turns out that giving gifts can make your hands sore. I'm so jealous. The barrage was naturally just a joke. Anyone with a discerning eye would understand that it was just a joke. Are you really mocking him? This is Lord Dragon King who has given away more than 100 million gifts. In addition, a barrage of comments suddenly flew by. I see. Is it that Xin hasn't added Mr. Yang on WeChat yet? Yes, add WeChat. I just came over from Xiao Yuguang. Xiao Yuguang's face has turned green now. She is so anxious. The barrage fell into Shang Xin's eyes. Shang Xin understood it instantly. Yes, Mr. Yang gave me so many gifts, but he didn't even add me on WeChat. Isn't this too much? Are you still waiting for Mr. Yang to ask? Xiao Yang looked at the barrage and immediately sneered. He did want to add Shang Xian's WeChat, after all, he wanted to sign her as an employee. This barrage of comments is quite useful, saving me from having to spend money on another super rocket. Sure enough, Shang Xian picked up the phone and started doing something. The barrage suddenly became noisy. Xian is anxious too. Women. It's all wasted learning. Xiao Yang also opened his private message background at this moment. Huh? Xiao Yang clicked on it. I only saw the private message in the background. Is this the legendary guillotine? It's so terrifying. At this moment, a sharp look swept over. I don't know when. Zhang Yan woke up. Naturally, the photos on the phone also caught Zhang Yan's attention. For a moment, both of them blushed. The atmosphere in the air suddenly